She's really bad in that game.
Even changing the colors for the final suit in that game.
Oh yeah, that's what
That's a
you
good
want.
one.
Is there a mod for Spider-Man Miles Morales to make the story not garbage?
No, it's a little harder to do.
No. Man, I remember playing Spider-Man Miles Morales and I was just like, oh no, oh this story is really bad. Oh god.
We'll have to see for what they do for a sequel. That's coming out this year, ain't it?
Supposedly they've shown nothing, dude. They
It's
show
gonna get delayed. I wouldn't be surprised.
the next PlayStation showcase. They're gonna have to show something, either for Spider-Man or Wolverine.
We've
Which
been live
both
for
are
like a
gonna-
solid 2 minutes, by the way.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh my
Alright.
god.
Are we
Oh
really?
my goodness. Yes, we are.
Oh my god, Lois Turner. Wait, I don't see it on the. Oh, there it is. There it is. I sees it. I
He
sees it.
sees it. He does. He sees it. Yeah, hold on. Give me a quick second. I just want to get myself a. That's the wrong background. How about this one?
The one of the nut.
No, no. I want to get myself something that's relevant to what we will be discussing today. If I can just open up a link.
You should just get a PNG of a rocket.
Of a rocket.
Mm-hmm. Because that's
Uh,
a shining star of this movie.
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 wallpaper. Let's see if there's anything specifically related to Rocket that I could use. Yeah, I could use this
Look,
one.
it's Ty.
There's
Hello.
gotta be some good fan arts or someone out
Yeah.
there.
Burin, hello.
I don't want to use that one because EFAB used that one,
Uh,
and we're going to be a little bit different. So we'll use
the
this
problem with
one.
that is that he'll go through like 5 to 10 different pieces of art for the movie they're covering, so chances are you're gonna use one that he's used. Like he did
Really?
that for Shazam, and he didn't have
It's
to.
it's the internet. There's no shortage of fan arts out
Yeah,
there.
yeah. But be careful which one you get.
Why?
Because
Oh, right.
internet.
Yeah, I see what you mean. This one looks pretty alright. So we'll do a quick little transition. There we go.
Hmm.
I
That
don't
one
even know
looks
what to say to
alright.
that.
We're not going to get like hit by copyright or anything for having that on, are we?
What, the picture? No.
Surely not. Maybe I just need
No.
to raise it up a little bit higher so we can see Cosmo the space dog, the actual best character of the movie.
I wouldn't go that far.
What do you mean? She's a good girl.
Uh,
She's a good dog.
Is she
Dep-
though?
Yes.
Depending on which media, yeah, because like if whenever you do get around to playing the game, you will replace that one with the game version, like you will do for Adam Warlock. There's
Oh, yeah, I probably will. I still need to finish the game. Don't know when I'm going to get around to finishing it. Because between finishing Spider-Man, finishing the video, and playing Overwatch with the boys, I don't know
Ew,
when I'm gonna.
people still play Overwatch?
I mean,
Disgusting.
I'm having fun with it, to be honest.
You should be based in play Dead Island 1.
Why? That game was terrible.
Was it?
Yes!
Man,
I'm
I don't
pretty
know,
sure that
I
game
didn't
got
play
crapped on for like years by people who were like expecting something of decent quality, and then it came out and like, oh, ew, yucky, this game is terrible.
I'm mainly joking, but there's like this big rise of nostalgia for that game apparently.
But it was only but the sequel came out just recently, didn't it?
Yeah. You didn't get it, did you?
No, I didn't. No, I just upgraded my PC. You think I can afford that
Fair
crap?
enough. Yeah, so from what I've seen of that game, some people are disappointed because they're like, man, this game sure is fun, but where are all the zombies?
On Dead Island 3.
No,
Oh,
but
no.
seriously, Shandy, whenever you do get around to actually playing Guardians, it'll be a very good refresher of good Guardians content. At least, God,
Well, I think we've
Oh,
been
nothing.
tickling this movie's nutsack a little long, don't you think? So
Yeah,
we
so
could get
let's
into that.
start with,
just kick
I
it.
guess, The
Take it right
first
now.
thing that I saw that I went, I like it,
Well,
was
yeah, I
oh,
suppose initial impression is probably a good way to start. So we'll start with you, writer, since you seem to be the one with the opinion that the majority of us do not share. So what was
this
your
movie. This movie clearly has flaws, but I think overall it wasn't bad. I think it's good
what would you
overall.
give it like in terms of like just a generic number score?
Oh,
That's not a score.
maybe maybe a 7.
A seven. Seven,
Yeah.
yeah, a seven,
You
7 out of 10.
trust me, writer, that's gonna drop by the end of this.
No, no, no,
Going
I can
forward.
see
Hell
why,
no.
because after my initial viewing, I also gave it like a 7 or an 8 out of 10 because
Yeah,
Yeah.
then I told you little things.
yeah, in my
So you
defense,
sleep
you
on
know,
that.
I watched this movie for the first time like last week Friday. Went and watched it with my dad at around like 10 p.m. after a really busy day at work, so I was physically exhausted. I had a pretty draining time, so my brain was kind of like on low battery mode, on like Vegeta sore arm mode, 10% mode. So I wasn't really thinking about it too much. But even when I was watching, I noticed like a few things that I was like, hang on a second, that's a bit silly, that's a bit sus. But I still walked out with a pretty like positive experience and gave it like an 7 out of 10 or 8 out of 10. And yeah, that was my initial first time viewing. That definitely changed after talking about it and watching it for a second time with Uvu. But before we get to Uvu, DB, you can give your initial impressions of the movie because I feel like it's going to be a lot more positive than what Uvu has to say.
Oh yeah, most likely. I actually enjoyed it despite the flaws. As big as there are some issues in here I could not stand. There are parts of this movie I loved, parts of this movie I hated so much. It's really the title really does explain it. It
Mm.
was fun, but it was a mess.
There were some things that when I disliked them because I have meta knowledge outside of the film, though, so I'm trying to just judge it on its own. One of which is a character that both me and DB really like, and then the movie version is just kind of.
So DB,
I can agree.
out of like a generic number score, what would you give your initial impression?
Right now it's sitting at 5,
No,
but
no, I meant like
considering
when
what
you
you
got out of the theater.
oh, when I got out of the theater, I think I told you I was thinking sitting around a 6 or 7, but then I
Yep.
slept on it and I'm like, saw more issues. Then someone brought up a certain snake with a ring, and I was like, oh shit.
Oh my god, that fucking snake! Holy shit!
Okay. Well, Uvu, now it's your turn. Hit us with the trump card, if you will. What were your initial impressions after watching the movie?
I think they were mostly negative. Uh, that's mainly because it's either because of the format or because of as in the format that we watched it in, or because of the company
Yep.
I kept. I just
Yep.
watched it a second time, and I think the emotional core of it holds up really well. But the execution on nearly everything that pushes it forward and sticks, everything that it's trying to achieve is botched in execution, but the core of it's really nice. So when you get those like executed those individual moments like Rocket in Heaven and things like that, uh, you can see a movie underneath all of the flaws, and I think it's a real shame, to be honest. I think it could have been executed far better. I think the most of the problems that I have come down to it not being able to balance its comedy and its tragedy, uh, which is a shame because some of the emotional moments in isolation hold up very well.
Yep.
So my opinion of it's definitely gone up, just from a what it could have been perspective, because I can see why a lot of people like it if you ignore a lot of the things that take me out of it specifically.
Yep.
But I can't consider it as good or even on the same level as the past two movies that came out in the franchise.
Yep.
Or
No,
See, my
that
the
my dad's my dad. He even he was like, I liked it, but I I like the first one more.
yeah, my dad as well. Went and watched it with him in theaters, and then he said, he likes it, but he doesn't think it's nearly as good as the first two. He thinks that this one is like significantly worse than the first two because he had his reasoning for it, and his reasoning for it was he felt like even though the movie was focusing on Rocket as like the main character, there wasn't enough of the focus on Rocket. Mostly just on his background, but there was nothing like of Rocket in the present, and he felt like that was kind of weak. and he did not like the main antagonist. He felt like the main antagonist for the first two films was stronger compared to High Evolutionary. And upon initial viewing, I didn't agree, but after watching it for the second time, I do. I don't really like High Evolutionary as a villain in this movie. I feel he's very weak, both
I
in
like him, but I
concept and
think I
in
only like him because
execution.
of his. I like him, but I think I only like him because of his connection to Rocket.
Uh,
I think
When when
outside of
when
that,
when I say I think he's weak in concept, I feel like he's weak in the concept that we're given. But if I had to like think of him as a character and what he could have been, I feel like it's really good. Um, the execution for the concept that we're given. So I think I'll just start this off by saying what I think the concept is. The concept of this character is that he is um, a maniacal madman with a god complex who sees.
is a perfectionist.
Yeah, he's a perfectionist. Well, I don't even know if I call him a perfectionist because I feel like a lot of the designs for his creatures are imperfect by design. And the reason why is I feel like he has a very large insecurity when it comes to his creatures because of Rocket. I feel like that's something that the movie tried to dig into a little bit. Rocket was the first creature that he created that was not only like really, really well done, but it was also better than he was at something. And I feel like that insecurity kind of translated more into his work going on because a lot of the things that he makes are kind of terrible. And I'm wondering if that's by design. Like, if I look at the first group of like humanoid animal things that he makes, they're kind of collapsing as a society in like the more central parts of the city. You know, you've got the kids like buying meth from squid heads. You've got people beating each other up and throwing them into the dumpsters. You've got uh, homeless people sleeping on benches, and it's like, yeah, you can start seeing cracks in how the society is being formed. And his reasoning for that was that he didn't make them well enough. So I'm wondering if that actually is the reasoning for it, or if it's just like the the result of civilization, like going forward, like just how we were ourselves. Like, you know, you've got like
I think
think it's
I think you're right on the
That's the
first one
entire. Sorry, go on.
where yeah, it's his whole thing where well they didn't come out right. Time to start over and do it again.
Yeah, that's the entire crux of his dilemma. That's why he has this uh, overbearing obsession with Rocket. He says it himself that a population that is unable to think what hasn't yet been thought will die on the vine, and that's exactly what he's seeing, which
Hmm.
leads into his basic obsession with Rocket going forward. Like he's missing the thing that he sees in society, and the only way that he thinks that he can get it is through Rocket. So
but the
it does kind of fuck up the whole thing where he's like, oh, you knew about Rocket for 2 years, and Rocket's been around for like a lot longer than that as well, and been at the center of like some of the most
important.
impactful on the galaxy's status
If
events
so,
that have
then
happened. Like I think if the HE woke up one morning and half of his like staff were gone, he'd probably be like, "Yo, what's up with that?" And then figure out that a raccoon with an unnatural intelligence had something to do with it.
Yeah, I
if
mean,
that's
I
the
suppose
case with his like
sorry.
perfectionist nature, then how the hell is the sovereignty still alive? They're just can they create stuff on their own with their little arcade
Yeah, they created
space?
Warlock,
I don't.
and Warlock's
Yeah,
more
they.
perfect than anything else that the other guys made in terms
Yeah,
of
that's
like,
kind of why I was like,
He
I
views
feel
them
like
except
he's
for his
making,
intelligence.
yeah, except for his
With
intelligence.
inflated egos.
But I,
yeah.
That's what.
but I feel like that Adam Warlock is the primary example I would use here for why he seems to want to make these creatures bad by design in order to like avoid creating the ultimate perfect being. Adam Warlock would probably be my perfect example, but because when it comes to like strength, durability, speed, just general like functionality, Adam Warlock is like just the best thing he's ever made. But he
But
suffers from
emotional,
just
yeah.
emotional um
His emotional and just sentience in general is
But
on the
he's
how do
he's
line,
got
you?
he's
and
got an
everybody
over
seems to.
reliance on his mother. Like
Well, he's a child.
yeah, he is a
Well,
child, but he
I
is
thought
only
Adam was made by the Sovereign.
they were,
Yes.
but the high
Yeah, okay.
evolutionary took him out of his pod too early.
Yeah.
Yeah, so how
No,
would he know
like-
if he's perfect? He should have just kept him in the oven longer, and then hey, maybe we
Yeah.
would have gotten.
Yeah, if they
Well,
listened to the
that-
Sovereign
that-
and the
that
Sovereign were
goes-
like, no, 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 you're taking him out too early. He needs to be in there for like another year or so. And he's like, I am the High Evolutionary. I am your creator. I'm allowed to fuck things up as my right as your maker. As he stands on his little stool to get like a foot taller than the high.
I
Yeah.
did not understand that at all with his little.
It's a
stool.
height joke. That's it.
It's
just
really
a height joke.
it's
It took me
really
out of the scene.
strange because and there are scenes like I was talking about before where you take scenes in isolation. There's a very very good scene where like 3/4 of the way through the movie, one of his advisors goes and talks to him and says, no, we should abandon this because we already have what we need. And he's like, no, they're not perfect. Even though they can do all of these things, it's only because of rote memorization. And then that leads into the mutiny that happens later. But it's like, these are really important things for showing how obsessive he is, showing how intelligent he is. He uses high intellectual words. He says things like, this is putrid, this is rancid. He says the philosophical quote that I said earlier. And then you've got the other bizarro, weird HE that's in all the other scenes where he laughs and he emotes
Screams.
over Raccoon when his friend dies and yells at everyone and keeps around the other guy who's literally on the same level intellectually, or at least in terms of execution, that the lady I was talking about earlier is. And he's a bumbling goon who beats up the animals and is intended to be like an asshole character who's like, haha, you fell into my trap, haha. And it's like half of the movie is building up this cold, calculated villain who understands that he hasn't met perfection, even though on paper that's what it is. He's a character who understands that. And then in all the other scenes, he's just like, I need to be taller than you. I'm not going to use my gravity powers, even though I'm stuck behind three bricks that I can easily move. I'm just going to be a goof in like half the scenes. It's really, really weird like whiplash that this movie has going on.
I thought
I
it was
don't-
on purpose that when he's trying to be philosophical and impressive he is, but when he's losing his patience, that whole facade goes away and you can see who he really is. And I think Peter calls him out on it at one point when he first meets him. Like he's giving the monologue and Peter just goes, "Shut up, I don't care."
Yeah, he says that
And he
I
has
don't
that
want to hear another
line.
monologue about someone who's trying to conquer the galaxy because their mother didn't like him, and then he says, "I'm not trying to conquer it. I'm trying to perfect it." Says the
Yeah,
line.
he keeps trying to weasel back into that persona, and Peter's just not having it. So I thought that the, I guess, quote unquote, two personas were on purpose, but maybe I'm just giving it too much credit.
That's fair enough. It's just that he does such weird,
Yeah.
illogical things, and then
This-
has this massive brain behind
That's
him.
why I was so confused by the end of it, because I didn't mind him in the first half, but as soon as he started losing his facade
Yeah.
and his god complexes went full ape shit, he just like going completely against everything at least was presented from. At least I was somewhat logical. I would
think
expect.
one
Well,
of
he's losing his shit because he's losing, I guess, everything he
lost
worked
his
for,
shit.
and he doesn't realize that it's his fault. He's blaming it all on Rocket. He's like, how can I lose everything I've done at the hands of this creature that I made?
The thing
And
I'm not a big
that also
fan
goes. Okay.
The thing I'm not a big fan of with this interpretation of his character is that his entire shtick is that he has a fascination with perfection, not just as like uh creating the perfect being. He has a fascination with perfection as a concept itself. Like he wants to create the perfect civilization made of the perfect species, and that's kind of like why he has such a massive interest in Rocket, as Uwe mentioned. But throughout the film, he gets samples of other aspects that would make a perfect being. You've got Adam Warlock as like just the example of, like peak physical strength, flight, invulnerability. But then you also have other characters like Groot. Groot is a creature that is capable of regenerating from almost any physical harm. Like at one point, he has his head ripped off, and then he's just like a crawling spider creature. He has been destroyed in previous films, reduced to nothing but a twig, but then that twig got put into a pot plant, and then he grew into Baby Groot that we see in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. He has a multitude of different abilities, including the ability to stretch his limbs out to create, weapons or uh, bridges and, things that people can use to climb to get
Wings,
to other locations.
fly.
Wings. He can wield multiple weapons all at once, which is an incredibly useful ability that's used to clear out high evolutionaries' men in that room. But at no point in the movie that High Evo sees Groot doing these things does he ever take an interest in Groot as a creature, when Groot himself is like supposed to be a super rare entity. And I think like it gets mentioned in the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie that his entire species is gone, or at least missing, and like he's like a remnant of it. But High Evolutionary sees like this incredibly rare creature, has no interest in him whatsoever, when in actuality he would be one of the most fascinating things High Evolutionary has ever seen. I mean, even the Collector in Guardians of the Galaxy 1 took massive interest in Groot, and he kind of like wanted to keep him as a part of his collection because he's never seen anything like him. And it's like, yeah, you see something like Groot, like something super, super rare, and your entire shtick is, oh, I want to collect like these really rare creatures not really seen throughout the galaxy, or oh, I want to make the perfect being. Groot is like A plus
Well, he doesn't
material
want
for
to
that kind of
collect rare
thing.
creatures.
just
He just
more.
wants
No,
he
no,
just
no.
wants to
The
make
collector wants to
something.
collect rare creatures. High Evolutionary wants to create the perfect being. And I feel
Well,
like
he
if you
didn't make
see,
Groot.
sorry,
Well, I
Wait,
think maybe you have a point here, but I think maybe what he was trying to do was, well, I didn't make Groot, so why would I care about Groot?
well, he didn't make
but he
Rocket
could still
either.
like take he. Yeah,
That's
but
true.
yeah, but there's still like he took animals. He saw
Took
Earth
random
and saw.
animals.
Yeah, he saw Earth and like you have at least probably one of the best artistic designs I've ever seen. So I want to take that and get rid of all your terribleness and just replace it with what I
Because
find as perfection.
the thing is, he's trying to create like the perfect species. Why not take a creature like Groot, dissect him, find out what makes him tick, and then apply those attributes to your perfect beings? You could have a group of humanoid creatures that are impervious to damage through the use of Adam Warlock. You could have them with, you know, the brain capacity of Rocket, but then you also have them, be really have like great utility in the form of Groot, making extra limbs, regenerating from any sort of damage that they take, uh, growing taller or smaller as needed. Just that kind of thing. But he's got like no plans present at all for Groot. Like,
Well,
just
I think
ignores
Half
him.
Day in chat brings up a good point. There's a chance that maybe it's because Groot is technically flora, not fauna, because they have like Groot. I guess in canon, he's
So what does that
I
really
guess High
matter?
Evolutionary. Well, I don't think High Evolutionary is gonna care about that, but yeah, it's a hard point to sell.
Yeah, well,
I was just
just
more
give
just
me a quick second. I'll be right
the
back.
fact like if they try to tackle the idea of perfection, it like there is no such thing as perfection. I find it funny how two guys from The Onion can make a movie better about that than
Well, I
Marvel.
don't think it's fair comparing Guardians of the Galaxy 3 to the menu. I don't
I know, but
I don't
I
think
just find it
that's
funny.
not a very fair comparison at all.
It's not fair, but I'm just saying it tackled the idea of that whole
Yeah.
theme of perfection in its nature.
Well, if the collector knows enough about Groot's species, and surely High Evolutionary does, and if he does, he understands that, well, I can't dissect him.
That's just assuming. I would probably just throw that out the window. I wouldn't
Mm,
really even bother with that one. That's just I think it's
I mean,
assuming at
would
that
you say,
point.
yeah? Would you
Even
say it's
if
assuming
even
though
if
that
he
he would care about
has,
Groot?
even if he like knows what Groot is, I would have appreciated like a line, like saying, "Oh, I see that you brought Twigman from the Leaf Village, whatever. I don't know. He's a Naruto character
Oh,
now.
so like when they first meet him, being like, "Oh, this thing," it's like
This
you are
creature, yeah."
you are an interesting specimen, but you only know 3 syllables. I have no need for you.
Yeah, exactly. Just play up his arrogance a little bit. Play up the fact that he doesn't really care because Groot is like a lower life form to him and he has like
Doesn't he?
no need for him. That would have been cool. He doesn't even reference Groot. He just talks to Peter. He
He
talks
doesn't
about
even
Well,
scan.
no. There's a moment when I guess when him and Peter are talking, he does say, "I am Groot," and High Evolutionary just kind of looks at him with disgust before Peter translates what he says.
that's nothing.
That is nothing, though.
That
Yeah.
that is that is actually less than nothing. That is a
He just
hint at
it's just a
nothing.
look. James just went, and then he looked, and it's like,
Yeah.
uh-huh.
That's not even nothing. That is a hint of nothing. Like you were hinting to me
James,
that nothing
what
happened
else?
there.
James, what does he think of this big tree man? And
Like,
James went,
yeah, as Uwe mentioned, he doesn't even scan him. Groot kind of becomes invisible at the halfway point of this movie. No one really like cares to mention him or talk about him at really any point in the movie unless it's convenient. Like no one
It's
really.
actually
Are
really
you sure
funny.
about that? I don't know if I agree with that.
No,
It's
yes,
actually
here's the reason why. Groot is capable of flying the ship that I think they call it the Molana. But instead of
Poorly.
instead of having Groot stay behind, who we've seen flying the ship like they do during the heist, Peter elects to take Groot with him to go to High Evolutionary's location, leaving Drax and um forgot a
Well,
name.
he takes Groot because Groot can hide all their weapons.
Well, we'll get to that.
That
But
that's ex-
Mantis? He leaves Drax and Mantis behind, who if we
So are
ignore
we
the
going? Are
holiday,
we going through characters first or plot or
I don't know. We've kind of like
I
been
think
jumping
I was
around a
hoping we'd
little bit.
start from the beginning. I was hoping we could start from the beginning and work through the
I thought we
movie.
were just starting with characters first, with I guess with the villain, but
You know,
Mm.
I kind of wanted to like just go from the beginning, but we kind of like jump from high evolutionaries like entire like philosophy and like his
Mhm.
ethic and stuff,
yeah,
and
so
then we
that's
moved
kind
on
of
to like
thinking of
Groot as an
characters.
example of.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess I can come back to this point a little bit later. So yeah, we can probably start from the start, which has which is the
Pretty cool
flashback.
Marvel Studios intros, I guess.
Oh yeah, it does the Marvel thing of like instead of showing every single movie in the franchise, it just shows the franchise within the franchise. So Guardians of the Galaxy in this
Mhm.
situation.
Yeah, it was
So
nice.
Yeah, it was
I thought that was
nice.
pretty neat.
So immediately from that, I got the tone from the Marvel Studios thing, like, okay, they're building this up to be the final Guardians movie, I guess. And then,
At
as we
least
all
the
know,
final
by the
James
end,
Gunn.
it's very not the final movie.
Oh,
And
right.
it's like, why'd you do it then?
Yeah, I don't think Uvu saw that point because the copy of the movie that we had didn't have the final end credit sequence. But the Guardians of the Galaxy still exists.
I didn't
It's
even
just
stick
led.
around for those.
It's just led by
Oh, we didn't
Rocket
get to
now.
talk about it.
Rocket,
It's
Groot,
Rocket, Cosmo, Groot, Adam Warlock,
and then one of
and
the Nub Nub kids that they like
one of the
rescue.
Nub Nubs.
One of the Nub Nubs. She's apparently
Apparently,
got like psychic powers or something.
she's a star
Ah,
child. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. I just remember seeing that in the credits and being like, "Oh, those are the Star Children? The fuck?" I know next to nothing about the Star Children. I just know they're important Marvel things.
It's the final Guardians
okay.
Galaxy movie that actually matters because after this point, someone else is going to be directing it, and it's not James Gunn because James Gunn is now the head of DC. So he's
Ooh,
kind of
Hathe
like,
brings up a good point about High Evolutionary real quick. I wonder how he would feel if he found out about Peter's celestial heritage.
oh, that's actually
Oh
something me
my
and Uvu spoke about
god!
the other night, but we'll get to that at some point because
Yeah, we'll get
I
there,
find his
but
god
that's
complex to
the
be
point.
very irritating. Um, but yeah, so the movie starts with that little
Hey,
opening end bit, and
or sorry,
then
Shandy.
yep,
Your comments aren't scrolling or anything.
Well, they are.
Just kind of.
Honestly.
no, they are. We just don't have many.
Oh, okay. I
I
don't know why
mean,
they refresh. That's weird.
I
Maybe just
invited random
refresh.
people.
Maybe
I
just
don't know if you have
refresh
yet.
your browser.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there they are. Sorry. No
Um,
worries there for a second.
Wow.
movie starts off with Rocket in nowhere, listening
Singing.
to music and walking around. Then he meets Quill, who's drunk. After like we get to see a little bit of the nowhere area, Quill passes out, and then
I
Nebula
think
picks him up and then walks him out.
this is a strong opening, I feel.
Yeah, there's nothing really wrong with this. I kind of like the fact that so we get to see a little bit of development for Peter and how he's taking the entire Gamora situation.
Yeah.
We didn't really get any of that from the holiday special because the holiday
No.
special was focusing
They
more
had
on like the funtisms. So
they had to make use of that nowhere set a bit more. Okay.
Yeah.
they probably did, yeah. But yep,
I like this opening, and the opening flashback is very strong. And I think my favorite shot in the whole movie is his hand coming into the cage. I think it looks great. But the opening in nowhere, uh, as someone who saw the holiday special, I was like, okay, you guys are gonna acknowledge the fact that this is their headquarters now, more than just
Like
through on-screen text, right?
I kind of got that even visually. I was like, oh, they're making shop here. I guess. I was like, because I never seen the holiday special. I didn't see it.
Oh, it's even a throwaway line in the holiday special though, and that was a problem with me because they just go, "Well, we just kind of bought the place," and I went, "What?"
Did they buy nowhere or did they buy the building?
they
They
bought
bought
nowhere.
nowhere. No, the
They own
whole
nowhere.
nowhere. They own it.
Oh, are you? Okay, that I completely okay. I just thought they bought a building for their
No!
for the car.
Yeah, so the
All of Nowhere is the Guardians of the Galaxy headquarters.
Oh
That one building with the sign on it is just where you turn in
no,
if you
actually
need
that's not
like a
entirely
bounty or a
true.
mission.
I think it's owned by Nebula because that's not the Guardians base, it's Nebula's base, and then Nebula's like an honorary member of the Guardians.
Why would your
Oh yeah.
mate? Why not just shack up in the collector's place then? He's probably got the best stuff there.
Because they own the
Mm.
entire planet, including the collector's stuff.
I don't care. His building's
Oh.
probably still there. It's probably better
Well, no, it's not
security.
really a planet, it's just a head.
It is a head.
The head of a dead god!
Oh yeah, he's like, I'm the only god here, me! And it's like, sir, you don't even have a face. Shut the fuck
But
up.
yeah, no, the actual setup for like the situation that's got going on there is lacking. Because that's actually one thing that I was not a big fan of. I don't like their outfits. I don't like the new Guardians of the Galaxy suits.
So here's the thing about the outfits. That's because they're based on the original thing.
I know,
It's
I know,
like,
I know. I watched Avengers: Earth Mightiest
like
Heroes
it.
growing up. I know what the Guardians of the Galaxy outfits look like.
I don't like it.
I would be fine with it more if there was any sort of setup or any sort of like explanation for why they're wearing these suits. Because in Guardians of the Galaxy 1, you get the Guardians kind of like wearing matching uniforms in terms of the Ravagers outfits. But there, it actually makes sense because they're now a part of the Ravagers crew, at least momentarily. They all get suited up to kind of like, because it's a uniform and all the Ravagers wear matching outfits. So it makes sense that the Guardians, who are now honorary Ravagers for the moment, would wear similar suits. That makes
I mean,
sense.
like, they
But
got a job. So like, what's the? I don't. Is it like the design of the uniforms, or is it the fact they have uniforms?
it's the fact that they have no uniform. It's the fact that they have uniforms, and I don't know why. Like
I
they
don't
just
like.
they just have
It's a
it.
job. They own a bit. It is
assume
literally a business that they run. So why not have uniforms?
why not
Because they
have
didn't have it
uniforms
in
for a business?
Guardians
Yeah.
2. They didn't have it in the
Well, they
holiday
didn't have a
special,
business
and they
in
only
Guardians
have
of the
it.
Galaxy.
They're a bunch of they're
No, no,
just
no, no.
mercenaries.
They've been the Guardians of the Galaxy since the end of the first film. Yet the business only starts happening in the second half of this movie, several years later. There's no like real
It's really.
setup for it.
I don't really even think you need setup for them to be a uniform. Like, it should be like, oh, what in the holiday special? Like, hey, Peter just runs in with a bunch of gifts. Like, hey, I got new uniforms.
That would
Yeah,
actually have been
it's
fine.
self-apparent. It's self-apparent
I
that
don't.
it's
I
a
just.
business because when they're putting up the sign for the Guardians of the Galaxy, like, here, come in here if you need like a thing for the Guardians to do.
I. I. Out of everything in this movie, I think just the costumes, they looked fine enough. It's just the fact that they're there. It's like that is compared to every other issue that this movie has. That is so minuscule.
It's very minuscule.
Even
It's
chat
it
a
is.
says
non-issue.
they could have explained it as a way to easily distinguish themselves from the Ravagers. I agree. Literally anything would have been better than what I got in the movie, which was nothing. They literally just get the outfits out because it's comic accurate. That's at least what I feel.
And look, they got the badge
They
from
do
the
have the
original.
badge.
That's cool.
They
That's
do.
I
cool.
guess.
Like, if these people showed up, be like, "Hey, the Guardians are here," I mean, something might be good.
Yeah, I can
Something.
imagine. I just,
There's
you know
another
what?
another
I'm
reason
gonna go ahead
why.
and swap over to Shandy's side over here and be like, there could have been some kind of thing where we wear these so that when people see it, they go, oh, it's the Guardians. We're gonna be okay.
Yeah. So one reason why I'm not a big fan of that is because I kind of like the idea of each character having their own unique design and own unique color scheme. You've got Drax without a shirt. You've got Mantis in her like iconic green robes. You've got Rocket in his like mangled orange and blue. You've got Star Lord in his. I'm sorry, Star Lord's jacket. His jacket alone is cooler than this entire outfit like scheme.
Yeah, I agree.
Star
I agree.
Star Lord
I
had
never.
that what's the word I'm looking for here? He had the drip. Okay, Star Lord was dripped out.
I don't know why the delivery of that was funny. He
I've
has
never
the
really.
what do they call it? The trip.
The drip, yes. It might just be the suit. It's making me very
Quite
distinguished.
right, Brian.
Quite right, Brian.
I've
Yes,
just
the
never
drip.
really looked more into like the costumes. Like, oh, they're cool, but like I'm just more for their characters and not much like the designs or like. It's a uniform. Like, granted, this may be from my personal background where it's just everyone's just wearing uniforms. Like, I'm a military guy and like veteran family. It's just I'm used to this shit.
Yeah, fair enough.
Unity, uniformity.
Yeah.
It is hell.
I think back to the movie though, the opening showing Quill struggling to deal with Gamora's loss
I'm
is
certain that they will
really
treat this
strong.
aspect of his character with a lot of
Oh
respect going forward.
yeah, I
That they
sat there
won't
in the
turn it
theater
into a
going,
joke, and that they won't, just make it just a giant fucking
We'll
meme that
get
everyone will make
there.
fun
We'll
of.
get to that one.
I remember seeing that in the movie going like, oh man, they're really gonna treat this arc seriously. I'm looking
Here's
forward
the
to
anvil.
that.
Fat Thor.
No, it's not
Um,
Fat Thor. It's no, it's actually just Fat Thor.
nah, I'd say Fat Thor is worse than this, but it's
Uh,
almost fair.
I feel like they treat this with more respect than they do with Fat Thor, but
Does
it's kind of just
Star-Lord
the
play
same thing.
Fortnite? No, then it's automatically better.
Thor doesn't play Fortnite. Okay, Krug does. Wait, what's
He's
his name?
probably drunk because he just lost a bunch of Fortnite games.
No!
No. He did the Uvu special. He took a drink anytime he died in League of Legends ARAM. That's why he's just absolutely out of it.
You show Peter Quill
A
a
drink, you
modern
mean a
video
shot?
game and his brain will explode, because the last thing he probably played was the SNES or something.
Probably some Pac-Man or some Atari shit.
Probably.
Oh, what's that movie you're watching? This is a video game, Peter. What?
But yeah, moving on.
Mm-hmm.
The opening, it's pretty alright, pretty strong. Got all the necessary people in all the necessary places. And then Rocket gets attacked by Adam Warlock, who shows up out of fucking nowhere.
Oh my
On
god. I
nowhere,
thought
actually.
on nowhere in it like he shows up out of nowhere on nowhere in the middle of nowhere, but he just his introduction as he's flying through space with the music, I'm like, this is cool, but is this really all we're gonna get as an introduction to Adam Warlock? The answer is yes.
I'm fine. No, hold on. So I'm actually fine with this like introduction to Adam Warlock as just like an all business, no nonsense type of character. He just flies in, does what he needs to do, and then fucks off. I'm fine with that. It's what they do with him afterwards that I'm not a fan of. Because
Yeah.
the idea that he's just able to overpower the Guardians of the Galaxy super casually, I like that, especially when he's taking them by surprise. But then when you have the Guardians like actually suiting up and getting ready to take on Adam Warlock, he's able to actually be deterred and be fought against. I like that too. What I'm not a big fan of is the fact that Nebula has a sword that can pierce him if he's just not looking in the right direction. Granted, it's like, an upgraded cyber arm, but I felt like the way that he gets defeated is kind of weak. I felt like if they had more of a team-based dynamic going on here, where he just gets overpowered, that would have been fine. Because
I
at
just
this
hate
point,
the fact that I
yep,
hate the fact no one has learned a damn thing from Thor at all, ever.
go for the head.
Should have gone for the head. Should have gone for the head.
What a pity that they didn't
And
go for the
now
head.
I'm sure someone will say, but maybe she doesn't want to kill anymore.
Oh,
And
no,
it's
she
like,
wants to straight up
the
murder.
Guardians don't care about that really.
No,
They'll
what do
do
you
it.
mean? He's a guardian of the galaxy, so he doesn't kill the High
Oh,
Evolutionary.
we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I was going to say, fuck, I forgot it. Fuck you guys.
Say it again.
No. So go back to
Remember
whatever
who
you were
you
talking
are.
about, and I'll remember.
Okay. I feel like the way Adam Warlock gets defeated is pretty easy and not
Oh,
very
right, yeah, no, I
satisfactory.
remember.
But okay, so you
Even
remember, so say it
after,
now.
Yeah,
even
so
after what was it?
Let
fuck
him
up.
talk,
Shut the fuck up, DB. I don't understand what's happening with Adam Warlock in this. Like, they tell him to go and like, it's implied that they've been told either by the HE or because they want to destroy Rocket in case the HE finds out. It's probably the former. That they want to go get Raccoon, right? They want to go get Raccoon. So Adam Warlock shows up out of fucking nowhere, and into fucking nowhere, and he starts blasting like Rocket Raccoon. He slams him through a bunch of cabinets, almost kills him. Well, actually, does no damage, but then he comes in the room and just shoots him, and he's like, "Oh, I've shot Raccoon," and then he leaves, and then his mum is like, "Why did you shoot Raccoon?" And the HE is like, "Why did you shoot Raccoon? Also, how did you know about Raccoon and I didn't?" Uh, and then Adam Warlock is told later on in the movie to get some information out of someone, and he's like, "Haha, okay, I understand you perfectly," and vaporizes him. It's like, what the fuck?
So when I was like, wait, why did you shoot him if you weren't gonna go get him? I
Yeah.
remember regarding that, and in the moment in the theater as a plot hole, and then later I'm like, oh, there's the explanation. He's just stupid.
Yeah, so they told him to go and get Rocket Raccoon. So he's like, okay, I'm gonna get him, and he got him.
And I shot him. And so anyway, I just started blasting, bam,
He
bam,
basically
bam.
did. He
I
basically
think
did. That's
I think
exactly what
yeah,
happened.
I think that's kind of highlighting an issue, but not with Adam Warlock. That's highlighting an issue with High Evolutionary, because think about it like
Yeah.
this. He sent Adam Warlock to go and get Rocket. Adam Warlock
Oh,
breathes in space.
I was gonna say, sorry, one more thing. As he leaves the room, the High Evolutionary goes, "Oh, but they're the backup plan." It's like they're the backup plan, but you haven't gone yourself. Like, what do you mean they're the backup plan? Sorry, go
Yeah,
on.
he sent the
Pisses me off.
backup plan as the backup plan instead of the normal plan, which has not gone yet. Therefore, the normal plan is backup plan. It's perfect
I don't
sense.
even remember what the main plan was.
But what I was getting back to,
Was
he
to get
sends
him.
he sends Adam Warlock, who you think pretty smart idea. Send this really powerful creature to go and get him. Until you remember, Adam Warlock breathes in space. I don't think Rocket can breathe in space. I don't think he can survive the void of space. How the fuck
No,
was
he
Adam
does.
Warlock planning on?
I think I think
He does in the
Adam
movie.
Warlock, if he had succeeded, would have grabbed him and then held his snout shut and been like, "This is enough."
He would have put him under his shirt.
So here's the thing. Here's
He
the
just
thing. This
tucks
movie's
him.
not gonna run on Superman 4, the quest for peace logic, where the humans can just suddenly breathe in space. It's just because Adam is stupid, and he'd probably assume that would work.
He out stupid space. He beats space.
Like,
Adam
if
Warlock
Adam Warlock
like
went there with one of those
Superman.
bubble shields that High Evolution is just like, put this bubble shield on him, and then hold him, and then fly
Yeah.
back here at super speed, that would have probably been fine.
Yeah, I don't understand. It's just like, oh, here's God. Also, he's retarded. It's like, oh, okay, cool, thanks.
Oh, cool. So this is the part where me and DB talk about the fact that um
Adam Warlock made him
our
Adam.
meta knowledge made us dislike Adam Warlock.
Ah, yes, go on.
It
Yeah.
is a very unfair comparison, but I will make it nonetheless, comparing it to the video game Adam Warlock, where video game Adam Warlock, such an amazing foil for the Guardians, where he actually speaks very high British. I don't know what the term, like he's
High
where he's
Evolutionary
speaking all-
British.
No, he pretty much like where he's like, we must beseech this pointless squabble and fortify our defenses. It's like he's speaking all the old timey British. And it's just
Yeah,
and the
and
Guardians are just looking at him like, what the hell are you saying?
there's
Where
a
they're
lot
all-
of times while he's speaking where there's a full sentence and like every word starts with the letter P or every word starts with the letter M. He has that manner of speaking.
It sounds so fucking funny. What the
And
hell?
it's-
Oh, he's
But it's
amazing.
fantastic, and he's huge. He's like Henry Cavill huge. The only one of the Guardians that has a chance of taking him down in the game was Drax.
He's basically just High Evolution. Oh, sorry, he's basically Adam Warlock if he had stayed in his pod.
I just try to separate this version of Adam to video game because it's
not fair.
It's not
not fair
Adam.
because-
It's not Adam. It's Adam.
It's Chadam.
Adam,
It's
there we
Chadam
go.
versus Adam.
You know what
But
else
it's
is an
just-
unfair comparison? Comparing movie Mantis to game Mantis.
Ooh, that's gonna
Oh,
be
yeah,
interesting.
we'll get there. It's an interesting take on her.
Well,
Well,
character, but
speaking of
anyway,
Mantis,
it's-
Mantis mentioned something at the start of the movie where she's like, "I shouldn't use my powers on friends unless it's funny." I wonder if she's gonna stay
Well,
consistent with that part.
That!
Yeah.
put a pin in that one.
The funny thing is
No.
that that point gets brought up in both of the streams that I've seen from EFAP and from Mootel's Forge.
I haven't watched it.
That point gets like brought up just a lot. Everywhere I look, most people who criticize this movie bring that up as like a major point. They despise the fact that Mantis is such an inconsistent moral character. Because on one hand, she's like, "Oh no, I shouldn't use my powers to manipulate the emotions and feelings of my friends because that's a bad thing to do."
Dead.
And
on
then
enemies.
near the
Oh,
end of the
on
movie, she
enemies,
uses her
really.
powers to manipulate the emotions of her friends because she fucked up and called them stupid on accident.
She pulls a Jean Grey and walks up to that guy later, touches him, and goes, "You're gay now." That's not a
Yeah,
joke, chat. That
she does
happens
do
in the
that.
movie.
She does do that, but I mean, I'm more fine with that because she at least has like a semi-consistent stance on how she uses her powers. She uses her powers when she needs to in like dire situations, like she needs to find something to help her locate a device that can help her friend. You know, that's fine.
I guess
She's
make a
just
security guard that's about to kill her dance. Just for the
Yeah,
sake of it.
I mean, sure, why not? I mean, he could have gotten shot and killed, but why not?
You could have gotten shot by the next person that you leapt
You know,
onto and said to
I
do a
will- I
massive
will say,
whirlwind
though,
of
I did
fucking
laugh-
bullets.
I
Yeah.
did laugh my ass off when she touched that guard and went, "You're madly in love with Drax now," and the guard's just like, "Hey, hi."
yeah. That
come
part is
around
like
here?
easily one of the
that
funniest
was
scenes
what
in the movie. It's
that was a
great.
good joke.
I
Yeah.
was, dude, my dad right next to me was laughing so hard he was crying at that bit.
Yeah, no, that part was definitely funny. The issue I have
Seriously?
more so lies in the fact that she uses her powers to make Drax forget that she called him stupid.
I hate that scene. I hate it.
Because the thing
Um,
that really
It's not. Wait, yeah, no, go on. I've got something to say afterwards, though.
the thing that really irritates me about this movie when it comes to the Guardians of the Galaxy characters is that the movie kind of tiptoes around their relationship a lot of the time. I don't feel like their relationship with each other is very authentic. I feel like Nebula gets angry at people because she's the angry lady rather than having legitimate reasons to be angry. And then the one time that she does have a legitimate reason to be angry, which is being angry at Drax for abandoning Rocket, she gets crapped on by Mantis for being like, "Oh, well, you shouldn't actually be yelling at him because he's the only one who doesn't hate himself and he's the one who makes us all laugh." And it's like, I don't care though. He just abandoned Rocket, who was the entire reason you guys are here in the first place. Like,
That
if
argument to me felt pointless.
that entire argument was pointless because Nebula, for the first time in the entire movie, had a legitimate reason to be angry, and she wasn't
So
allowed to be angry.
there's one way to fix that scene. Just cut the argument because it changes nothing.
There's a lot of pointless things just to cut in and improve.
Oh wait, no, I forgot. That argument sets up later when you find out she was severely underestimating his intelligence and he can speak that other language. That's important.
Yep,
Yeah,
that
so
was the payoff. That was the payoff. And
That was the payoff.
Mantis not only ripped just like the one sentence where she was like, "Oh, Drax, you're stupid." She ripped the entire conversation out of his head. He goes right back to saying, "Oh, don't you guys love it when I knocked down that door and saved us from space?" And then they're just like, "Let's get moving."
I got so mad when she did that, dude, in theaters. Like I was like, why?
She ripped out the fact that that Nebula was incredibly mad with him. She ripped out the fact that she called him stupid twice. She ripped out the fact that they had an argument right in front of him, and now he's not going to have context for it later. Not that it matters, because the movie doesn't care. It's like all of that is gone. How is that a moral decision to do?
Drax
'cause she
has been
fucked
done
up.
Drax has been done so dirty by the
Yeah,
MCU.
he is getting fucked in this movie. Like, not even kidding. He is such a nothing at this moment because Thanos' main fucking like driving role is gone. Like, that's his reason to exist, and it's
Apparently
gone.
James Gunn wasn't happy about that. Or
And then they
something.
just call him stupid for the entire movie. I think the word stupid is said over 10 times in his direction. It's ridiculous.
After a while, it stopped being funny to me, and
I
during
think
that
it-
scene in particular, I was actually starting to get mad, like even more, because I'm like, stop calling him that.
Yeah.
I got
like
I got mad even before that, but we can
He-
get there when we get there.
yeah.
in terms
Um,
of
The
it.
reason why Drax is funny is it's not because people call him stupid and laugh at him. The reason he is funny is because he has such a warped perception on like most things that happen that it's hilarious when he says things. Like he's like
As
when he's eating he's eating the chips and he says something that's like completely like wrong. Like I think there's one example in this movie is like, but it comes out of bullshit. It's like
I
when
wanted a Sarg nut. You can't
yeah,
have
that's what
Oh,
I'm talking
no.
about. You can't have one; they're all gone, and then he just eats one right in front of her. It's so good. It's like the only good one.
What's funnier is he does it slowly,
Yeah.
without looking at her.
Maybe
Yeah.
but he moved so slowly she didn't see it though.
Fun fact: James Gunn hates that joke.
Really? Wow.
He said that was
That's-
one of the things about Infinity War he really didn't like was that Drax was reduced to a meme of "haha, I'm standing still, so I'm invisible."
I mean, he has plenty of other. Did he have any other moments in Infinity War?
Hey, it's Batista, bro.
No, Batista.
Someone's mad about us in the comments. They say that someone wants to. Hey, can you please answer my question? Is what they're saying. Do you think
You
Adam
th-
Warlock was a bad character in the movie because he was a waste of character?
Yes,
he is.
I think he's a
he was
bad
big
character in the
bait.
movie because he's a waste of a
He is
character,
the-
but
he
also
is one of
because
the-
he's like dumber than Drax.
No, he is like one of the best examples of a tacked on character. He is
Yeah.
probably like if you delete him, it almost changes nothing.
It's really weird because it's like He starts the movie off by having the high evolutionary thing. He vaporizes a guy that doesn't matter anyway because they find like a communicator on. That's a whole other fucking stupid plot point. And then he's in the ship with his mum, and then doesn't. It takes about 5 minutes to get to the surface, despite that's should be taking like 10 seconds, and interrupt them during the bat conversation. Anyway, then he's on the surface of the planet doing absolutely nothing. The bombs start. He saves Rocket Raccoon. His mum dies, and then he becomes good, and then that's it. It's like, okay, cool. What the fuck?
No,
was
no.
that?
You're missing the critical. You're missing the critical character. The character arc of he still attacks the Guardians of the Galaxy on the high Evo ship, gets BTFO'd by what's his name,
that's right.
by Peter, and then he gets
Yeah.
rescued by Groot, and then he's like, but why? I just tried to murder you guys again.
He's like, "You're a good
And
guy."
then Drax is like,
So
oh,
shallow.
Groot
Yeah,
says
sorry.
everyone deserves a second chance. Directly after the hallway scene where Groot fucking murders an entire like cascade of people by
Davy
ripping
Jones
through
style.
them with his fucking
So
trees.
there's a
Sorry,
reason Adam's in this, and it's because he was set up in 2. But when
Yeah.
James Gunn wrote him to set up Guardians or not Guardians 3, he wrote Adam Warlock as like an after credit scene in Guardians 2 to set up Infinity War because he I guess read the comic and knew that in the original Infinity War Adam Warlock was there.
Yeah.
And then when the Russos did that movie, they didn't watch Guardians 2 or look at the credit scene or read the comic really because they didn't know that he set up Adam Warlock.
Well,
So
this
they
is
just didn't use him.
this is the thing that I mentioned earlier on with the tweet that I saw, where this guy highlights James Gunn. So yeah, Peter's mask breaks at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which is why he doesn't have it in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. But then the Russos are like, we don't care. He has it again in Infinity War and in Endgame. Taika Waititi, yeah, so Thor loses his eye in Ragnarok, and he's supposed to like take on a role more similar to Odin, as like the man who sees more but needs to sacrifice his vision. Russos, yeah, we don't care. We're going to give him like a fucking we're going to give him a prosthetic eye that doesn't match, so woohoo, he's back to normal. And then the John Watts is like, yeah, so Spidey refuses to be an Avenger at the end of Homecoming. Russo's like, yeah, no, we don't care. At the very start of Infinity War, he becomes an honorary Avenger. It's like, yeah, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, the Russos fucked over a lot of directors and their specific
Russos
styles
really
because
fucked over a lot of people because it's like I feel James Gunn's like, oh my god, now I have to use Adam. Oh fuck me, I set him up for you idiots.
because
Like
the
I looked up a behind the scenes thing because I was curious about the Adam Warlock thing in Guardians 2, if that was actually supposed to be for Infinity War or Guardians 3, and apparently that was tacked on to Guardians 2 to set up Infinity War. He did that for them.
which
they
yeah
didn't
makes
use
sense
it.
because Adam Warlock is like a big character in the comics for the Infinity
he
War
is.
saga.
He
But
holds
I
the
could've sworn,
gauntlet for
like,
the
I
first time,
thought-
other than Thanos.
That's what I thought when Captain Marvel showed up in Endgame. That's what I thought Adam was finally showing up. I swear to
Like,
God.
imagine Adam showing up there, and it's like it would still be lame because oh look, person just comes around and solves the problem. But I think if I remember correctly, in the original Infinity War story, Adam's the one that defeats Thanos.
Not
So
Iron Man.
James was
He
like,
takes-
all right, here,
yeah.
here, I'm setting it up for you.
He
Don't
takes
fuck it up. And the Russos went, huh?
He gets the Infinity Gauntlet for the first time, I'm pretty sure, or at least is one of the ones that is like a centerpiece in the conflict.
Unpopular
really
opinion:
powerful.
Infinity War is not a good movie. I don't think that's an unpopular opinion. I think that's becoming more and more popular as the years go by because more and more people
I've
like.
had the unpopular opinion for a while that Endgame was trash.
That's not an unpopular opinion. Endgame is like one of the worst Marvel movies.
I'm really happy how much it's coming around for people to go, yeah, that movie wasn't very good.
I don't even think
That
it was
movie trash
unpopular
as
when the movie came out. I mean, everyone was like on the emotional tisms of like, oh, Iron Man's dead, Captain America's a fucking idiot, Hulk is useless. So yeah, good end to the
Oh,
Marvel that
God.
we grew up with.
What about
And-
She-Hulk, man?
What about She-Hulk, man?
She-Hulk.
What do you mean
Have you
he's
seen
useless?
that meme
He
where
fucks
it's,
off into
it's
space.
Have you seen that meme where the guy goes, Cap, did you really travel back in time just to clap those cheeks? And the image is just him staring with his mask, all smug. Like, yes.
Where are we exactly on the plot? Have we even gotten to Rocket getting
So,
injured?
Rocket is injured, and they were going to use the med kit on him. And
All right, we
this
haven't
is the
gotten.
thing
We
where I
need
was
to
like,
talk about the med
okay,
kits.
Yeah, we went
Right.
on like a
Okay,
massive
yeah,
tangent
talk
about how
about this
bad
med
Adam
kit.
Warlock was.
Yeah, Adam Warlock's really bad in this movie. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, even if you don't know anything meta about Adam Warlock, he's just bad on his own in
He's
this.
just a useless individual in this movie. Like, as you mentioned earlier on, Ryder, if they remove Adam Warlock entirely, nothing changes. The only thing that
Nope.
could possibly change is High Evo gets Rocket because Adam Warlock doesn't kill Warpig, and
But
Peter
Gamora
Quill
could be
dies at the
confusing
end of the
between
movie
two
because
Gamora
there's no
doing
one to
that.
save him from the void of space.
No. Peter Quill will have died either way because he forgot his fucking Arco pack because he's that fucking idiot.
Oh
Yeah.
god, I still can't get over the mask thing.
Yeah, so
So
You know,
like,
whether
you know,
or
it would've
not...
been a good
Sorry?
It would have been a good opportunity to introduce like the classic Star-Lord
Yeah.
helmet. I mean, helmet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to introduce the comic book outfits without any sort of setup? Fine. Bring the
No.
mask.
No,
Give
what
me
you gotta
back
do
the
is
mask.
what you gotta do is have an aping of the fuck. What's the famous painting called? The one where he touches God's hand with God's finger. He just has to
touch
have an
my
aping
finger,
of that
please.
and then save him, and then he's
It's
like, "Yo,
called 16 Chapel.
okay."
I forget like the main section of that, but that's the 16 Chapel.
I think it's on the ceiling
Michelangelo something.
Yes.
of a chapel. Oh, it is the
Yeah.
Sistine Chapel. Here we go.
Yeah, I know which
You
painting you're talking about.
let's say for argument's sake, James just went, no, I'm ignoring that and I'm sticking with my thing that his mask broke. Then I would have to raise my hand and say, excuse me, Mr. Gunn. That's all fine and good, but you established in this very movie that over the past couple of years, Rocket has been upgrading Nebula's gear. If that is the case, why didn't he make Peter a new one?
Oh, so you don't understand. James Gunn actually answered a question very similar to that and said, oh, the reason why Peter doesn't use his rocket boots is because Rocket made everyone jetpacks, which is quote unquote objectively better than his rocket boots. And then I saw Mauler replying to that and he's like, it's all well and good. Why didn't he use the jetpack in the movie? And then silence,
And then,
because it's like,
and then
yeah,
James
whether
Gunn,
or not the
and then
rockets...
James Gunn went up and away, and just went to go right.
Yeah,
Superman.
he used the jetpack that was supposed to be given to Peter and he fucks off.
He gives it to Nebula. Nebula uses one.
Yeah,
You see what
Nebula has
Adam
a
Warlock did?
jetpack, but no one else gets a jetpack because reasons. I
They
guess
can-
Drax
they
would...
can afford-
Warlock
They
was
can,
weak.
they can afford
And
to buy nowhere, but they can't afford a helmet. You know,
No.
currency
They
wise.
can't afford to remove those
Listen.
bubble shields because reasons.
When
They can
noticed
afford to
that
pay.
Adam-
They can afford to pay 100,000 credits to Gamora to suddenly appear out of nowhere right after
I'm here
they
now.
figure out about the kill switch, and then Nebula's like, "Fuck it, I'm getting on the phone. Hey, Gamora, can you help us break into Orgotech?" Okay, sure. It's like, what the fuck am I listening to? What is this?
They can also
Well,
afford
remember, Peter
life-saving
says
med
apparently
packs.
she's been in
They can also
contact
afford
with
those too.
Gamora
Yeah.
in secret.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, like immediately after the attack from Adam Warlock happens, she's just like, "Yo, can you help me out?
She just
Here
sends
now.
her a
100,000 bucks.
Skype call. She
I got
gives her a
100,000
WhatsApp.
bucks, but I won't lend any to Quill to go to
Gamora-
therapy."
she
For the
hits up
awesome helmet.
Gamora
Look at this thing.
She hits up Gamora on Discord and is like, Gamora, you're muted. Gamora, you're mute. She can't hear him. No, you
Gamora,
just
you
hit deafen, Gamora.
Gamora's been T-code.
And she's been like destroying some alien thing in the background. She's
No,
like,
wait,
"What?"
This is technically Gamora from the past. So Gamora just pulls up Skype and then she's like, no, stop. That's nobody uses that anymore.
We use Zoom now.
That's so funny.
Oh my!
You know,
That's so good.
no, Gamora, get off of Facebook. No one uses that anymore. Please.
Called Meta now.
It's called the Met. No, don't invest in Bitcoin. Don't do it.
I just
No, you're
really
wrong.
love
You should
the-
definitely invest in Bitcoin. You'll be a multi-millionaire by now.
I just really love the trope in movies where it's haha funny that your friend is going through a depressive episode and you don't offer them any help at all.
I hate that shit. Stop.
Isn't that
it, stop
great?
it. I know. I don't. It's not great.
The thing
Well,
that's
no,
really weird
James.
is that James Gunn is actually like infamous for being the guy for being, no, my character's going through a depressive episode. I'm gonna treat that seriously. My favorite
Does
example
it
of that.
feel to anyone
No,
else
hold on, hold
like
on.
in this one? Oh, go ahead.
My favorite example of him having a character who has like a depressing backstory or a depressing like background is in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, where Mantis and Drax are talking to each other outside of Ego's palace, and then Drax remembers his family, and he's got like this big smile on his face. You think it's a happy memory, and then Mantis touches him, and then she starts breaking down in tears because what she's experiencing is immense sadness and hurt. But for Drax, it brings him great joy to remember that even though he is sad at this current moment, the actual memory of his family makes him happy to think about, and he carries this massive sadness on him because it's 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 just like directly tied to memories of his family. That's something that sad makes him still like remember good times, and she doesn't really understand that at the start, and then it's like the more she like gets to know about him, the more she understands. Oh, okay, this person carries great sadness with him, but he's also like immensely happy, and um he understands who he is, and that's kind of like the thing that they were going for in this movie when she's yelling at Nebula. They don't really explore that kind of thing. Another example would be actually in Peacemaker, where Peacemaker, I can't remember the exact circumstances, but he fucks up somehow, and then I think he remembers his brother dying, and then he goes back to his room, puts on music that he grew up with, and then he has a massive fucking cry session in his bedroom. Great scene, by the way, great show. But James Gunn is like really, really well known for taking these moments and having them be seriously dealt with, and it leads to really effective emotional moments. So it's really odd how he takes Peter Quill, who's like his flagship character, one of the more popular characters in the MCU, and then completely shits on his emotional connection with Gamora by turning it into an Among Us joke.
I don't. Okay, I will give it credit there. I know for Gun, everyone was making the Among Us references. Hell, even I made those jokes when they were showing like the images of them, and all people did was then post like, "Oh, is this Among Us reference?" And then I don't remember if Gunn actually posted the photo of 2001: A Space Odyssey outfits,
I don't
or
care.
if it was someone else.
I don't care. I'm still calling it the Among Us joke. I
Fair
don't
enough.
care. I don't care
Fair
what the
enough.
actual incentive was or the intention. He fucked it up. I'm calling it the Among Us joke because that's as much care as I give. Because you've got the opening scene of the movie where Peter's like so drunk off his ass that he has to be carried out by Nebula in front of the entire town. And I mean, he's the leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy, and the Guardians of the Galaxy are supposed to be this, at this point, prestigious group that are multimillionaires. You know, they're capable of buying Nowhere, which was home to the Collector, who was like one of the richest people in the entire galaxy. They are able to purchase his property. So they must be at least a big deal to own this entire like head of Celestial. And I mean, in the first movie, they explained that the Celestial was being mined for like really valuable resources. So they must be making bank, and he's the
They
leader
ran
of.
out of resources.
They ran out of Celestial booger snot to mine. Yeah. So
Are you sure about that? Because they were able to purchase like a whole pack load of life-saving med packs.
So this is the part where I say that even in the game, nowhere is done better because it's actually explained that their economy runs on the fact that some of the things that they sell are the brain matter of the giant dead
Celestial.
celestial.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
like they just they mine it and then sell it.
I find it
And
really
they
odd
could
that
have
this
just said
movie.
that.
Sorry.
No, that was it. I was just saying they could have just said that as a way to explain where'd you get more money, or
And then
maybe
rip
it was
off
the
some.
Guardian. Maybe it was the Guardians' idea. Like somebody on the Guardians team said, "Hey, let's
Right,
do
writer,
this."
don't
Or
tell
whatever.
me that final battle didn't look familiar to the game, did it? Did you not get
Um,
flashbacks to it?
slightly, yeah.
Just
Yeah, yeah.
very superficial ones, but I got
Very
them.
superficial, yeah.
No, because like it really irritates me because they're trying to turn the Guardians into like this really big deal, at least in universe, and then they crap on Peter, who's going through like a really emotionally distressing situation. He sees the love of his life come back from the dead after he, because the last canonical thing that we see Peter doing with Gamora, his Gamora, is he keeps his promise to her to kill her instead of letting Thanos capture her. So in his like last final moments of I care for this person really deeply. I'm going to fulfill her wishes. I'm going to shoot her in the fucking face to prevent Thanos from collecting uh, the Soul Stone. And then the next thing we see is him meeting up with Gamora, who's alive, who then kicks him in the dick for trying to get intimate with her. And then the next thing we see is the Among Us joke, where everyone on the team makes fun of him for trying to connect with Gamora, and it's like, but why? Why are you guys doing this to this guy? He's gone
I
through
don't
so much
understand
emotional
why.
distress.
They just hate
I
him.
don't understand why the other Guardians feel the need to ridicule him for that. They should
Especially
know how important this
Mantis.
is to him. Especially
Mantis
Mantis,
is his
who, hey
sister.
chat, I'm gonna drop a bomb on you. Mantis is his sister. That's canon in this movie. And that was established in the Christmas special. There's
Yeah.
actually a pretty nice heartfelt scene between the two when this is revealed. And in this movie, it's a throwaway line.
She's going through her bratty sister phase.
I guess.
Because
It
like
really
yeah,
feels like in this
you
movie,
have
it's
you have the thing where her like innate ability is to detect people's emotions and then like she responds to emotions accordingly. And then you top that up by saying Nebula, sorry, not Nebula, Mantis is his sister. She would then, quote unquote, realistically, care a lot about his emotional well being. So the fact that she is his sister and her entire purpose is to emotionally connect to you on like the deepest level possible, and she still makes fun of you for it, it's like, wow, really? Did you feel the need? And as someone in chat mentions, uh, where's it now? Gamora was like really tacked on. Yeah, it's still really freaking stupid. Gamora was brought back. Everyone mentions Adam Warlock as like the most tacked on character, but me and Uvu, when we finished watching this movie, we actually both agreed Gamora is the most tacked on character here. There was no need to bring her back. If this movie was solely focused on Rocket's relationship with the High Evolutionary and with Adam Warlock, and the Guardians are like trying to get him back, if that was the sole focus on this movie, I think it would have been better. The fact that Gamora gets brought back brings a whole bunch of unnecessary baggage. It adds the emotional disconnect between the characters and Peter Quill with like his desire to like want to get back with Gamora. It just
I'm
feels like
not
two
entirely
entirely different movies.
I'm not entirely against the idea of bringing her back if they do something good with it.
Yeah.
I didn't mind her endpoint where it was like out of respect, being like Peter accepting like, yeah, my Gamora is dead. If honestly, if we were flashed back in time with no memory of the future 5 years ago, we would definitely not. We wouldn't be here. We'd be taking different steps. And I honestly kind of respect that. It's just
Yeah, it takes a
the
lot of
road there,
emotional
the
maturity to
road
do
there
something
was
like
not
that.
paved well.
And then he's just like, I am baby, must cry, drink alcohol, lol.
By the way, Squiddy, he says, I really hope they don't make Adam Warlock a joke character like every other person in the MCU right now.
He already
But
is.
he already did. They already did in this movie. He is, and I
He's a
say this
baby.
literally, a man-child. And it's kind of embarrassing.
I'm the High Warlock, mum!
I'm the High Warlock, ma'am! That's a line. We're not making a meme here. He says that. I am the Warlock, and I do not like to be ordered around.
Are we even just skipping the fact of like trying to between the whole med packs and the kill
So
switch
no, we
on Rocket,
need to
trying to
talk about
get
the
to
kill
the
switch. How does everyone feel about the kill switch? That the fact that the High Evolutionary put that in
Yeah,
there.
Tracker would have been nicer.
I mean, doesn't it already isn't already track? He knew where he knew where he
No.
was immediately.
No.
There's no track war.
There's no tracker. There's no tracking.
The only thing, and I mean, I am trying hard here to come up with something, but the only thing I can say about the lack of tracker was because he never expected him to ever leave his facility in the first place.
Yeah, it would be nice if they said something about that.
It
And then
would.
you get some like slightly arrogant
That's
guy.
actually
Maybe
not
even
true.
in the scene.
That's,
Maybe even in
hold
the.
on, no, hold on. That's not true. There's actually a scene explicitly in the movie where High Evolution is like, yeah, I thought you might have escaped. So I came here while you guys were hugging and I shot your otter
Oh
friend in
my
the
god,
back.
you're right.
Nah, you never thought of that.
Oh, you're right. I
Yeah,
forgot
it just
about
makes it
that.
worse. He's yeah, because he's fully aware. Also, that the setup to that's kind of fucked. He's like, kill his friends and incinerate them, but deal with Raccoon in the morning, and then they just go back to their cells, and no one comes and kills the other animals. And then they're just like, "Ha! I thought you might do something like this." It's like, yeah, no shit, you'd do something like this. You just told him his entire world is a lie, despite he could have, figured that out earlier, but didn't because the movie's really terrible at showing us how they work in that. Like the evolutionary and the fucking animals, that their relationship is just fucked. Like I don't understand how any of them like even have a shred of like innocence left or any like
Any
inkling
positive
that they're going
feelings?
to the new world.
I don't
I
know.
don't
It just depends.
understand.
Like if all they've ever known is pain, wouldn't they maybe consider that being a positive? It's a fucked up
They've got like a
fucked up
half.
scenario, but
They're supposed to have like a fatherly relationship with the HE, like when Raccoon is getting that chalkboard thing, and he's like, "Oh, a rocket," and it's like, "Oh, this is amazing! Look what the new world is looking like." If every one of them had that sort of treatment put into them, and then weren't just thrown back in a random cage where they know it's uncomfortable compared to what the HE does with them, it's like, how are any of them under the delusion that they'll be like? It's kind of like reverse Promise Neverland. It's really just I don't like it. It's really bad.
Because you see, if they don't have it be that way, then you won't get grown men crying in the theater. And I mean, don't get me wrong.
I teared up a
Emotionally,
couple times.
emotionally speaking, it's a really effective scene. However, um, I don't think it works because it relies on firstly, the animals being stupid, which
Yeah.
Rocket is not
Not
supposed to
fun.
be, and it relies on the high evolutionary being stupid because he just kills this hyper intelligent animal's best friend in front of him in cold blood, and then is surprised when the animal attacks him. He's got
Oh, I
no
thought they were
backup.
doing
He's got no
TNP.
protection. He doesn't have any sort of firearm that he could
He does
use
have
at
backup. They're just
range.
down the hallway for some reason.
He doesn't have
I thought
arms that
they're
he could use to protect his face because the arms that he currently has maybe got dislocated and like thrown away by God. Because he kind of just
I thought
lets the rodent scratch his face up without any resistance.
yeah. I think I liked the intensity of that scene when he's fucking up his face.
I don't.
But you don't?
No, because it could have been better. Rocket tearing up his face, I'm fine with. Rocket
So that's
tearing
what I'm
up his
talking about.
face. No. Rocket tearing up his face while the High Evolutionary takes both his arms and then staples them down to the ground and does nothing to try and get Rocket off of him. That's kind of stupid. Unfortunately,
well-
that's the version of the movie that we got. He does not bother trying to get Rocket off of him. He just lets Rocket tear his face up. He doesn't do anything to stop him.
Why do I remember him trying to cover his face?
It's the editing. It focuses a lot on Rocket's face and High Evolutionary's
It's a
eyes.
lot of shaky cam too.
Yeah.
Oh.
But he does
Also,
nothing.
Rocket doesn't kill him either. He just leaves him there.
I'm surprised.
What do you mean? He's a freaking Guardian of the Galaxy.
I'm surprised we still haven't even got to the heist yet, boy. We are. Oh Jesus.
Yeah, we're kind of like jumping between different stuff, but I mean that's fine.
I'm just trying to keep us on track.
If you guys want
We're
something
gonna
that's a little bit more well structured, go watch Meme's stream with Moodle. Meme was actually supposed to be on today, but unfortunately he's currently got a sore throat because he was doing some voice acting yesterday. And EFAP also have a really lovely 8-hour stream, really well structured. Go over a lot of different stuff. I just wanted to bring up some of the stuff that I thought was a bit of a problem and some of the stuff I don't necessarily agree with. Plus, I'm me, so we're doing this the
Wickerman,
shandy
I
way.
also like the idea of HE mocking Rocket crying. I'm not sure how I feel about the way they did it.
Oh no, the fucking loss. When I saw that in theaters, I immediately knew that as soon as I show this to Uvu and show this to Wervos, we're gonna die laughing. Because the way he does it is funny. And I think that was intentional because his delivery of mocking Rocket's laugh is so just out of left field, and it's not something that any of us expected from this dude who's like just been depicted as like this prestigious know-it-all scientist guy with a god complex. So the fact that he just goes completely ham and starts mocking Rockets crying in front of him had us gut laughing because it's out of nowhere. There's no real setup for it either. He's just kind of insane. And the in-universe reasoning is that he's apparently off his meds, which just makes it funnier.
Oh my god, I forgot. Yeah, that is actually what it is.
He was apparently going through some sort of other treatment, and then like stopped taking his treatment because he wanted to come and grab Rocket to, like, crap on him for being too
Question.
smart.
Wait,
No, it
what?
wasn't him crapping on him. It was him asking, "Why do you know that when I made you? Shouldn't I know that?"
Yeah, he's crapping on
It
him.
was.
He's like, "Why are you so smart when I made you? Because what you did worked." He's annoyed that Rocket did something he was incapable of doing, aka
That wasn't.
crapping on him.
I wouldn't say that's crapping on him.
I absolutely would. The way that scene is framed, he's annoyed that Rocket was able to do something that he was able to do.
Well, yeah, he's
And then
not-
he
he's
makes
not
fun of him by
asking
being like,
for his
"Oh,
intelligence.
you're smart enough to detect when there's a problem in my gas chamber thingy, but you aren't smart enough to realize that you are not going to the new world because you are a scrap piece of flesh that I made that just happened to have a big brain that's going to be dissected in the morning. Yeah, no, you and your friends are dying. The entire scene is framed as him like belittling Rocket and like getting annoyed at him that he's this smart even though he's just some random rodent.
Squiddy says High Evolutionary is exactly what Kang should have been, a psychopath.
I don't
Is
know if I
that what Kang
agree.
is like in the original comics? Is
I
that
don't.
what
The
he?
only piece of Kang that I've received or that I've like been exposed to was in Marvel's of Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, the animated
Yeah.
show. And Kang is not like that at all. Kang is very cold, very calculated. He's arrogant, but he has a reason to be arrogant because he's like thinking 15 billion steps ahead. His technology is just so advanced that he like doesn't even bother to take the Avengers seriously. And the only reason he loses is because of like a back door that Tony was able to find because Kang, despite being like centuries ahead in terms of technological advancement, has like tech based on something that Stark Tech made several centuries ago, which kind of weird, but it's fine. It's whatever. TV show made for kids. I like Kang. I don't think he's anything like the High Evolutionary in this movie, at least the version that I saw. If he's like that in the comic books, I would need to see an example of it being done. Because if I don't, and I just go off of what this movie says, I'm probably not gonna like that version of Kang.
You know
So
what? I really miss these like smaller scale, smaller like stakes things that happen
Yeah.
yeah,
in this because it's the MCU is fucking what is it? What's his name? Seven Rings. Sorry, that movie. It's like, oh, here you
Shang-Chi.
go.
And the
Yeah,
Legend of the
Shang-Chi.
Ten
Here you go.
Rings.
Here's a galaxy-ending threat. Fucking multiverse of madness. Hey, now the multiverse is ending. It's like
Spider-Man No Way Home. Now
Spider-Man. No, yeah,
every conceivable
Multiverse
reality is
ending.
now fucked.
yeah. It's just
By the
like
way, I think the new Spider-Verse movie is also the multiverse is ending movie.
I'm not surprised, but if they do it well, I'm fine with it because multiverses can be done well. I've seen it.
Or maybe
Yeah,
it's the
everything everywhere at
Spider-Verse
once
ending.
is
I don't
like
know.
a star.
Yep. S-Star, bro.
A star, yeah.
That new Spider-Verse movie immediately won me over when in one of the trailers Miguel O'Hara shit
Favorite.
talks Doctor Strange and
Calls
MCU
MCU
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man a nerd, yeah. It's like, yeah,
That nerdy
based.
kid from Earth 1999. It's like, okay, calm down, Miguel.
Very based character. Love him. But
He's
yeah,
like trying to talk about the multiverse and how much Doctor Strange and Spider-Man in that universe fucked it up, and he's like,
after
they need
how
to just
bad
stop.
the MCU has been like for the last 4 to 5 years, I have like been steadily losing any steam in Guardians, not Marvel. I don't care about Marvel, but Guardians specifically, I was very hesitant for going in. I didn't really have much faith for it going in. I was really hoping that it would kind of like ignore everything going on. Uh, After watching it now, I kind of wish it didn't ignore everything going on. I kind of wish you had more stuff that was
Really?
like
I would
so
take
no
this
let me
over a multiverse
no no no
Guardians
no
movie.
I'm not talking like the multiverse connecting stuff. I'm talking more so Infinity War and Endgame. I kind of wish James Gunn would kind of like take the L on this one and be like, okay, I didn't want Peter to have his mask, but they brought it back in Infinity War, so fine, he gets his mask, but instead of like the old mask, it's the upgraded mask that's more comic book accurate. Yeah, sure. They Rocket built everyone jetpacks, so give everyone jetpacks in this movie. But then, oh no, High Evolutionary is like a tech wizard, so he fucking fries all their jetpacks with an EMP, and then you still have the final scene of the movie. It works completely fine. Just
Hey,
the
wait a minute.
small stuff, kind of like make
Wait a
it a little
minute.
bit more connected to the movies that the Guardians showed up in beforehand. There's also no
I
mentioning of
agree.
Thor at all.
Nope.
No mention of Thor whatsoever. Rocket doesn't mention any of the good times that he had with him as like a friend that he knew for like 5+ years. Or any of the like bonds that he made when the Guardians disappeared for 5 years because he was like
Oh
all
man,
alone besides Nebula.
Shandy.
Nothing. What?
Shandy, you wanna know some fucked up shit about that 5 years?
What?
So there is apparently a canon novel from Rocket's point of view about his time on Earth during those 5 years with Nebula.
That would have been cool.
Was that why he said,
And
"Where's Nebula?" It's the first thing when he
Is
woke up.
okay. It's a bit of an idea. Me, writer, and another friend of ours, Fnac. We were just kind of spitballing it where Phase 4 should have just been the blip.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
that's when you should have introduced Adam Warlock
Oh.
in whatever Guardian. Okay, imagine whatever Guardians movie just with Rocket and Nebula doing theirs. stick trying to
Dude.
keep it all together, and then Adam shows up for Revenge of the Batteries or something.
There are-
Yeah,
I don't.
and
there are
Adam
so
Warlock
many-
can be the reason that Thor loses weight because Thor has to
Yeah.
fight Adam Warlock and
Yeah.
he's not good enough in his fatness.
There are legitimately so many good stories that you can have in such a stake. Do
Oh.
you ever, like they've hit the top of the stakes, right? They've lost half of the universe is dead, and them dealing with it over time and like lesser stakes build up as they go in through this another period would be a great way to settle down before Endgame. But instead they're just like Infinity War, Endgame.
No,
Fuck.
No. Infinity
But
War.
my
Prequel
favorite-
movie. Captain Marvel. Endgame.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, all the shit building up for Endgame as well. Yeah, that's
Oh
So,
my
so one of my
God.
favorite. So I know it's a bit of a tangent. We've already had planned this, but just one of my favorite ideas in that whatever could have been Phase 4 was a mockumentary of just normal people dealing with the blips. You know, you got like some random kid. No, you got like some random kid dealing with like the mortgage while also dealing with his traumatized little brother who watched his parents get dusted in front of him. Like just random shit like that. Just
yeah. You
people
could have a really good
living in that
episodic
world. Like it would have been
content.
so amazing.
But
Great-
no,
great
A
episode.
Far From
mockumentary
Home.
like that.
Far From Home had to make it a joke.
Ugh.
So everyone else
yeah.
had to make it a joke too.
Yeah, great.
Thank you, Far
great.
From Home, for being made.
Some people still fight that.
Some people do.
I
fight
don't
for a
care
lot
if
of
people
things.
fight that, they're wrong. It is the worst.
So I was gonna say, the whole Peter Quill, like, oh man, we need him to not have a mask to that final moment where Adam Warlock saves him, and it's like, all right.
Yeah, but then you could
It's
still have
even
that
more
scene.
questionable why James didn't just have his new mask get broken while fighting High Evolutionary, because excuse me, he did that in Guardians 2. His
Yeah.
mask was broken, and that caused him to be in danger in space. If you wanted to have
Well-
him be in danger in space, just break it again.
The best way to do that is to actually make High Evolutionary a physical threat. I'm sorry, but he gets his ass handed to him way too easily in this movie.
By a raccoon.
He's
So fast.
he's supposed to be like the master of gravity, yet Rocket's like rinky-dink gravity boots that he just makes for reasons beats him.
I saw someone say, well, you see, he made these boots because he always knew he'd have to go up against a High Evolutionary
No.
eventually.
Yeah,
He
but
just wanted
why?
to-
I read that and went, no.
Why would he know that the High Evolutionary mastered gravity? That's not ability he had before Rocket left. That's something he got after.
Exactly.
He said, I turned some of my vast intelligence in on myself, and now gravity, like I can control gravity. And it's like, what? What do you mean?
Rocket's just like, how can you control gravity? And he's like, I'll tell you a secret, the little raccoon. Gravity is a concept invented by the Jedi.
Do
I
do
don't
we even want to
I
get?
don't even know how to spell it.
Just getting to the bio facility. I
think
oh my God,
the
we're gonna be on
look
so
of
long.
the bio facility is neat. Like their technology, how bio-organic it is. I was like, okay, this
Yeah,
is neat.
it also should give you like real-time information on what's happening everywhere on the entire facility. But it just doesn't. It just doesn't.
Oh, then
That
you
lady-
gotta think like their security system's horrible.
Yeah, it like
just an
allows everyone in
eyeball.
one room that's impenetrable from the outside to control every function on the entire fucking
I
facility.
have
It's
a
very cool.
question. You know what would have been clever? How they got around those cameras? They go, okay, since
Piss
their
on them.
cameras are bioorganic and their eyeballs
Blind
with
them.
eyelids, they have to blink every now and then.
Drac goes invisible.
Yep. So like, what if there was a time window where
They have to,
when the
yeah.
eyeball blinks, they like throw a thing at it. Maybe they keep the eyelid closed for a bit, and
Yeah.
then that's why she sends in the security. Like, hey,
Yeah,
this
instead
eyeball
it's
ain't
just-
opening its eye again. What's up
Instead,
with that?
instead, Quill has like a random cube that came out of nowhere that shuts down a biological system for some reason.
Cube!
He
It
just
started
attaches
going
it.
to shit even. It started going shit even more even before that when they were trying to break through the shields, and then
Oh yeah.
all of a sudden the Ravengers also break through the shields as well without anyone
Yeah.
noticing.
Like they know that Nebula wants to rendezvous with them, so they're like, okay, let's meet inside the shield of the facility we're breaking into. It's like, why? Oh, so they can spot us. Oh wait, no, they don't.
And
It's-
it gets even worse how they're boarded.
Oh yeah,
that-
they get
oh my-
fucking cheesed on by Joy Emoji Man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
so-
the random
oh.
space alien who has a sling ring and able
Yeah.
to open up like
That
a billion
blew my
portals at once.
mind. I was like, oh wow, an alien that opens Wait, is that a sling ring? So what that tells me immediately is there is a red alien snake man who was taught by Earth sorcerers and was given a sling ring, and
No,
then left Earth
you
to
know,
become
I
a
know what it is.
ravager.
I know
Well,
what it
the
is.
thing is,
It's
he
no,
doesn't even need to be
no.
taught. Okay, yeah, I'll let you finish. I'll let you finish.
It's a multiverse of madness reference because she's from an alternate multiverse because of America. There you go. There you go.
That's where I was
I
going.
was just gonna say he killed a sorcerer on Earth, took his ring, and then fucked off. Because No Way Home canonizes the fact that you don't even need to be taught how to use it. You just need to pretend like you know what you're doing, and then it works.
Just sit in a cave and just figure it out over a set
Unfortunately,
period.
She-Hulk did that too.
Seeing some people, whenever that happened, they're like, "Oh, they're setting up that Ned's gonna become a sorcererisms." And
No,
it's like,
just the fact that this thing has a ring in already in the MCU. The portals are when even in what was it it was No Way Home where they showed all you have to do is think of a person or just a specific thing, and
Or
the portal will
place,
take you there.
But the thing is with Doctor Strange is they had this whole thing where you have to be really good at it, and then fucking what was it?
Ned
Ned
takes it.
kind of just does it,
Yeah,
and
Doctor
now this
Strange
lizard
is
man just does it because.
Doctor
Oh no, not even
Strange is
just
like
one.
literally
He's like flicking left and right. Portal, 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 portal.
Yeah.
Everyone on board.
like he's
Now,
doing it with ease.
like that guy blew my mind, but it's like,
I like
why
how
don't
you see
just tag
Doctor
along?
Strange. You see Doctor Strange in the first movie, literally like astral projecting just so they can read for long enough to be able to figure out how this magic works, and then
listen,
Ned's
James.
just like, "Lol."
James,
If only they used that guy would be a very good use in this entire freaking. Oh, this entire.
it would be
script.
interesting to see them use his sling ring during the heist, and if you don't want him around, James, because you think he's going to cause problems, I have two suggestions for you. One, have some scene later where the Guardians freak out because they lose access to either that lizard or his sling ring. Or the second suggestion, just don't have this character in the movie.
I could edit him. I could just edit him out so easily.
If you cut those 5 seconds of him opening those holes, then it's fixed. It's
So
fine.
here's a thing that I want to mention.
I think
What
he comes
does
back in the finale, but yeah.
what does Gamora add to the heist?
Well, you see, she makes it
Trouble.
actively hard for them to do things.
She makes
Nothing
Peter
but trouble.
Quill's mental state worse immediately.
Yeah, Quill.
What-
And
No,
Nebula knows this. Nebula knows that's what he's
No,
been dealing with, and still brings her along.
Okay, so no, I'm gonna rephrase this. I want to like an actual genuine answer. What does she contribute to the actual
Yeah,
heist? Like, what is
That's what we
what is
said.
what is a meaningful addition that she makes to the actual heist?
She doesn't make one. She doesn't make any positive other than shooting someone in the leg and making it slightly faster, and holding someone hostage and making everything slightly faster.
So-
Unironically, Drax and Mantis were more helpful during that mission.
So
Uh,
the thing is, Gamora would have been useful in a combat sense because they all this was a trap for them. But the thing is that only works if she knows that it's a trap because otherwise she's just actively making the plan worse. And everyone acknowledges this. So it makes me wonder, well, why did you guys bring her here anyways? She didn't have any sort of like inside information on how the planet worked. And if she did, I don't see why it's something that she specifically would have that Nebula doesn't have. Because this is Gamora from 2014. It's not like she magically gains like 4 years of additional information just by being in the present. Gamora at this point should actually have less information about the galaxy than Nebula does because Nebula existed not only past 2014 but also during the 5 years post snap. So she has significantly more information than most of the other Guardians. Well, actually, no, any of the Guardians in this situation besides Rocket, but Rocket's like dead. So the fact that she needs to rely on information from a character who's like missing 9 years of history in the galaxy itself kind of comes off as a bit strange. And if you want to answer, like counter that by saying, oh well, maybe Gamora spent a lot of time like doing homework on this specific facility, I'd be like, but why? She's in charge of the Ravagers.
Sylvester Stallone told her.
It's like, I just think it looks
Look,
neat.
okay, here's what happened. Here's what happened, Shandy. She got the call from Nebula right after Raccoon got shot, and then she's like, "Oh man," and then suddenly did like a bunch of research on the Orgo Corp, and then was like, "Yo, I know everything about the Orgo Corp."
Overnight.
Yeah, overnight.
Yeah,
Well,
they made a
so
joke
what
about that in the first Avengers, where
the
Tony's like, "Oh, I became an expert on theoretical physics last night." That's an actual joke, but it's something that's within character for him to do. Uh, they didn't even bother with the joke this time. She just does it, and then you expect
Yeah.
to believe it.
Hey, bro.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that's an entirely like biomechanical uh facility, and Nebula's entire thing is that she's also biomechanical, but like more mechanical than bio type thing. So it would have been kind of cool if they like try and did something where she like incorporates herself into the actual system itself, where
They
it's
even
just like
gave her a new arm, so yeah.
biomechanical versus biomechanical type thing. Um,
You mean
but
if
no,
they introduce
instead
something that would make sense? Scratch his chin, furrows brow. Interesting.
instead they have to have this random therapy session in an elevator where Peter Quill's like throwing a hissy fit because James Gunn was annoyed at how Avengers Endgame left him with complete horseshit and one of his like two most important characters missing.
That that elevator ride really feels like James Gunn being like, "Fuck you, Endgame! Oh my god!"
It
I think the
really
only
comes across that way, doesn't it?
the
Yeah,
only
it comes
thing I
across
actually
bad.
liked out of the only thing I liked out of this entire heist was Nathan Fillion. That was it.
Oh
Nathan
yeah, that
Fillion,
was
yeah,
fantastic.
he was a pretty good addition. I kind of like his
Oh my
dynamic going on where it's like, you guys got an idiot, yeah, I got one of those too. You know,
Oh no,
every time he
the
speaks, I
conversation
kind of like want to beat his head in with a brick.
the conversation before that I thought was really good, where he's just like, "Oh yeah, have you bought this new such and such space thing? It's really
Oh,
awesome." And the guy's
I
like,
think.
"Yeah," he's like, "Yeah, yeah. Well, that's cool because I just made it up."
Oh,
And
I thought
then
you were talking
later on,
about.
yeah, and then the next scene he's like, "Oh, I know what it's like, man. I've got one of those too." And then the guy's like, "I made it up."
Yeah, no, Nathan Fillion's a really good addition. And he comes back again with Adam Warlock, and it's like, I like it, but you're doing this for Adam Warlock, who's supposed to be a big deal, so it's kind of like, why does he have to
The
be
joke
the
was
idiot of
the
the
first
group?
time if we do it another.
Oh, speaking of another, I kind of want to fast forward a little bit here, but this annoys me. The sofa
Ow.
joke.
The
Oh,
what?
I like the sofa joke.
I don't. It got
Oh
old
no,
after the
no, I
second
don't.
time.
No, I hated the sofa joke. I
The
hated
sofa
it
joke was fine the first two
Hated
times.
it?
After the
Really?
second time, it got annoying.
because it kept going.
Oh, okay. All right. I liked the beginning of the joke,
Yeah,
but
I think everyone did.
it did
Because it's
almost
like,
kill
yeah,
it
this
for
is probably
me.
what Drax would do in like this Earth-like environment. Like he would see a really long sofa and he'd be like, "Oh, this is what it's made for," and he'd kick my feet up and then lie down. And he's not like really familiar with like Earth etiquette. That makes sense. And then they kept on doing it. It's like, uh,
I did think
really?
that by the end it was saved when he slowly starts leaning over and Peter goes, "Drax, I can see you."
Nah,
That that
nah,
got no, that got a chuckle out of me.
nah. That entire scene just felt out of left field, honestly.
Open the fucking door.
Out of left field.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that part at some point, but yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, do we hate that joke? I like that
No, I like
joke.
the joke. I just don't
Same.
like the the surrounding parts for why the joke is there. The actual joke itself is funny until you realize that there's no point in them taking a car to drive to High Evolutionary's place. They can just fly there in
I
their
don't even know
ship
why they
that's parked
landed
outside.
here.
No,
The
no,
High
no, no.
Evolutionary ship is literally in viewing
I
distance of where
wouldn't
they
like.
land, and they go
No,
into
no,
a
I wouldn't
random.
even.
They need the ship
I
to
will.
stay there because rockets in it. They don't want High Evolutionary getting closer to
I'll keep
rocket.
that ship as far away from the high illusionary as possible with rocket on
And
there.
make it invisible because I know you have a cloak. I
Oh,
know you
oh yeah.
Okay, so
cloak with
yeah,
establishment.
here's the counter argument to that. Just have it above orbit.
That
Well,
is
you mean it's
possible,
over they
yes.
got some
Have it
like
above,
tiny little
have it like
rock?
floating above them. Have Groot fly it, or have Nebula fly it, or have fucking Drax or Mantis, who canonically can fly it thanks to
Yeah.
the holiday special. Have one of them fly it above the High Evolutionary's location. Have Peter go in and fucking blow up the planet again. Whatever. There was no
Okay,
point in them driving there because what
that
happens
was
when
a
they
good.
drive there? They leave Drax and Mantis behind to look after the ship. Drax decides, nah, and he BTFOs the fuck out of some random guy just going about his business on a motorcycle, and then decides, I'm going to take this 30 miles per hour motorcycle instead of the ship parked right behind me because I have a bad feeling that something is going wrong. In saying that, the bad feeling does not dictate that I rescue my friend, trapped inside, currently unconscious and being held or being protected by a Ravager who does not want to be here and will probably fuck off at the closest opportunity in our ship that's parked right behind. No, I'm gonna go there on my moped. I'm going to take Mantis with me, even though Mantis knows this is not a good idea, and she could probably stop me with the touch of her hand anytime she wants. Mantis never does that either, which is like, okay, really? Why? Why did you bother doing that?
Also, the Sovereign's ship is on the planet and it blows up. It's like, why is it there? Adam Warlock can
The
fly through
fact
space. Like, what's he doing?
the fact that an
Why'd they
entire
land?
civilization just got nuked off the face of the galaxy and
I love
no
how
one even bats an
he's
eye.
he's literally
That's
building
not
the
true.
infrastructure. He's building all the infrastructure for this planet when Rocket's a little baby and he's like holding onto him, and then he's like, "Fuck this planet!" And he blows it up. He probably comes back in the morning and he'd be like, "Oh god, why did I fucking blow up this planet, man? What am I doing?"
I
He's off his
wouldn't
meds.
bats an eye, DB. The Guardians are very perturbed by it, and they even talk about it. They go, what, who, what kind of person does this?"
But the fact that entire like it's not even like enough, and it's like billions of people just got nuked.
I like how
And-
Gamora's the one who says it. Like, what kind of monster destroys an entire civilization? And it's like, my brother in Christ, your dad was Thanos. What do
I
you
was
mean?
about to say, that's the moment where you pull up the gif of the Rock raising his eyebrow, going, "Yes, what kind of
Well,
monster?"
he only defeated half of the civilization, so he's better.
What kind of monster destroys an entire planet? My dad was never
does
such a
that?
foul being. He only destroyed half of your planet.
No, he only did half. He had standards at least.
That's kind of like when you play the clip from Beerus in Dragon Ball Battle of Gods, where he like only blows up half a planet with his finger, and he's like, I'm not so foul. I'm not gonna blow up the entire planet, just half of it, and then
Look,
like
I can
splits the
see the
planet in half.
parachutes.
What?
Oh, there's a funny back in the day when Dragon Ball was coming out, there was like a 4Kids edit that they did on television when a character kills like a bunch of guys in jets. So they have it in the English dub. Someone randomly go, "Look, I can see parachutes."
Oh right, yeah.
So that they can't say the hero killed anybody.
Ah,
Jolly donut.
that's funny. 4Kids is great. 4Kids is a gift upon mankind. I wish there was a 4Kids edit of this movie where High Evolutionary doesn't blow up the planet. Instead, it like just turns everyone into like cotton candy or something.
Of course, the English dub of Dragon Ball did have some unfortunates, like the mistranslation of Goku Black during a certain scene where the military is about to shoot at Goku and someone says, "Don't shoot, he's not black."
That's not unfortunate. That's very purposeful and very funny.
Yeah.
But one thing I
heist.
actually wanted to talk about, since we are back to High Evolutionary, I don't really see this get mentioned, but it might have, and I just haven't seen it. Um, the relationship between Rocket and High Evolutionary is a very mixed bag for me because I would have preferred to see a version of this movie where Rocket isn't unconscious the entire movie because
Yes.
we only get about 10 minutes of Rocket on screen, and 10 minutes of those are flashbacks. Me and Uwe spoke about this when we finished watching the movie. We both would have preferred a version where Rocket is conscious, he's interacting with the High Evolutionary, but he's also interacting with Adam Warlock because the thing that happens is Adam Warlock is the High Evolutionary's bitch, and he needs to do a whole bunch of stuff in order to make sure that his entire civilization doesn't die. And what you could have done to make both Adam Warlock and Rocket have a bit more to do in this movie is you could have had them interacting with each other, and you could have had them bonding over their shared lived experience of being these experimental creatures that don't really have their own like identity, and it's only through the experience that they have with others that they kind of like form who they are. You could have Rocket kind of like explaining his backstory of how he came to be and the friends that he had along the way, and how that was all taken away from him from the High Evolutionary as like a way to convince Adam Warlock not to be High Evolutionary's bitch the entire movie.
You want to know what? You want to know another moment you can add to that where Rocket's awake most of the movie? If he steps on the world that he helped build, be like, "This is where I could have been."
That would have actually been a fantastic thing to see. you make that a two parts. So you make the initial act of him stepping on the planet that was hyped up throughout his entire past, and then you have him realize this planet is
fucked.
far from perfect.
It's
Yeah,
fucked.
just
It's
got
just
blown
like
the
it's
fuck
just
up,
like
too.
It
humanity.
is
Also,
genuinely terrible.
It's just like every other society in the entire galaxy. Wow,
Yeah, a
awesome.
bunch of- I don't see any other planets where a bunch of cockroaches are buying meth from a squid. I don't.
I'm sure there are
I don't
plenty of them
see it.
out there. You just haven't looked hard enough.
The thing is, what this would have done for Rocket is, this I don't think this really gets explored in the movie, but the thing that me and Uwe discussed is we would have liked to see a dynamic between High Evolutionary and Rocket, where High Evolutionary focuses on the final complete product, on the idea of perfection, and that's the reason why he fails, because he doesn't focus on the smaller details, because he doesn't care. It's ultimately the final project that matters. And then Rocket is the inverse of that. He is the kind of person who focuses on the minutiae of the details. He focuses on the small things because the small things, when done right, leads to a better product overall. And you see this in all of his work ethic. You see this in the first movie where he just takes a whole bunch of spare parts and he puts them together and he makes a weapon capable of splitting a moon in half. And it's like, wow, that's actually incredible. And that's why he gets along with characters like Tony Stark, because Tony Stark is a similar minded individual where he takes like the small things, puts them together, and he makes like an absolutely spectacular final product. Rocket could have been the inverse to High Evolutionary, and it could have gone into more talking about like um, the one of the themes of this movie of like is perfection really like possible at if maintained correctly? And it's like not really if your godlike entity is just a douchebag who doesn't focus on the small things. He doesn't micromanage. He focuses more on the macro, and he can, make a pretty impressive civilization, but when there's no micromanaging and then you've got society kind of like breaking apart at the seams, that then leads to like a really bad civilization overall. And then you just say, oh, well, if only I had a person who did actually focus on the smaller details, maybe the civilization could have been great overall.
You know what would have been cool if you tied into the entire high evolutionary god complex thing and you had people actually making religions about him and him not understanding it and him being like, why do they always need to invent their own god? Like, why do they need? Why do they have a need for a god?
It's funny you bring up that theme for Adam Warlock when something else already did that.
Oh my
Let me guess, the video
God.
game?
The
Yes.
game does such an amazing plot with that. Holy
I
Oh,
actually,
really?
I'm genuinely
I'm not
actually
saying
interested in
that.
that because that's just
Yeah,
something
I
me
need
and
to.
Uwe brainstormed. I've
Yeah,
got
I
the
need to
game.
watch. I gotta play that game. I don't have it, but I
Have
will
fun.
play
So
it.
Uvu, I highly recommend you play the game because guess what? The final act of that game kind of changes depending on your decisions throughout.
Okay.
Oh, your decisions actually matter in that game. It's funny.
Your decisions do matter.
But
Okay, well, that's even better.
but since we're talking about like god complexes and like the need to like make religion out of high evolutionary, another reason why Rocket being conscious throughout the movie would have been an interesting thing. Rocket's actually met gods. He's friends with one. Thor
Thor.
is an actual deity. He is a god. People have worshipped him on Earth for hundreds of years. He lives in the head of a dead god. They exist. And that's something you could have done where you have Rocket mocking High Evolutionary, who is trying to be a god. And it's like, you are an imitation of greatness. You are nothing close to actually being what you claim to be. You seek perfection, yet every one of your products is an utter and complete failure. You have him like build up this antagonistic nature against High Evolutionary, and then that's what drive High Evolutionary more and more into madness and more into like making these sorts of
Also,
mistakes because his ego is being broken.
also, like the whole Adam Warlock thing could really tie into it because he has created perfection with Adam Warlock, just not his type of perfection.
Not just
And
that,
his
his creations created perfection.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
And just
ego
have it
gets
be
broken
like,
even
have it
further.
be like his
Add-
have it be like his ultimate final boss because it's to him it's literally something that's antithetical to how he thinks.
Yeah,
He cannot even understand how something that he has created is better than him, and that is what a god is. That's what a god is to most people. It's becoming greater than the thing that created you,
and
and that's
And
the
you
whole.
could-
That's what it ties into with Lila, and Lila has probably one of the most beastly lines in the whole fucking movie, where she's like, "It's not about the hands that created you. It's about the hands that guide them. It's about your choices in life,
Yeah.
not what you were created by. And that's the whole fucking like that's the emotional core I'm talking about. That's what I wanted from this movie, and it could have been
It's
so
almost
fucking
like-
good if it wasn't surrounded by all this nonsense.
It's almost like the movie's aware of it because you have like the evolutionary mentioning whenever nowhere attacks, like get rid of this dead god. I don't want to see this in my face anymore. Like they're aware.
They really
gods
could have done something with it.
Like they're aware. They just don't take the extra mile. They really don't. It's
Yeah, exactly.
You know
Wouldn't
what?
ego be considered a
In-
god? Yeah, there you
in-
go. This one.
In Shandy's version, right? They could have a moment where, let's say, Rocket is there and they're having this argument, and when he sees the giant head of nowhere as they're coming to save Rocket in this alternate version, when he says the head of this dead god, when he says that, he looks directly at Rocket and sneers it at him after that argument. Like, look, that's a supposed god that's dead. I'm not.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, then you have Rocket go, well, I helped kill a god, and I live in the head of a dead one. You mean nothing to me.
You're nothing.
You are nothing to me. I killed
You're
fucking...
sad.
Yeah,
I'm
you
best
suck,
friends
bro.
with a
Because you're
thunder
being
god.
afraid of you without realizing that you are nothing. You're
Yeah,
pathetic.
like, but Uwe mentioned something, and I don't think he really realized it. But the final fight of this movie shouldn't have been Rocket and the Guardians versus High Evolutionary. It should have been Adam Warlock versus High Evolutionary. A fake god versus a somewhat imperfect being. Like, he's close to perfection, but not quite there. Because then you have the two different viewpoints of perfection. You have like created perfection through the use of Adam Warlock, but he's missing something. And then you have like self-imposed perfection with the High Evolutionary, who in this revised version wouldn't just stop at gravity powers. He would try and make himself like the fucking the specimen, the top G, if you will,
I
of
just
space.
love it. It's like...
okay. I somewhat agree with you and disagree with you at the same time of having a high evolutionary fight Adam.
The reason
Where
why
it's just-
I would have preferred if
I-
Adam fought him is because High Evolutionary is supposed to be like, as Gamora put it, 1,000 times more powerful than the Guardians of the Galaxy. They beat him
I only
so
say-
fucking
I only
fast.
say kind of because I would like the only way that could ever work in my mind in a satisfying way is if you have a fight between Rocket and the High Evolutionary, and they do their whole little squabble between what is a god and all that bullshit.
Yeah, but the
and
thing is,
then-
you don't have
then
to have
Adam
that be a
comes in and
physical
finishes
fight.
his job.
You don't have to have that be a physical fight. That could just be like
No, I'm not
a
saying- I
fight
never
of
said
like
physical.
ideals. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's why I never said physical. That
Oh, okay.
you save the you save the talking fight with Rocket, and then like I'm not gonna fight you. There's a bigger guy who's more pissed off at you. Have at it.
Yeah.
I'm still okay with the like on paper the Guardians fighting him, like this guy who's obsessed with perfection. He's defeated by this group of people that are all imperfect.
Well, you
Like,
could
they're-
you
they're
could
almost
you could have
defined by
that be
their
the case, but
imperfection.
you just have the Guardians fight his creations.
Yeah.
Also, DB, you've made me remember something. You could actually have a funny little callback to Infinity War by saying, well, or not, sorry, not Infinity War, back to the first Avengers by saying, "Oh, you have an army, we have a warlock," and I don't know. I feel like that would have just been a little funny little callback to Tony Stark and Loki's squabble,
But
because
it
it's
wasn't there, so it wouldn't really make much sense. It's just
it would be kind of funny if they just did it like a little bit better. Like by this point, Rocket and Warlock are friends, and Warlock like gets
workshop that, but as it stands, I'm like no.
yeah. And as it stands, no, but you would have to like just workshop it. I just thought of it now.
If we had a different Adam Warlock, then yes.
Yeah, if we had Adam Warlock and not Adam Snorlock, it would have been fine.
Adam Snorlock.
Adam Snorlock, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like your idea of he kidnaps Rocket successfully and puts him in a ship because he's not stupid enough to think that, oh, he can breathe in spaceisms. And then on the ride there, they chat. Kind of like the same thing
Yeah,
that they
and they
did in
start talking-
Guardians 2
well,
with Rocket and Yondu.
I was gonna say, here's what you can do. You can have him be like, he's still not intelligent, right? He doesn't need to be intelligent, but he doesn't need to be an idiot in this movie. He starts talking about how his people are going to die because of the High Evolutionary. Rocket perks his ears up and says, "Oh, the High Evolutionary! I know that guy. He's the one who ruined my life." And that's how they bond. And they don't start as his friends. They start as prisoner and captor. But it doesn't matter because by the end of it, you've got like the time with Adam Warlock, and then you've got the reason you can explain his backstory through those moments. And
Adam
it's like
Warlock.
instead he's just literally paralyzed, and we're getting flashbacks into his brain, and it's like there's kind of a payoff when it's like walk into the light, this is heaven, but like at the same time it's like, eh.
It would also be reflective of how Rocket became friends with the Guardians initially, because initially they were standoffish, and I mean, he tried to kidnap Quill as a bounty, which is exactly what Warlock is trying to do now. But they ended up becoming friends because they shared time together in prison. And you could have the exact same situation happen with Warlock and Rocket, because now Rocket is supposed to be like the replacement of Quill as the new captain. So just have that again, and it works again, because James Gunn is supposed to be a very good writer, allegedly. But this movie makes me question
Oh
that.
man, that line that Rocket has that I liked in the trailer, and it's kind of altered a little bit in the movie, was he doesn't just want things perfect. He just hates things the way they are. He could have just said that to Adam
It's
on
in
the
the
ride
movie.
there. It is in the movie, but he's saying it to High Evolutionary
Yeah.
rather than by explaining High Evolutionary to
I thought you were
someone
gonna
else.
bring up like his line about the sky where he names himself. I was like, that's probably my favorite line in the movie.
That's my
That's
favorite.
Ah,
That's
yeah,
one
yeah.
of my
This
favorite
guy that
lines
he
in the
names
movie.
himself and he never gets to get onto the planet. He blows up.
Because,
like the endless sky, or I forget the quote, but like
Yeah.
it was a really good line.
Ah, yeah. I know
We'll
what
all
you mean.
fly together across the beautiful and forever sky.
That's it. Yeah.
Because, like, the thing with Rocket is that his lived experiences basically counter anything that High Evolutionary says or does. Because the entire point of the Guardians of the Galaxy is that they're supposed to be a group of misfits who don't work well individually, but it's only through, like, connecting themselves to each other and, like, kind of filling in the gaps in their own, like, flaws uh, with each other that they actually managed to become an effective unit and an effective group and an effective team, which is how they won the first movie. I mean, the thematic element that they were trying to go for at the end of the first Guardians of the Galaxy is that uh people come together when they like notice the flaws in each other and they kind of like fill their own flaws in as like to fill up some sort of void, and then that's how they like come together and work together as a group, because Peter was initially like breaking apart as he was holding the Power Stone, and the thing he was thinking of was his mom and his past and the thing that he was running away from. And then he reaches out to Gamora, who's now present, and she helps share that pain. And then that like relieves some of the Power Stone's tension on him. And then the more people who shared in his pain, the less and less the power of the Infinity Stone was having on him. And then when they all held hands together, they became a family in that moment, and that's how they were able to defeat Ronan. Like you've got the thematic element as well as like the actual practical thing of, oh, the stone is now reducing in power because more and more people are taking energy from it, so Peter's not dying. Then you also have the thematic core going on there, so it works in both those levels. Rocket's experiencing that because he was there firsthand, so you could just have him reflect on that sort of frame of mind from that movie, and as well as his connection to Yondu in the second movie, just talking to Adam Warlock in this movie, because Adam Warlock is like the only person of his species like that, because he was specifically made to be the Warlock. So you could also have him like be a loner character who doesn't really have a place in his own people, even though he's like trying to save them. He could be an outcast because of his power. Like maybe he fucks up somewhere and he accidentally blasts the person because he doesn't know how to use his powers. That type of thing. And then High Evolutionary makes fun of him because he's a fucking dumbass. So he doesn't belong there either. And then the only people he manages to find that kind of like get him are the Guardians, who he's trying to kill. And then like, but why though? You're not that bad of a guy. And that's how he becomes like an honor. Just workshop that a little bit. This is just spitballing off the top of my head, but there's
You
something
just
there.
remind you just reminded me, is anyone else baffled by that moment where I think it's supposed to show just how little he cares about Rocket's life and he really doesn't consider him a true living creature? When Peter gets mad and screams in his face and High Evolution just goes, "Why are you so mad?"
Why are you angry, bro? Anything that I've
Like
ever
he
done,
said
it's
that,
like,
and he said that, and at first I was just like, "That's odd," but I guess it's to show how little he thinks of Rocket. Like he's confused why someone else would care for him,
yeah.
but
Okay,
I don't know.
this is
It's
a
weird.
very shallow and very personal negative for High Evolutionary. He reminds me of the enemy from Star Trek Insurrection, and for that, it's already a negative on that. I'm
Oh,
sorry. It's just in terms of design, I don't care.
care.
I don't know what Star
I
Trek
don't.
Insurrection is, but if it's
I
bad,
don't
then
know
I
what it
agree.
is either, but he sent me a
He looks
picture. And I
like
don't think he looks nothing like this character. I don't.
it's just more like the stretched skin, and like the enemy in the Star Trek movie has the worst worst Star Trek movie or TNG movie anyway.
Also, that's a
Wouldn't
funny
get what
thing.
Said superficial.
This guy who's like so focused on perfection didn't give himself a
Right.
facelift. He just put on a mask. We
Put
we
his own
have like
skin back on.
we have plastic surgery on Earth from like the 1950s, which was decent enough at like fixing people's faces after like got blown apart by shrapnel in World War II. Like he doesn't bother trying to fix it up like a little bit
Yeah.
at all.
Imagine if
Really?
Well,
he
he
was a
did
real
fix it up
character.
with that little creepy flesh
I
face.
meant like where
Imagine
he
if he was
you
a
can
character and he
make it.
wore it as a badge of shame against Rocket. Imagine
I mean,
that.
you can
Oh, that
make
could
an
have been
he,
so good.
he can make a tube that can evolve a species 10 million years into the future, and yet he can't like make a good facelift surgeon. Go
Maybe.
figure.
Uvu, you bring up a good point. They maybe could have done a thing where he's like, because if you rock it, I can never be perfect.
Yeah.
Because what you did to my face.
Yeah, it's like make him a real character.
Oh
Like,
god, that just makes it even more like it's
Yeah,
weird
that's actually
little
a good
thing
point.
where
Like he pursues perfection
good.
because he can never be
Yeah.
perfect himself. That's actually a good. Yeah, that's a good idea. That's cool.
nah.
I love brainstorming.
We gotta stop talking about this hypothetical movie that we would have liked a lot
Yeah,
more.
now I'm
of.
kind of really wanting to make like a video, just. But I
We
don't.
should
What
do
could
it.
have
We should
been
do.
Guardians
We should
3.
do another stream together where we talk about our own Guardians 3.
That's kind of what
I'd
me and
rather just
Uwe
go
did for
straight
like
to the
2 hours after we watched the movie. We're like, okay,
Damn.
but like, what happens if the movie was good? And then we started just brainstorming, just because the thing is that we don't really want to do is we don't want to add stuff that this movie doesn't have because that's not really fair. We just wanted to take what's already in the movie and then do something with it.
And switch it around a little
Yeah,
bit.
like you just change it because
Yeah, we're
Ro-
not rewriting it as in suddenly this character is here, suddenly that's it.
No.
It's like no, these characters are here. The
Wickerman.
motivation's consistent. It's just done
that is a
well.
good point,
Wickerman in
Wickerman.
chat brings up a good point. How the flashbacks kind of just show up at random.
Yeah.
There's no rhyme or reason.
Oh, no, I thought you were
And-
talking about his next one. His next
Yeah,
one.
we
the next
brought up
one's a
both
good
of
point
those
as well.
But yeah.
But I just want to talk about the fact that like another way they could have done the flashbacks is instead of him being flashbacks when he's in a coma, like in the movie, have it be he's explain like those flashbacks we are watching. He's telling that story to Adam Warlock.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, that's how they did this.
I am curious. What do you guys think of the soundtrack for the movie? Because I don't.
I liked it initially, but then the more I thought about it, and then during the second watch through, I don't think the music really works too well. Yeah.
I think it's just
just
off.
like it's just more random. I think there's only 2 or 3 songs that actually fit the scenes. That's
As
Yeah, it's
positive
gotta-
as I was towards this movie when I was watching it, even I was like, a lot of the soundtrack feels misplaced. I don't know.
I
if
Yeah,
it's
love the
appropriate
music.
to have this song here.
I've always loved I always loved Gunn's taste in music, but it's just I at least want the music to at least match this. I think the only ones that worked were the beginning with that acoustic version of Creep, the final song, Dog Days Are Gone, and Since You've Been Gone in one of the flashbacks. I think those are the only ones I think actually fit the scenes.
I think my least favorite one was the final one where everyone in Norway just started dancing. I was like,
Oh, really? That's Dog Days Are Gone. That I actually
I like that bit.
Mm,
So because you guys didn't see the post credits, when all the Guardians are together, the song that plays is the very first song that plays in Guardians 1, I think. The one that Quill dances to.
Come and Get Your Love.
Yes,
Yeah.
they play that song at the very end with the
Yeah.
new Guardians.
The music was a lot more
I think
middle,
they, like, the
middle, lot
worst-
heavier focused. Like a lot more distortion in the rather than like the sort of bluesy, jazzy, like stuff, sort of the soul music that he was going for in the original couple of movies. It's got a lot more of a hard edge to it, and I'm not sure why.
there's actually a
think
reason for that, and the reason for that is because Rocket is supposed to be the one in control of the music rather than Peter. You start the movie
Yeah.
off with Rocket kind of like choosing the music, and then you end the movie with Rocket choosing the music. That's probably why?
the iPod thing is right next to his brain the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the worst song in this
He's
is maybe
oh no wonder the songs make no sense. He's unconscious. He doesn't know what's going on.
No, but that's actually something that would have been cool because if Rocket's now the one in control of the iPod and he's the one that's like making the music, you could have had a really cool line of dialogue where Peter Quill wants to like put music on so that they can listen to it while they travel through space. And it's like, oh
Okay.
man, Rocket mucked around with my playlist. He's now made a Rocket's only playlist, and then he starts playing songs from there.
Can you imagine if he starts playing like early 2000s rock? He just plays
Yeah.
like some Beastie Boys shit.
He's like, what the fuck is this shit?
Well,
not
that's what he
Beastie-
does
no,
at the end of the movie.
That actually would have been a little
right,
cool
yeah.
send-off as well
Oh.
at the end of the movie, where Rocket's like, "Yeah, I've got my own
Right,
thing and I've got my own
moving on
taste, but
from-
I still like some of the stuff." And then that's when he plays the song from Guardians of the Galaxy 1 as like a final send-off to the crew before they all go on their separate ways. That would have been neat.
For the Guardians in the future, I hope whoever takes over, they understand that Rocket should have slightly different taste than Peter. Like, I know he's gonna like some of the same music because he's been with him for so long, but it's gonna be a huge missed opportunity if, what am I saying? It's current day Marvel. Never mind. Never fucking mind.
I was gonna say with that point earlier, someone said in the chat that he starts blowing up the planet as soon as Warpig's like, "Yo, I've got Rocket." What's even worse than that is like Adam Warlock comes in, and then Warpig's like, "Yo, we're fighting for the same person. What are you doing?" And then he kills her, and then like if he got Rocket and took him to HE would be like, "Yo, what the fuck? Like I already had the asset. Like why are you killing my men and giving the fuck you?"
Well, his
Like,
reason is I have to be the one to give it to save my people, and I'm
yeah,
sitting here going, he already knows she has him, though,
yeah.
doesn't he?
Okay. Just for the sake of it, I just want to I think like my second favorite character is maybe Nebula in this movie. I really like some of the stuff she does in this movie.
Yeah, Nebula's pretty
Or
good.
even
I don't like
some action.
her.
Like it was like
I don't like her
it
acting,
was
but yeah.
it was like the first moment when Rocket wakes up and then all of a sudden she just breaks down crying. I was like, oh my god, I love that. I love that reaction.
And the first thing that Rocket says when he wakes up is, "Where's Nebula?"
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Hmm.
You would think they'd do a thing where Nebula joins the new Guardians, but she's not. So, the new Guardians, I listed them earlier, but that really is it. It is.
But Nebula is too busy running. Like I don't mind. Like they're running nowhere apparently. So like some people have just got to stay and hold the fort down. But apparently that's limited to Gunn's brother and Cosmo.
Cosmo the good dog.
Yeah,
I don't
but
know.
like,
Alright,
Of
They
what
also
did we
don't
think
call
of
them
the
in
good
to help
dog
out.
joke throughout the movie? What did we think of that?
Overplayed, really dumb.
Overplayed. So I hate.
I feel like the joke should have been done once and then paid off later.
Yeah, no, it
And
was done like 4
instead,
times.
Wait,
it's
then-
done
which
like multiple times.
And then you have like the cheap. Like it was so freaking. I laughed out loud with I forget his name, but Gunn's brother with the arrow. The payoff for him is like you gotta believe yourself.
Oh,
Take it
yeah.
from the heart. I was
Ghost
like, oh,
Yondu
And then
appears
Yondu's
and he's
just
like,
there, I faked my death.
Ghost
It's
Yondu,
so
like Han out of
shallow.
fucking.
It was
Yeah,
was
it's like
so
Han out of
shallow.
Return of Skywalker. It was the exact same thing. It was like, what is this doing here?
I
Believe
think
in
it
your
would have been a
heart.
funny joke if when he shows
Believe
up
in the
they
heart of the
play Star
cards.
Wars music. Like when
Yeah.
he sees Yondu, it's like doo-doo,
it's
Oh,
also
literally
kind
the
of
music.
it's also kind of annoying because he's been practicing this arrow since the end of Guardians 2. And
You
they
just got
do
it, bro.
they do the exact same joke that they do at the end of Guardians 2 because in Guardians 2 he's like busy flying around with the arrow and then he accidentally shoots Drax with it
The joke is funnier when he
and
hits
then
Drax because
and then he
Drax
starts
screams.
crawling away and like running away as Drax like screaming in pain and then you start this movie off with him accidentally shooting Nebula in the tit and it's like
And
but
she's
I've
just
seen
like doesn't have any reaction.
I've seen this joke
She's
done
just that
already.
sniper.
Why are you doing it again? I don't get it. You'd think he'd
I
have
think
some sort of like progression in his ability.
I think
I
it was
feel like
more
he
set
should be
up
a lot
for
better.
Cosmo's psychic stuff. For
What
people
even
who
is
haven't seen
Cosmo?
it.
Did I miss something?
Cosmo
No, yeah, so
is a
apparently
good dog.
Shut the fuck
Cosmo
up,
is
Shandy.
a Russian dog sent to space who got psychic power. I don't know. I don't.
Okay.
So in Disney comics and in every other canon, Cosmo is a boy dog. The change doesn't really do anything, but it
It
was
doesn't
a
matter.
it
It's
was
a
one of the
weird
first
change, but
changes I
whatever.
heard over. I was like, oh, that's an
It's a
interesting
dog.
choice.
I don't really. Yeah.
It doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter.
I'm sure there's some idiot out there going,
It's supposed to be a boy dog. Boy
yeah,
dog.
why
I don't
isn't
care.
it a boy dog? I'm only really telling you because you're gonna be playing the game. When you meet Cosmo, you're gonna be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I don't really.
Oh
How
no,
much is
the
the game?
talking
It's
dog is a
probably,
talking dog.
I didn't want you getting confused.
Okay. I almost want to spoil one of the lines for Cosmo in the game. I love it. It's a pretty funny
Oh.
line. I think you know the one I'm
Funny
talking about.
game with
No,
balls.
Probably don't.
like-
Probably don't.
No,
Don't
it's
do
like
it.
it's. Yeah,
Don't do it.
I wasn't going to. I'll
Making
abort.
right
you
upset.
were.
Don't.
Don't do it.
Moving on.
I'll high evolutionary you.
But
just
yeah.
say-
Since we're
You'll
talking
yell
about
at me?
Cosmo, she kind of comes out of nowhere. She's just this really powerful Wanda at the end of Endgame level creature that just
Pretty much.
exists for some reason. Like she's
Well,
strong
they
enough to lift several 100-ton boulders and squish enemies, and then she's able to hold an entire ship that's the size of a celestial's head together with another ship that's the size of a celestial's head together. And then all she needs is an adrenaline boost from Mantis to keep going for like several minutes. And it's like, oh my god, where the hell have you been? You
Well,
would
you
have been
see,
useful.
It's okay because she was in the background of Guardians of the Galaxy 1.
That's like turning, what's his name? The Duck character?
Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck.
Yeah, that's like turning Howard the Duck into Superman, just off
Have you seen
screen.
Howard the Duck, Shanji?
I have, it's great, we should watch it.
I need to see it.
No!
I want to see it.
George Lucas's finest.
Some people say George Lucas's worst film is the Star Wars prequels. Motherfuckers, it's Howard the Duck.
I don't know, I mean, Phantom
know
Menace is
about
like
that.
a 2 out of 10, and Attack of the Clones is
I-
also
I
like a
don't know.
1.5.
Oh, I don't remember George. I don't remember George Lucas trying to burn all the Howard the Duck VHS copies. Okay.
It's base. That's giga-base.
What, they
Yo,
tried
that
to burn all
movie,
the
I don't care
copies
if you
of
like it
Star
or
Wars?
not. I'm fucking annihilating it.
What? Which one?
The holiday
Howard the
special.
Duck.
George Lucas went out of his way to get every copy he could find and burn them.
Oh, it was the
Punch on
holiday
Punch on
specials?
the
That's
last
funny.
one.
That's hilarious.
One
I
thing
think
I
we
will
should
say
re-
about Guardians of the Galaxy is that the holiday special is better than George Lucas's holiday specials.
Oh,
That sh-
absolutely.
That shouldn't be a
100%.
hot take.
I've tried
know
to watch
Disney tried
those
to
many
make another one?
times, but the people that I'm watching the voice like self-destruct before we can finish. It sucks.
It's
Do
fine,
they
I'll watch it with
self-destruct
you. I've got
before
like
or-
a stern stomach.
Do they self-destruct before or after B. Arthur starts
Shandy,
singing?
shut the fuck up. You couldn't get 10 minutes into Solo.
You couldn't get 20 minutes into Postal.
What the hell is Postal? Oh, that? No, that's fully fucking warranted. Screw you,
Wait,
dude.
isn't the Postal movie the one that stars the kid
Yes.
from A Christmas Story?
It's
I
an
think
Uwe
so.
Boll movie, dude. You cannot pull that shit on me.
Oh my god, I forgot Uwe Boll made those shitty. Remember Uwe Boll's Far Cry?
No?
He made a Far Cry movie.
Plus, he made a Far Cry movie. He's the king of making like shitty movies about real things.
I have to give the man respect for at least taking the critics to the chin, at least.
I can't.
He didn't.
What a
No,
what a
DB,
cunt.
do you know what he did? Instead of taking the
Yeah, I know what he
criticisms
did,
on the
that's why I'm
chin.
making the joke.
Oh,
That's why I'm
okay.
making the
In that
joke.
case, yeah, it's a
What did he
funny
do?
joke.
To the-
He
to the
challenged
chin.
his critics to a fist fight in a boxing ring. And he beat him.
Yeah.
That is-
But instead of like making him look like the Giga Chad that he thought he would be, it actually just made him look like more of a loser because he just
Yeah,
beat
makes
up
him
the
look like a
critic.
little bitch.
Yeah, it's like, oh, unlucky.
Wait,
You
Well,
intentionally
all his
made-
movies are just tax fraud anyway, so
Yeah.
he's literally
oh, no,
just a
you started out
grifter.
with the thing.
Anyways, back to the actual movie.
Oh yeah, what movie?
This one?
I hope I get
Oh.
to fight him, beat the shit out of him.
Yeah. Yeah, we have to get back to the movie quick before we talk about the fact that Disney tried to make another Star Wars Christmas special.
Where are we currently in terms of timeline? Because we've kind of just been jumping around the place.
So the heist. We just finished with the heist.
Oh,
Did
Jesus.
we? I don't think we finished with
think
the
so.
heist. No.
We didn't
We
really
didn't.
talk
We didn't
about
talk
the
about.
fact-
No. We didn't talk about the fact that Drax and Nebula got like kill death baited with.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
actually,
That
no.
shit, that was
You're mentioning
lame.
something that I really dislike about this movie. The lack of consequence for fucking anything. I feel
Yep.
like several people should be dead. Like,
Nebula gets her. As much as I like Nebula in this movie, the fact that she can just almost take any damage and repair herself in 10 seconds, I'm like,
She literally.
she gets
Literally
discombobulated throughout the
she-
entire
yeah,
movie.
She literally rebuilt her spine after
like
a
after
broken
the
neck.
fight with her first fight with Adam Warlock, she's like a puddle, and she's just rebuilding herself like some. I was like, what was it the T? What from Terminator 3?
Yeah.
I can't remember what.
T1000.
T1000?
Oh, TX, the TX.
Yeah,
You're
TX.
talking
That's
about
right.
TX.
Yeah,
X
TX.
is for extreme.
I've only seen the first two movies.
That's
You need
all
to watch
need
Terminator 3, and you have to watch Terminator 3 with the there's
Three.
two
No more
different.
tangents. No more tangents.
In
Right?
3D?
No more.
Okay.
No, tell me. I want to see. What is this?
All right,
3D
well,
or something?
there's two different commentaries for that movie. One is the director's commentary, and one is the commentary where it's just Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Arnold
Uh,
Schwarzenegger starts being weird and skeezing on the female Terminator during the commentary. It's really funny.
yeah, I
I
remember
need
that
to
part.
watch that movie right now. I'm
It'll make
getting.
it'll make it more enjoyable. We'll give it that.
Uwe just leaves
Oh,
the
she's-
call so we can go and watch Arnold be
Yeah, fuck
sleazy.
this stream. This movie is far better.
Uvu, the phrase "she's got such a beautiful body" is uttered like more than once by Arnold.
Oh, she's got such a beautiful body.
Yeah, pretty much like that. It's so fantastic. I love it.
Calming in the gym, I'm calming at home.
Coming in the
It actually exists. I need to fucking see that immediately.
Yes.
Okay, so back to the heist. They fuck it
Why
up
is Gamora
real
such a
quick.
fucking idiot?
I don't know. I don't know why she decided it would be a good idea to, at the start of the heist, pull a gun out on someone and expect no one else to notice in a facility that's made entirely out of organic material with eyeballs all over the place and armed guards. Guards
Nah,
with
they
guns.
kind of forget.
But I think the only things I actually like, besides Nathan Fillion, is like I know people shit on the security guards' design, but I actually
Who shits on the
looked a bit
design?
more-
Who shits on the design? The
Oh,
design's
they're
awesome.
puffy
I don't
outfits, you mean?
they're like how goofy they look, but then
They
when you
look
point out, like,
great.
I know, but when you actually like point out, oh, they're based off the actual like
They look like
Sure, I
white
forget-
white blood cells.
no, not white blood cells. It's like what's the one animal that can survive the vacuum of space? That's they're made
tardigrade.
out organic. The what?
Tardigrade.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, their design's based off that. I'm like, that's
What'd you
cool.
call
That's a no. It's like the one animal on this freaking planet that can survive the vacuum
Yeah.
of space.
It can like be dehydrated for like 1,000 years and then just be like put water on it and it comes back. It's like, yo, what's up? What I miss?
Yeah, you think cockroaches are the best? Oh no, those things can put cockroaches to shame.
It's funny you say that because I saw cockroaches buying meth from a squid in this movie.
Shut the fuck. You know
I-
that squid guy in the movie? He looks exactly like one of the characters from Battlefield Earth. You know the movie.
He does,
about-
yeah, he does. I
Yeah.
hate that movie. That's also actually another movie I couldn't make more than like 30 minutes in, but you forced me to watch it.
Yeah, that
Well,
movie
that's
is
the movie.
painful. I'm sorry.
That's the movie where if you shit talk it in front of Tom Cruise, he gets upset.
The
Battlefield
Dead Man's
Earth?
I love 'em.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's a Scientology movie.
Unlucky. That's unfortunate. But one thing I dislike about the heist is that their ship is parked right outside and no one sees it.
Yes. Why?
I don't
That's
know.
cool.
I don't
Is
know.
the excuse actually? Well, they don't have big giant eyeballs outside, so we're fine.
But that's not entirely true either because you could see guards parked outside who could see the ship as it flies away, but they don't see it
They
when
could've
it
just
comes
pulled-
towards
They
them.
could just pulled like they could just pulled like a whole gap sort of thing. It's like windows are structural weaknesses. We do not use them.
Yeah, that would have been better.
Yeah, but then you could just make
What
the
if-
windows out of like, I don't know, really thin skin. Or like bigger eyeballs. Irises or something. I don't know. Make it just out of hair. Turn it into a no, make the windows out of like toenails or something. I don't know. Just something. Like what the fuck? But that doesn't even matter because there are people parked outside in the vacuum of space who could see them like flying away. And are you telling me this entire like system doesn't have motion trackers or motion sensors? Or like something? Like radar? Does it all have to be some sort of biomechanical thing?
I guess.
I guess. What exactly are the
Like, that's
guns
all I
made of
got.
that can let them shoot that energy ball that's like significantly more powerful than anything we've seen in
They're made of
space?
tisms.
They're snot rockets.
Plot. They're made of plot. That's what they're made out of.
Plot snot
What does
rockets.
this? What does this gun shoot? What does it run on? The script.
It runs on a lack of continuity. Runs on inconsistency.
Hey, over there, is that the script?
It shoots script.
The thing that's weird is that apparently the High Evolutionary is like a guy who contributed a lot to this facility in terms of like actually making it, but he doesn't
Just
have
like,
any of their
ah.
similar like security systems put in place on his own planet. He doesn't use their weapons like at all, even though their
Oh,
weapons are like
it's
significantly better than
Hellspawn.
anything.
Haha.
He's got what?
He's got the Hellspawn. Haha.
He's got the Hellspawn.
Haha.
They looked a lot lamer than I was hoping they'd be.
Anytime we refer
I like
to
one scene where
Hellspawn,
they're like
haha,
in
I'm
their
gonna say
pods.
the haha.
They're in their pods, and then the squid guy wakes up and he's like, "Get out of there!" And then they're all just like, "Wee!" and come out. And
Okay,
it's like,
I'm not
that's
kidding.
cool.
I thought this squid guy was one of the Hellspawn things
Haha.
when he showed up because I thought he was such a horrible amalgamation of things. I was like, oh, that's what he would consider a Hellspawn. Not really, no.
No, they're just sort of like mecha
I
pig.
also find it really weird that the High Evolutionary would keep those intergalactic space squids that eat batteries as like
Yeah, I was gonna
god
bring that up
dogs.
earlier. It's like, what are
Like,
what are these?
what is the purpose of those things? Mantis points out the fact that they don't eat anything other than batteries, so they are essentially harmless. So was he like experimenting on them or something, and that's why he kept them?
But he threw them in there to like get rid of them.
Yeah, like I thought the entire point of that scene was that the space slugs or space squids would eat Mantis and Nebula and Drax. Like,
Oh, they eat batteries.
and Mantis is like, it's fine, shut up, it's okay.
Yeah, why does he
Mantis
have
is
them?
like,
And why are
shut
they
up,
at the
I'm gonna
start of
touch this worm.
Guardians of the Galaxy 2 as well? Like, what?
No, but you see, it's because they needed foundlings for Mantis to have follow around.
Hey, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I feel like we're talking about something different here.
Oh, don't you remember the giant chickens that the Mandos capture in episode 4 of season 3 that they turn into foundlings that they then eat like 4 episodes later?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's essentially what these things are for Mantis. They are foundlings.
Yeah.
So they
Would
just
you guys like High Evolutionary more if he talked like Christian?
what?
Who?
No, Delbert, no.
What the fuck are you talking about?
I don't know. It just
I don't know
entered my
why.
head and it was funny as fuck.
I know. I can't ask if you're drunk, Ryder, because I know you don't drink, unlike me.
He just has a rancor pit for no. No, he doesn't have a
Hold on,
rancor pit
hold
because
on.
a rancor pit would actually have been useful because rancors actually eat people.
He's got the Rancor pit from Book of Boba Fett that doesn't have a Rancor in it.
Boba Fett's just
no,
in the
he's got
background
one
riding
from
the
Book of
rancor.
Boba Fett where the Rancor won't eat or kill anyone because it has depression.
Oh, damn.
Remember, that's a real plot point someone wrote down on a paper and someone else said yes.
I don't
And
remember
then
because
someone
I've only
else...
seen one episode of Book of Boba Fett and it's the finale. It's the worst thing I've ever seen.
I haven't seen
Oh.
that in so long. I forgot
Well,
what
yeah,
happened.
that's an actual line of dialogue from Book of Boba Fett. Is they give him a Rancor and he's like, "Why isn't it doing anything?" And the guy goes, "Because it's depressed."
Yeah.
Thank you, Danny Trejo. Thank you.
So we could probably move on from the heist to them actually like arriving to the planet that blows
Counter
up.
Earth.
Counter Earth, yeah. High Evolutionary mentions the fact that he based this off of Earth from the 1950s, which is why everyone has like 1950s themed technology. I think we might have mentioned this during the call, after we watched it, but why don't we see like anything else about this planet besides 1950s Earth? Like, why don't we see Counter Earth China or Counter Earth France?
Well, we see Counter Earth Detroit when they drive through the streets.
Yeah, that's where they landed. It was Counter Earth Detroit.
You mean the scene where cockroaches buy meth from a squid?
Yes.
What an odd fucking thing to have in your movie. I'm sorry, that's just so
I
stupid.
love that
That
Peter.
was
I love that Peter
spoken.
Quill actually calls attention to that. He's like, I don't think a fucking perfect world has cockroaches buying meth from a squid. And then there's a pause, and High Evolution goes, No, no, no.
Oh, you're right.
It's not,
Fuck.
no, it's not
No, they
perfect,
really don't.
You're right.
Ah, shit.
I'm like,
Tell
I
me
just-
this, High Evolutionary. Do you
That's
have
why
the
I just-
DARE program?
That's why I'm even more confused by the High Evolutionary. Like, you saw our problem. If you looked at Earth and its history and the problems we had to deal with, why did you even let it come to this?
It's just funny
If-
because he's
if you
like,
had
I
full
brought the
control-
He's like, I brought the best parts of your societies. You know, everything but the bigotry. It's like, yeah, but what about the myth, though?
But the thing is,
didn't
this is
bring the
actually
DARE
something that we
program if
spoke
you had
about.
the kids
I'm
with
actually glad that we're
misfits.
talking about this part now because this is something we mentioned during our chat afterward. High Evolutionary brings attention to the fact that he thinks Earth is like home to some of the best music and culture available across the universe. But the thing is that he doesn't seem to quite understand about Earth culture and Earth music especially is that a lot of our culture and a lot of our music and a lot of our like advancements in that sort of field of the arts is only created because of the problems that we face. Like a lot of music is created because of depression or anxiety or oppression or
No, if you want to dig even deeper to like the era he's going over, if it's like a 50s, 60s kind of era, what was going on over there? That was the time of this Vietnam. Okay, was it?
as a little bit before, a little bit
I'm a little
before,
too drunk right now.
little bit before, yeah.
I'm a little too
But
drunk.
still, I
I'm
mean,
drunk.
that's like the era of the blues. That's during like
Oh no, I am drunk. I am.
the
I
civil
can't say that.
rights
I
Oh, no,
can't
you have a
situation.
lot of
But
problems.
but
yes.
you understand, like that kind of music, like the culture. The reason we have, hell, even '90s was like the kind of rebel phase against a bunch of bullshit that happened in the '80s.
Yeah, and the
Or
government.
then the '80s music was then a rebel against the '70s, and the '70s was a rebel against '60s, and so on
And
and
the
so
thing is,
forth.
you have a character who's from that era with Peter Quill, and he's like, dude, you're like making this comment of how like you removed all our bigotry and hatred, but you're missing out on the reason why all this music and stuff existed in the first place. It's because a lot of us were like making art to reflect our times, and the times were not the best, and
It's
our art
probably
reflected
why
that.
all of the music in that planet sounds like.
So are you saying,
I,
Shandy, that this could have been a moment where, um, earlier in the film during the heist, and Peter says, "I'm gonna appeal to them with my heart, with my words," and then later goes, "Nah, fuck that, I'm not doing that." This
what?
could have been a moment where he actually
He
tries to
does
do
do
that.
that, yes.
Like he tries to appeal to reason? Is that what you're
Remember,
talking about?
he tricks in the heist during the heist scene. He tricks the lady that works there. That let me talk to the security team. Let me convince them.
No,
And she
I
goes,
was more
okay.
so commenting on the fact that Peter could have highlighted
No, that
one of High
what
Evolutionary's
what
like biggest flaws is that he thinks that this bigotry and like this hatred and stuff is like a problem, which it is, but like he's missing out on a big reason for why Earth is the way that it is, and it's because we take our W's with our L's, and we just like grow as a society because of
no,
that.
what I was saying is what I was saying is it could have been a moment to make that previous scene that was a joke a setup for a later scene where he actually does try to appeal to High Evolutionary with his words, and then
I don't
High
really
Evolutionary doesn't listen.
think him appealing to High Evolutionary is something that you want to do in the scene because his priority
Fair.
would be just to grab the stuff for Rocket. But the thing I would have done is I would have had Peter be snarky by highlighting that very unique aspect of Earth culture, being like, dude, you fucking idiot, you bumbling buffoon, you shrimpleton, you cockroach
You
fucking
shrimpleton.
you cockroach
absolute
meth selling addict. Like, bruh, do you not understand that the reason why we as a species are the way we are is because we adapt to our problems? Like, he would have made fun of him in that instance. Like, dude, I don't care about your massive desire to conquer the universe or make it perfect. You're a fucking idiot because you didn't realize that one of the reasons why we as Earthlings exist is because of our problems. Like, just
I
do something
I
like
did
that.
It's a
see.
movie.
I saw like halfway through the EFAB video. I have to agree with Rags on that video. Star Trek avoided a lot of problems with the Prime Directive. It really did.
What?
He's not wrong up there. I saw halfway through the EFAB video of this of Guardians 3. Rags brings up the Prime Directive from Star Trek, and where like, do not fuck with anyone who doesn't have warp tech. Do not involve yourself with with species that are technologically on at that phase like where we're at right now, or anything below that. Whereas like
High Evolutionary don't give a fuck.
you have to let them grow. You have to let them earn that position.
Well, that's
Which
also something that gets explored in Eternals, and Rags hasn't seen that movie yet. He still thinks it's bad. So yeah,
I thought Eternals was just I
it's
didn't hate
I
it.
need to
fine.
watch that movie again.
Yeah, I do too.
I still have a big problem with the giant space face sticking out of the ocean.
What do you mean?
everyone
It never
does.
gets referenced again, ever.
That's a lie. It's in She-Hulk.
It's in
She-Hulk.
She-Hulk.
Yes, it's in She-Hulk.
Ah, yes.
She-Hulk.
The arbiter of like good MCU content, She-Hulk.
Yes, fuck you, writer, for making me put me through that. Thank you, Ryan.
Well, She-Hulk
you.
canonically owns the Marvel platform, right?
She lot.
Yeah, she owns Disney Plus, and she shills
She,
for it.
owns-
And
she pays for it
because
monthly.
that's what classic She-Hulk was, a fucking shill.
What?
No, I'm being sarcastic because I don't because in
No, I know you're being sarcastic. I just didn't get it.
oh, in the TV show, she literally pops out of the Disney Plus app and starts scrolling through the shit in it that you could be watching.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were joking.
And then
No.
she was like, "Hey, we can't have our good people here that know how to make special effects because they're working on another product." That happens in that show.
Anyways,
Yeah.
stop with the fucking tangents. We need to go back to this movie. But like,
No.
yeah,
We suck at this.
I just keep highlighting all these things that would have been interesting for the movie to explore with High Evolutionary because he's got a very deep connection with Rocket, but he also has a somewhat deep connection with Peter. And if this is supposed to be like Peter's swan song, like the last movie that we see of him before like he becomes John
Ada!
before he becomes John
No.
Random that shows up as cameo bullshit for the next few movies. It would have been cool just to see these characters like taking pot shots at this guy who's like trying to be a perfect being. Even Peter could be
Yeah.
like, "You're trying to be a godlike entity. My dad was an actual god, and he didn't even have this much of a fucking uh hate boner with perfection. Like he just let things be as they be, and he just wanted everything to be him because
And
he
his
was."
societies were much more impressive than yours.
I mean, he explored a lot of silliest. You got to know them very personally. You should know.
Yeah, he does. He got
Mhm.
he got
Fucked.
real real personal there. It's
Do
like
you fuck High Evolutionary? I doubt it.
He can't even make a society to a point where he can fuck them. He's shit. He's fucked up.
he's absolutely just demented.
That's what no pussy does to a motherfucker, right?
Rocket Raccoon, you ripped off my genitals.
Like I just want to say, like, it's not a bad thing just to have the villain just be as incompetent, at least
Never being an
in this kind of in this kind of degree where him fucking up almost all of his projects have some kind of problem. Like the Golden People, they have inflated egos, and what are the like the Star Kids? They're only on rudimentary stuff.
They can't. Well, his whole thing is that Rocket can invent. They can't. All they can do is memorize and undertake it.
Hmm.
I
Which is
think
stupid, 'cause
someone's
Why does he have? Why does he have?
I think someone's
That
trying
in
to get
itself
my
isn't a bad
attention
thing
in
for a
chat.
character
Let me have a look.
or a
Yep.
villain.
At
That in itself isn't a
Shaddy.
bad
That's
thing
not
for a
how you
villain.
spell my name, but it's okay. Sorry for going off topic, but I'm curious if you've watched 2SK's video about your take on Spider-Man 2. I think they misunderstood what you said here and there, but it's an overall interesting video. I watched about an hour and a half of that in between my shifts at work. I spent most of my time watching my own video because I didn't really care what the asthmatic person on the left had to say most of the time. I thought most of their defenses or arguments for stuff that I said was very stupid, so I just didn't bother paying attention. Very poor.
Was it one of was it one of those things where they're mad that you criticize Spider-Man 2?
It was a mixed bag between they were mad at like me talking about the movie in my own unique way, and they got really pissy at me for like making jokes. So I was like, oh, I don't care. Fine, do what you want to do, boo boo. I really don't give a shit.
Or did
Hey-
they
hey,
tackle
guys.
any of the? Did they legitimately tackle any of the points you made in your
They
review
did.
experience?
They did at one point. I think someone was
At
trying
one
to make an
point.
argument for my arrogance point, but I was I was at work, so I was in between customers. So I didn't really get to like see the full dissection of that. But I found most of the stuff that they said to not really be too what's the word I'm looking for? I didn't care really much. Like one person thought that I
About
didn't
Spider-Man
understand.
2.
One person said there that they thought I didn't understand that the movie was supposed to be a movie, and I'm like, oh, okay, if this is the kind of stuff you guys are
What the fuck
saying,
does
then
that mean?
I don't
It
fucking
had moving
know.
pictures. It had moving pictures in it, and I bought the DVD.
Like
I think I know what I'm walking in on.
the entire
Damn,
point
I
that
was
I
looking at
had,
the slideshow this whole time.
the entire point of those videos of mine was just to like go over everything about the movie, and I think I even said that at the start of my videos that like not everything I say has to be taken seriously, and if you don't really care much for them, then don't worry about it. There are big points and there are small points. I'm gonna talk about them equally. So if you want to throw a tism fit about me talking about pizza and calories, then go for it. I don't really care, but
Wait, did you make a joke in your Spider-Man 2 thing about pizza calories and
no, I
something?
didn't make a joke. I made an entire 15-minute point talking about the amount of calories Peter needed to have in order to exist as a person in this world. And then I tied that into the fact that the actual problem with that is the fact that he has no money, so he can't afford food. So I have no idea how he exists. I was
Oh
like,
damn.
yeah, no, it was fun. I had a lot of
Yeah, you
fun
can't
making that
control
video. Oh, those
a
videos. Yeah.
living situation without also taking into account his food. I didn't think about that. Huh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
See,
no, if you ever keen on talking about that, I can talk about that with you at some point, or you could just watch the video, but I had fun making it, so watching them
here's the thing.
spaz out about that, I was like,
Hey, if you guys over there who really like Spider-Man 2 see this, I grew up with Spider-Man 2. I love Spider-Man 2. I absolutely love it. That movie's got problems. I'm sorry.
it does. It does, it really
Mary
does,
Jane's
but
a bitch.
that's that. I mean, as far as I'm aware, that stream is supposed to be like 11 hours or 12 hours long. I only saw
Yikes.
about an hour and a half, maybe hour and 20 minutes, so it might have said something in there that actually like does counter something I said, which, if it does, then it does. But I didn't really get into it. It was kind of meh. So yeah.
I think I lasted 8 seconds.
You lost it 8 seconds.
Yeah,
That's a little
it was that
embarrassing,
bad.
bro. Damn.
It was that bad.
Also, I'm saying,
I was like, I got in and I'm like, they said something utterly stupid, and I was like, oh, Shandy's not going to take this seriously, so I just left.
also I
Said
say
something
an
like,
hour and 20 minutes, but it actually probably wasn't because I was at work for an hour and 20 minutes, and that was the amount of time that I spent actually like paying any sort of attention to the stream. But obviously, I wasn't like watching it consistently for an hour and 2 minutes. I was in and out because I was working. So,
I
in
really,
actuality, I think if I had to look at the amount of time I spent watching that video, maybe about 30 minutes, just having it
I
on and
really wish I
listening
could.
to it.
I really wish I could listen to stuff on my phone when working, but working around
can't
Oh,
kids
do
and
I
equipment,
tend to be like the only
you know.
person at my job most of the time, so I just like
I like
have
no,
something
I
on.
deal with dangerous equipment all around me, so not allowed. So
oh man, I'm sorry you lost your fingers, but man, I had to listen to that podcast.
no,
So
no,
Hey,
no. But you can
we
listen to
talk about
the
important
jackass.
stuff here, okay? We need to understand that Peter needs to drink 22 bottles of olive oil a day in order to fucking survive, okay? This is important shit.
oh, man, I just imagine your boss being like, "Why? What are you listening to, huh? What's so important?" He takes your headphones,
I want to
puts it in
listen
his
to my
ear.
goddamn audiobook while I'm
No,
taking
no,
bolts out of a
no.
fucking jet.
He takes your headphone, puts it in his ear, and all he hears is that joke me and Uvu made about the fact that high evolutionary doesn't get any pussy.
If he walks past that, then I get reprimanded again. Why the fuck not?
And he goes, "He doesn't.
He
Who is this
doesn't.
individual?"
Oh no.
And then your no. Then your boss like slowly starts like nodding his head and is like, "I agree. The high evolutionary does get no pussy."
You know what? I know we're going on enough tangents, but fuck it. Just today, only just to fucking today, I have to. So we're in a disassembly section of the jet we're working on at the moment. So we're taking it apart, labeling it, putting in kits, and having it looked over, like the parts to make sure they actually work before we put it all back together. So we have to cap all the electronics and hydraulics, and all that stuff is in the pre-X on the other fucking side of the hangar, but it's also on a cart with wheels to like pick and choose different sizes for different plugs. And so all I did was like, okay, hey, it's on wheels. Let me move that thing over to right next to the fucking jet. And then they made such a hissy fit. My supervisor tells me he got an email from the higher ups that don't move that without their permission. I'm like, oh, God forbid I make my job easier. Everyone was granted. Thankfully, everyone was on my side on that. It was so fucking stupid, but that's how much that. Oh, you have such even. Sorry, I'm drunk. Fuck it.
Uvu, shut the
There's my
fuck
tangent.
up.
I'm on my tangent. Thank you for indulging. Thank you for indulging me. And my
I tried
insanity.
typing it in chat, but I forgot that it sentences out the word fuck. I just yelled it at you in all caps. Shut the fuck
Thank you.
up. No,
Thank
DV,
you.
yeah, no, I didn't pay a single word of attention you said there after you said hanger. I saw that, I'm like,
Thank
Also,
you for at least letting me rant.
no, you can
Maybe a
rant
little
all
bit.
you want. Um, What were we
Yeah,
talking
I'm just
about?
playing RimWorld. Go ahead.
Uvu, I almost did something very stupid. I looked at chat while
Finish my sixth
and
beer, I think.
I almost read out your thing and went, huh, someone made a funny joke about a squirrel buying meth from a squid. And then I had to look over at the username and went, oh wait, that's the guy in this
No, I
game.
wouldn't buy the myth. I'd sell the myth.
Oh, you're the seller.
Yeah,
You sell to a squid or a cockroach
Who's
head
the
people.
squid?
I'm selling it to the high evolutionary
You're
so
the
it can get.
squids. You're the squids dealer. You
I'm the
sell
squid
to the
supplier.
squid. You're the fucking like kingpin of drugs.
Oh
Man,
man, I want to see this version of the story where squirrels just take over the meth empire.
Fuck it, they should have made the High Evolutionary like the guy that was the bad guy in the Super Mario Bros. Movie, the Bob Hoskins one.
What?
Bitches, bitches,
No,
bitches,
because
bitches,
he orders pizza from the squid guy, and then later during the final battle, he gets a call on his radio getting served a pizza.
Oh, you're talking about the live action one. I'm like, that
I
didn't
love
happen
that
in the
movie.
Mario
Bob
movie.
Hoskins one?
I didn't know who that is.
He's the guy that plays Mario. You don't know Bob Hoskins?
No.
Never seen Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
No,
What? Seriously?
I'm serious. I've never seen Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Oh
Yeah,
man, that's
Hearing
that's
this?
you need to watch that one.
Maybe, yeah, I'll watch Who Framed. Does it have a guy who gets no pussy and then like makes a planet so he can make the perfect pussy?
I mean, yeah. It has a
There
character that doesn't
Yeah.
get pussy,
Yeah.
there is a character, yes.
and he does want to destroy an entire civilization. So
No,
Yeah,
no, I was
yeah. Basically the same
talking about
character.
I was talking about the rabbit's wife. Robert.
Who fucked
Rabbit
Roger Rabbit's
Rodriguez.
wife?
Rabbit Rodriguez.
Roger Ebert's rabbit wife.
You just see him in the background playing with his son, and then they like use Mandalorian action figures to make the tragedy. Anyways, back to the movie.
Yeah,
What were we talking about?
I think
I
start doing because we list a lot of negatives. Do you
Uh,
guys want to list some positives before we get to the final act? Or
No.
Oh,
Final act.
yeah, we're at the credits. Didn't you know? Uvu?
I'm sorry,
Kinda
but like,
blacked out.
We haven't
I'll
even
talk about
finished
the
heist yet.
I'll talk
It was
about the
TV.
positives of this movie, but like, the positive of this movie confused me because if you watch this movie like I did, where you don't really think about a lot of the stuff going on, then this movie has a lot of positives. The problem is when you actually start talking about this movie, you start thinking about it, the positives don't really mean much. Like, the relationship between Rocket and his friends in their cages is really neat on paper until you think about it and like, why the fuck does this guy just have a walrus in like a wheelchair? What purpose does this creature serve? Why does he remove the arms from an otter? Like, is he trying to make like a super powered otter slave
Yeah, I don't
race type thing?
understand this
Like,
either.
why does the rabbit have no mouth and turn into a spider? What purpose does this serve?
Yeah,
It's like
this
this
is
just
batch
seems just like
89 as well. This is the 89th
why?
batch.
the 89th
Why?
batch. It's like, yeah,
Because the
I feel
rabbit
like a
goes-
regular rabbit is just more useful than a rabbit with spider legs. Like,
Apparently
why?
he goes straight from this to making his perfect society in one batch.
Hey, Mr. High Evolutionary, sir.
no.
This little rabbit with the thing over its mouth. How does it eat?
Floor.
I wonder what. Okay, so here's what happened. So I think he just fell off. I think that's what's happening. So he created like literal gods and like the fucking sovereign. He created like other people as well, and then like he goes into his like a furry phase, and he's like, I really need to create animal people. Like I really want to fuck animal people right now.
Son of a
So he
bitch,
goes
you
through this
stole my
massive.
joke.
So he goes through this massive fucking phase where he's just like, yo, I need to make these animal people. You don't understand how much I need this.
I really
and
need
then
to
he
see
just falls off.
cockroaches buying meth from a squid.
He just falls off. Where are the myth cockroaches in Sovereign Land? Why did you go backwards, my man?
He's monologuing to Peter about it, and he's like, Peter, when I went back to Earth, I discovered this online place called DeviantArt.
No. That's not what he says. He says, Peter, I discovered this
Good
secret organization that exists in the United States called the CIA, and I find out that they supplied a specific ethnic group in the United States with this white powdered material that led to all of them going to prison. And I introduced that to my own system. Because what happened on the Americas is that it led to them creating more fantastic music And I've been bored listening to Beethoven for the last 500 years, so I needed something new. But unfortunately, I raised an animal kingdom, and they all speak in clicks and clocks. So my music is terrible. So I'm gonna.
Sounds like shit.
My music sounds like shit. And then Peter's
Have
like,
you
"Well, it's
heard
because you
the
gave them
animal
meth, not
version of
cocaine, you
Nuthouse?
idiot."
This
Peter-
is what, yeah, this is what happens when like SoundCloud rap. You skip straight to SoundCloud rap because of cocaine, and everyone's like,
You skip right to
No good
Xanax
music.
instead of cocaine.
I made this civilization from scratch to counter Earth, and yet somehow these stupid fucking animals still created young Sheldon.
Sheldon.
Don't
They
you
skip-
understand? I have to nuke them all.
He's got a point.
This is the version
Isn't
of
that-
Peter where it's like, I get it, man. I understand. Go for it.
Feel that.
I'm
I feel
leaving.
that, man.
Just let me take my thing for Rocket, and then
Uvu,
I'll let you bomb
ruined
your
me.
planet.
Every time he says Peter now, Uvu, I think of you going, Peter.
Peter.
It's all over. It's all over.
It's all Jover.
You did this to me.
But yeah. Did you guys have any positives for this movie? They absolutely are, don't get me wrong. Like, I think visually this is like one of the better looking Phase 4, Phase 5 Marvel movies. This actually looks
talking
like...
about the
What?
you talking about the movie in general, or are you talking about
Yeah.
this like
The
part
movie in-
we're on?
The movie in general.
What about like the rest of it? Are we gonna cover the rest of it?
Yeah, we are going to talk about the rest of it, but we just like been on
Okay.
like a negative tirade, so let's just list out some positives.
I really, like I said earlier, I really think the emotional core has a lot going for it. It just needs more, more
Substance.
propping it up. Like if we made a lot of the choices, I would still keep some of the emotional stuff. Well, most of the emotional stuff the same as it is. Like I
Yeah.
don't see any problem with the rocket scenes other than a couple of like goofy things that happen with the high evolutionary, which we would fix anyway with fixing his character.
By making him furry, yes.
So yeah, exactly. So I don't see them as a negative on the movie. I see the execution as the negative. The music was really like hit or miss for me. Honestly, I didn't really like a lot of the songs that they used. And like we said, we could have tied that into the plot a lot better than they did. They did try to, but it's just not very well. Let's see. The acting was really good. I like the acting. I don't like a lot of the character work. It was pretty skimpy on detail, and then was just like, I mean, I liked some of the moments, like the one where he starts the explosion in the self-destruct sequence in the thing, and it blows up Adam Warlock, and then they both smile at each other, and you're like, oh yeah, these are the things that they could have bonded over originally. Like, I like this. Like, this is good. But it does come directly after the scene where Adam Warlock punches a hole in the ship, and this space doesn't kill them. So yeah. It's most of the good things are built off of the back of bad things, and that's the main problem that I have.
Yeah,
with this movie.
that's what I mentioned earlier on. It's like the
and then
good moments
there's-
just like fade out because you think about it more.
Exactly. It's a lot. It happens a lot with the tonal whiplash. You'll have like, haha, funny
Oh,
joke.
for
Oh, by the
fuck.
way, yeah. Haha, funny joke. Oh, by the way, Gamora, please come back and think me. Haha, funny joke. By the way, Magic Cliff. Gamora, please come back. Funny. It's the tonal whiplash.
Green
It's
for
so
blue,
fucking
blue
weird.
for orange, orange for red,
Yeah.
black for.
And
It's
then-
like, oh my god.
and then
please
it's like,
shut
oh,
the fuck up.
Rex is almost dead. He's been shot twice by a weapon that's bolted him off the floor. Nebula's been shot in the back. She's coughing blood up on the floor. Oh, now the guys are floating everywhere, and there's funny music happening, and Groot is just like, oh, it's my time to come in, and flies through the wall. Yeah.
Yes,
it's
Groot,
really
it looked
cool.
very cool. Very cool.
And okay, so there's one other thing that I kind of liked, and it was a conversation that could have been really good. I would have kept it mostly the same if I was talking about it was the one that I mentioned at the start. I would have kept it mostly the same, even if we're talking about rewrites. It's when he's like, yeah, society is it needs to have invention. It needs to have that spark. Memorization isn't enough to create a truly great society. Which I mean, it's kind of what happened in the one that he made anyway. But anyway, I digress. And then the lady's like, no, we need to rely on these new things that we've made, these star children that can live off 30 calories a day and can run for, have an hour of sleep a week. We need to rely on this. And then he's like, no, all they can do is memorize. I need that spark. I need what Rocket Raccoon is to me. And it's like, yeah, you actually get like him having a smart interface, or like an interesting interface at least, with one of his attendants, which we never see elsewhere. And then it has like that random fucking mutiny scene where she's like, I'm taking over the ship now because you're obsessed with the raccoon, which I mean makes sense, but it's like we don't get any other characters like that on his side. We get the fat I think like fat Asian-ish guy who has like the computer on the side of his head, and he's just like a grunting maniac who punches the animals and goes, "Ha ha! You fell for the trap!" And it's like, what? I just want something interesting to be on the higher evolutionary side.
No, but
I
don't you
want more.
understand that was a face-off because Peter knew it was going to be a trap, which is why he fell for the trap anyways and almost killed his friends.
So he pulled his face off. Oh yeah.
He
Speaking of
pulled
that,
his
they
face
fucking.
off.
Speaking of that, they the comms in that last act, like the comms, my man. No one talks to each other when they should. Everyone talks to each other when it's plot convenient.
Peter
It's
accepts
BS.
that Nebula died.
Yeah.
He gets told by Gamora that they were on the planet, and then he's like, "Oh, Drax, Nebula, and my half sister Mantis died," and then he forgets about it because Rocket's alive.
I forgot that. I can't believe I forgot.
Yeah,
that.
no,
I-
like they just fuck off entirely.
Overwhelmed by the fact that he has to save Rocket. When Rocket starts dying, it's like all too much because he's losing Rocket while thinking he's lost the others as well.
I don't kind of. So here's the thing I'm on about. I want to mention stuff that I feel didn't really get talked about much in terms of the content that I saw. Because I feel like Mauler and Gang went into a lot of detail about like the plot related tisms, and I think so did Meme and the rest of the gang over there. The only thing that I disagree with them on was like they thought the first two Guardians movies were weak in a few spots when it came to like plot related stuff, and I don't agree, but that's fine. Um, I was focusing more on like the idea of what this movie could have been, which is what my entire gimmick was. But talking about the actual plot related problems would definitely help that and explaining why I feel this specific way. So, um, in terms of like them escaping the planet and them like getting away from the exploding planet, so firstly, the fact that none of the Guardians like try to rescue any of the locals, big problem. These are the Guardians of
I
the
agree.
galaxy we're talking about, yet they don't defend the citizens of the galaxy when their home planet is blowing up. I mean, Drax punches a guy off of his scooter, probably
Man's
almost
dead
kill
now.
him. Yeah, that guy's probably dead,
No,
and he
he is
doesn't
dead. There are
care.
no survivors on that planet.
No, none at all. They care a lot about rescuing the kids and the lower life form animals that will probably be eaten in like a day because yeah, Drax almost ate Rocket in the first movie because he's like, "Oh, I remember these squirrel things or these raccoon things in the first movie. We roasted them over a pit fire and they were quite delicious." It's like, "Yeah, I could probably see why you ate them. This was done as a joke, but in universe they would probably eat these fucking things." Um,
Yeah.
so, but I guess not. I guess everyone just became a PETA advocate and they started like becoming vegetarian as a result because Rocket had like a change in conscience or something. Maybe.
The Cosmo's just leading the forefront on that. You know it.
Yep.
Cosmo's just like, no, everyone good dog. Even though Cosmo
Mm.
would probably eat squirrels.
She is a good dog. That's true.
Yeah.
But I have a quick question, and it bothered me the whole movie. I hated it. I absolutely hated it.
Did
What?
you hate?
Why is the dog CGI?
Dog is CGI?
Yeah.
I guess that
Russia.
makes sense, but I never really noticed.
Seriously?
No?
Oh, it stood out to me like a sore thumb. It was really bad.
I
was
guess it's because I
so
watched the movie in 3D, so everything looked like shit at one point, so I just
I
didn't notice.
I had like cataracts for that one movie, and every time I try to watch it, it looks like it's in 480p. I'm not sure why, but yeah, I didn't really notice it. So probably because of that.
fair enough. I liked. I
Oh,
think Chris
yeah.
Pratt was solid. He did a really good job with the stuff he was given. I think.
Wick mentioned something that's we actually talked about after we finished watching the movie. They brought the entirety of Nowhere to come and fight High Evolutionary. And
Yeah. Why?
Nowhere is
But
home
not
to like
Ah.
a few thousand civilians, like unarmed civilians, by the way. And they were so like surprised when High Evolutionary doesn't just take the massive cannon to the face without defending himself and sends the horde of flying demons their way. And then like, oh no, that's a bad idea. And they don't have any sort of mounted cannons for defenses. They don't have ships. They don't have an armed ground force after they've just been attacked by Adam Warlock. They all rely on Cosmo and they all rely on Kraglin to magically arrow his way to victory.
I like how like they're chilling right outside of High Evolutionaries, and then they're shooting him with a cannon, and then High Evolutionaries like, "Rawr, I release my Hellspawn." He releases like 12,000 Hellspawn that instantly swarm them, and they're like climbing up the side and ripping into nowhere. And Kraglin's just sitting there like doing nothing, just waiting. He's just like, "Huh, that's kind of right." No. He's like, "Huh, that's kind of bad." Because when they do eventually breach into nowhere into the city, everyone's like, "Huh, what the fuck is that?" Because no one's told them. 'Cause no one knows that it's happening. They're just like, "Wait, what the fuck?" They're just like, "Huh?" They're not like ready for the threat. No one's because Kraglin didn't tell them. He's just
Like
like,
I
"Huh."
thought the entire like climax was just going to be Kraglin getting the Ravagers to come and help, and then like they all arrive in their ships, like you would expect them to do. But no, he just fucking sends the entirety of nowhere there, and he blows them up with the fucking face rocket. Like I thought knee rockets were bad, but now it's just a fucking face rocket.
They're like space pirate Gorian Shard.
Space Pirate Courage shot.
I was
Oh, no.
surprised by just how much the High Evolutionary's ship got fucked up by the Guardians.
Yeah, they didn't have any sort of shields. They didn't have any sort of like outer defenses against like tertiary attacks. They didn't have like sort of, any repair protocols put in place to like close up any gaps in the system. They didn't have any sort of like anti-fire system going on. Like you didn't see any sort of aliens running around with fire extinguishers like trying to pull out of the flames. And then High Evolutionary, the genius that he is, decides to kill like all 16 people in his room who were aiming guns at him, and instead of like being, oh no, I mean I control like gravity, I'll just throw you guys away and like pick up your guns and like use it against you. I'm not gonna kill you guys all because I actually need this room to be operational because it like controls where the ship goes. No, I'm gonna blow up the control room and somehow still win. Yeah, I have no idea what his plan was at the
High
end of the movie.
Evolutionary is the guy that set his house on fire, stands in the middle of said house and says, "This is
This is
fine."
fine, yeah. I have no idea what he was planning on doing. This is like, you're supposed to be smart, right? Like, I get your arrogance and I get that you're emotionally prone to anger. Fine, whatever. But you're not stupid. But you are actually very fucking stupid. What are you doing?
So, DB, you may or may not have predicted a certain thing. My score has lowered somewhat during this discussion. I still
Yeah.
like it, but man, there's a
Yeah,
lot
like,
more.
I don't
Yeah.
think I'm going to like watching this movie again. It actively pisses
I
me
will.
off.
I liked watching it again. I liked it a lot more watching it this time than I watched it the first time.
I think I need to just give it like a bit of a resting period before I watch it again because thinking about it while watching it actively annoyed me.
It is
Mm.
fucking terrible though. Don't get me wrong.
I wouldn't say it's
It-
terrible.
Like I would much rather be watching other stuff. Nothing
You
out of
can
Marvel
probably,
after
I don't
like
know, it's
Eternals,
probably
but yeah.
worse for this movie to watch the movie's taste out of your mouth with the game.
Oh,
But that would probably just make that would probably make this movie look even worse.
I'd
so
rather watch the
I
holiday
don't,
special.
I don't hate this movie. I still like it despite all the problems. It's just the problems are going to be more noticeable. So I'm wondering if the second time I watch the movie, I'll be like, oh,
I don't hate this movie. I just hate what it represents. And what it represents is a rushed product. It's it's
does give
the
that impression.
it's the love child
The
of
Mando season 3 of,
No, no,
of the
no, no, no.
Guardians of
It's
the
No,
it's
this is
it's
nowhere
the
close to Mando 3. This is nowhere
No,
close
I'm
to
talking
that.
about in terms of being rushed, you fuckernauts. I'm not saying it's equal in quality. Those
It-
two seasons are inferior products due to the fact that they were rushed out the door.
it's the love child of a movie where the main director got fired in 2019 for making edgy jokes in 2007 and then hastily brought back because everyone realized that they were being cringe. And then as like a counter to their fuck up, they're like, "Oh, let's just give this guy all of the
Super.
creative control possible so that we don't face any sort of further backlash from people online." And then what happened? They removed the two writers that worked on the previous movies, and then they just left the entire writing process to James Gunn. And then James Gunn's like, "Oh, I don't have anyone to hold me back from making utter and complete fucking cringe. I'm entirely pissed off at the Russos for ruining any sort of um,
Setup.
setup that I had in the previous movies. I have all these um, plot threads just hanging loose. I have Adam Warlock that I need to do something with. I have Gamora that I need something to do with. I have Nowhere that I have something to do with. I have Kraglin that I have something to do with. I have Peter's backstory and his granddad that I still need to do something with that hasn't been mentioned since Guardians of the Galaxy fucking 1 in the first 10 minutes. I have Rocket who now needs to lead the Guardians, but I also want to do something with Rocket, but I also don't want him in the fucking movie because I have all this other shit that I need to do with, so I'm going to kill him off for like the first 90% of the movie, unless it's like the 10 minutes of backstory that's gonna make grown men cry in the theater. I have Drax that I need something to do with, but not actually because he's a fucking bumbling idiot now. I have Mantis, who was like supposed to be the passive one of the group, and now she's a fucking bitch for reasons. I have Nebula, who's always been a bitch, but now she's giga bitchy for some reason. I have Gamora, who's I've already mentioned, but now she's also a bitch. It's like, what the fuck? So much shit in this movie. Groot's there. He says hi every once in a while. And then
He
it's
He
says,
like,
"I
says
love
I
you
am
guys."
Groot, yeah, every time.
he says, I
Actually,
love
no,
you
that was
guys at the
another
end
good
of the
thing.
movie. Yeah.
That was another good thing in the movie.
Groot
Was
learning
the
English.
I am Groot line where he's just saying I am Groot throughout it, and then Gamora's like, "How can you understand him?" And then they keep doing it, and then by the end he's like, "What? You turned into a parachute and got them out of the thing?" And then he's like, "You're just making shit up that he's saying, aren't you?"
Yeah, that
That was
actually
like,
was,
that was a
yeah,
good joke.
that was
I
funny.
do like. I really like that the whole Guardians family can understand Groot now.
Yeah, I think
I
that's
like
cool.
that. That just makes sense. And I also like that Groot is starting to learn English as well. Like he can speak it by the very end.
Kaiji
Remember?
mode, though.
I'm not Groot.
I'm not Groot.
Oh, I forgot. You guys probably don't know this, but or maybe you looked it up somewhere, but in the mid-credit scene, it's revealed that Groot is now King Groot. I guess that's what he's called in the comics when he's that big, but he got fucking huge, like Hulk huge.
I did not know.
Yeah, they show him in the mid-credits as he got older, and he's
Me and my
swole.
dad didn't even stay for the post credits. We just left. We just like, nah, I don't care. Let's just go home.
So the second post-credits, because there's the mid-credits and there's the post-credits, which is the thing
We
Marvel's doing
saw
now.
we saw the mid
The
credits,
second
but we
one,
didn't see the post credit.
so the post one is literally Peter just sitting at a table with his granddad eating cereal, and he's like, I don't know how comfortable I feel mowing that guy's lawn. He's got an able-bodied son that just won't do it for him. That just strikes me as odd. And his dad's like, "Oh man, don't even get me started." And Peter goes, "Well, now I want to know, Dad." And he's like, "Well, I'll tell you later." And he's like, "All right." And then the next couple minutes is just Peter eating cereal, and then it fades to black, but you could still hear him eating cereal. And then text comes on screen saying the legendary Star-Lord will return, and then it cuts to black.
I don't know what any of that was supposed to mean.
I don't either, but apparently Peter is just eating cereal with his granddad, and he'll be back.
All right
That's
then.
it.
Good
Okay.
for him.
That's a scene. That's one of the scenes of all time. As
Yeah,
this is
that is
also one
a
of the
scene.
movies of all time.
Is it a better scene than the one where Morbius says it's Morbin time?
No,
All right then.
that's just not right.
I still don't know if if that even happens. I
Me and DB are going out of our way to never watch that movie because we don't want it to confirmed whether or not he says it.
I've seen that movie and I can't remember anything in it.
I've seen that movie like
that
5 times. It's
that
a
helps.
masterpiece.
That helps, I guess.
Oh yeah, there he is. There's King Groot is apparently what he's
Jesus
called.
King Gorian
Christ.
Shard.
Bro,
Jesus Christ! What do they feed this thing?
fertilizer.
He's a biggin. He's a big boy.
Brick.
Yeah.
Just fed him brick.
I just love how fucking Kraglin is just like got that beer belly. He's just-
Oh, so the Guardians in the scene when they're talking to each other, they're talking about who their favorite music performer is, because I guess it's established this is several years later, as you can tell by looking at fucking Groot.
I don't know about that because apparently Thor: Love and Thunder takes place the exact same year this movie does, and if you remember that movie, Groot was still like teenage Groot from Infinity War.
He got full of roids, I guess.
They just
I feel,
they pumped
unfortunately,
him with cocaine.
They
unfortunately,
forgot.
They gave
James
him the
Gunn
meth
fell.
from the cockroach.
Gunn seems to have fallen into the trap the other Marvel writers are, where they go, "Okay, I'm gonna look at my own work, but I'm not gonna look at everyone else's."
Yeah,
It's like,
which
oh,
annoys me.
Visible
Which is what I mentioned
control.
earlier on, where I would have like preferred if there was some sort of continuity between films, but this movie goes out of its way to actively ignore everything else, which is
oh,
fine for some stuff, but annoying for others.
So I have breaking news, guys, because I was looking into it while we were talking. James Gunn has an explanation for the helmet.
Okay.
Great.
You
Know
forgot
what
it.
it is?
You forgot it.
Bullshit.
Oh man, I guess you win the cookie, Shandy, because he says it was in his desk drawer on nowhere, and he was leaving in a hurry, so he forgot it.
Cool.
So
You
I
should
just
have
kinda
one on the
forgot
ship.
it, you know.
No, that's James Gunn's explanation is, oh, he kind of forgot it.
Also, I don't buy that explanation at all because Peter is supposed to be like on his way to rescue his friend, so he would want to have like the correct tools to do the job. I highly doubt that he's forgetting his mask, which has been like the thing he always has on him besides his guns. It would be like saying he forgot his guns
and his
because he's in a
Walkman.
hurry. Like,
No, that's like
shut the
saying he
fuck up.
forgot
No,
his
he wouldn't.
Walkman.
Oh,
His
he,
quote, by the way, I'm gonna read out what he exactly says, and it comes across as, "It's obvious." He goes, "It's in his desk drawer on nowhere. He had to get out of there fast, as you know."
yeah, no, that's stupid.
Yeah, that's the explanation. It's just
And yet he'll go on a tangent where he will teach Nebula how to open a fucking car door instead of getting
yes.
in his ship or putting on the jetpack that is
The
probably
fucking
faster than the fucking car.
I'm sorry,
He
I
also
really
doesn't
like
know
that.
how to drive a car, by the way. He doesn't. He has no idea. He's figuring it
He
out as
figured
he
it out.
goes. Yeah, this definitely comes across as a guy who's in a fucking hurry and who will forget his mask, but he's also the same guy who will checks notes. Learn how to drive a car because apparently driving a car is harder than a spaceship. Uh, checks notes. Teaches Nebula how to open up a car door. Checks notes. Gets angry at Drax for lying down on a sofa. Checks notes. Tries to speak English to an alien creature instead of going to the
That's weird
pyramid.
too. Why? So when they get to Counter Earth, he has to speak to the creatures there, but he's speaking in English and not. It's very strange.
Like, do they not have like some sort of scanner that like detects where the fucking high evolutionary will be? Like,
I
oh,
cannot believe his picture works.
what the fuck?
So Peter Quill goes, okay, I'm gonna draw who I'm looking for, and he draws what might be the shittiest looking face I've ever seen drawn. And when he shows it to the lady, she knows who he's talking about. She goes, "Oh, that guy," and it
Apparently,
works.
apparently, High Evolutionary's tower is close enough that they can see it outside this lady's window, but they don't
That's
see it
just
just driving
stupid.
there. So they don't see it just like flying the ship around. Nebula or Gamora doesn't point out like, what about that giant pyramid thing there that doesn't look anything like the architecture around us, like at all? And then Peter's like, yeah, no, I don't remember Minnesota or Missouri looking like that. Let's go check it out. And then they see fucking Pig Lord and Squid Man
War
selling
Pig.
meth and all these. I don't care. Doing all these fucking weird things on the side. Like, yeah, no, those things don't look anything like the panda mowing his lawn outside. Let's go check that.
I thought they looked straight out of Quake 4
Quake 4.
or
I've never
Doom
played it.
3.
Never played Doom 3 either. Should I?
The fuck? Yeah, survival horror Doom with the shittiest shotgun ever.
That sounds terrible.
Just get a mod that fixes the weapons, and you'll have a good time.
Survival horror Doom. No, just the concept alone sounds bad.
I mean, it's pretty cool.
Nah.
Just, the shotgun sucks.
Wait, no, isn't Doom 3 like the one Doom game where John Romero is like, this game's terrible?
He didn't design it. It was like, I think,
Yeah,
or
but he
I
like
think,
actively shits on it.
so there's a really funny image of him at like something where people are like bringing him copies of Doom 1 and 2 to sign, and there's a very famous image where someone is handing him Doom 3, and
And he
he
like
is like,
frowns.
dude, he looks disgusted. He's looking at it like,
Like someone handed him a like rotting peach. He's like,
yeah.
oh.
I'll try to find it and send it to you later, but it's a really great image of him like looking at Doom 3, like, what the fuck am I looking at?
I've seen it. I've seen it. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, but the War Pig and her friend, when I saw them, I went, those guys look fucking insane. They look straight out of Doom 3.
Yeah.
Kind of
But
don't fit this aesthetic that he's got going on. They look cool
speaking
though.
of don't fit the aesthetic, I don't understand why High Evolutionary designed his hybrid monsters to look like that. Like, does that look anything like a perfect being to you? Does that look
Listen,
anything like what a supposed godlike entity who wants to create the perfect species would make.
Look,
Sorry, I'm
he
back. I
went
need to
through
go get me a
phase.
Schmalwar.
Oh. He went through a phase, much like he is currently going through his weird furry phase with these animal people. He went through a phase when he made War Pig and
I
other
think part
guy.
of his brain leaked out of his
Doom
nose out
phase.
of after Rocket beat the shit out of him.
He played Doom Eternal, and he's like, "Fuck yeah, animal hybrid
funny
mechanical
because
beast."
it's when you mentioned Doom because I told him that Shandy that they reminded me of Doom 3.
Yeah. And during that phase, he wasn't listening to classical music; he was listening to death metal.
Yes.
Nah, like
I'll be right back. I'll be like 5 minutes. Sorry.
Yeah,
Just gotta
that's
go
He was
fine.
gym.
listening he was listening to Creed.
Creed. Oh no.
I'm imagining High Evolutionary with long black hair listening, "Can you take me higher?" as he's trying to create these
Oh
horrible
no, now
hybrid
you're just reminding me of Titan AE and how desperately I need to watch that movie again.
Titan AE is so good, dude.
Titan AE is
I
pretty
forgot
based. I
there's
should
multiple
watch that
Creed
movie
films.
just to wash the taste of Guardians 3 out of my mouth.
I really don't think Guardians 3 it doesn't do that to me. Like it's got problems, but I still enjoy it and I'd still enjoy going back and watching it.
I don't know, man. Like, expectations weren't the highest, but there's like a certain level of
Neither were
quality I've come to expect from James Gunn's work. And I haven't seen anything that drastically bad from him before. I mean, I know the Suicide Squad gets crapped on a lot by people who think it's like a 3 out of 10. I don't think it's a 3 out of 10. I think at least it's like a 6. It's got some
Yeah, I
problems for
think the
sure, but
Suicide Squad
like
is strong.
it's got some pretty strong character work. I quite like the use of music in there. The action's pretty neat, except for like one or two scenes. So yeah, this is like a 3. This is like one of the worst James Gunn projects I've ever seen, and it really
Oh,
upsets me.
wow. So, does this fill you with any form of confidence for his Superman project?
I feel like there's more passion behind his DC projects recently, just because. So I think since he's got creative control of DC and he's got an entire team of writers who's backing him up, I feel like they will be more careful with DC going forward, especially since they have to kind of like.
I'm not so sure about that
No,
because
I am because
it doesn't even matter to me. Wouldn't really matter how skilled Gunn is if he doesn't even understand the character of Superman. Because rather, you probably know more about what Gunn said or whatever fucking tweet he posted about what he thinks of Superman.
I don't actually.
I could have sworn. Yeah, I must have been thinking of someone else talking about
I don't know.
Superman.
I did see an interview where apparently I think someone asked him about it, and he said something about how he wants to make a movie that not only makes people feel more happier about themselves, but about the stranger next to them, and that's the kind of power he wants this
Oh,
movie
was
to
it
have.
was it the origin story that's
Oh
not an
yeah,
origin
he
story
said this
thing?
movie's not an origin story. It's not an origin story. Don't worry
A
about it. It's
bit
just
more.
about Clark Kent's first time at the Daily Planet and him coming to terms with his
There's something
Kryptonian
else
heritage.
more about it, but that's really see.
I'm just gonna be open and honest. I have no doubts in my mind that he would actually like try his hardest to make a really compelling Superman character. I feel like a
I do
big
too.
I feel like a big issue with this movie is its direct connection to the MCU, and I feel like he's
Hmm.
very clearly upset that he had to deal with a lot of shit. So I am fine with like taking away some of the blame aimed towards him, the same way I'm fine with taking some of the blame aimed towards like Taika Waititi, because Marvel has just had a very consistent run of just releasing shit after shit because they can and they know it makes money. With DC, I'm a little bit more confident in his ability to make DC projects there because Peacekeeper was like one of the best things I've seen just in general. Like it's a really fun TV show, and that's set where like what's his name again? Josh Whedon's Justice League is canon, and Josh Whedon's Justice League is like a 3 out of 10. Movie's bad.
Hmm.
Suicide Squad's canon.
Joss Whedon's Justice League is horrible, but I still think it's better than Zack Snyder's.
Is that a hot take? I
No,
think.
Depending on who you ask. Depending on who you ask.
Yeah, I'm
depending on
asking
who you,
people,
depending
not
on who you
not
ask.
Snydernoids. I'm asking people, not Snydernoids.
No, I'd
No.
say yeah. No, I think it would be considered a hot take because I've asked some coworkers some about that. And they're like the normies of norms, and they prefer Snyder Cut. I'm
I
like,
have no idea why.
why?
Snyder Cut is misery.
Why?
Snyder Cut is actual misery porn.
It is
Like
actual garbage.
it's
Um,
terrible. Like, don't
It's
get me wrong,
especially what it
the
did to
Josh Whedon cut's
Superman.
bad as well, but like
Mhm.
at
At least it handles Superman better.
least I can see what's going on.
Yeah. I can't
have a
tell you
thing for justice.
how much happier I am when Superman in Joss Whedon version, when he's flying out of the sky to punch Deadpool, he goes, "Hey, is this guy still bothering you?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's actually Superman and not Snyder Man."
I see where you're coming from. At the same time, it makes me think of Angry Joe's reaction to that movie and how he gave it like a higher score because of it. I'm like, Angry Joe, no.
Angry Joe, no! Well, then
But-
again, Angry Joe is also the guy that wrote off the Terminator Resistance game because the colored lasers coming out of the guns weren't the right color.
What?
Yeah. So Terminator Resistance is actually
you
a pretty
know,
solid Terminator game, and he wrote
I
that game
found-
off because he didn't like the laser color.
I played
Very
that
silly.
last year. It was actually pretty good.
Very
That's
silly
pretty good.
individual. I haven't played the game and it looks like fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's got some silly romances in it too.
Where were we again with this movie? I keep forgetting.
We
We're-
were
I think we're
ranting about the fact that James Gunn said that Peter just kind of forgot the mask because he was in a hurry.
Yeah, I think I mentioned that Peter wouldn't really forget that because he's like
No,
got
he
the
wouldn't.
priority of rescuing. Yeah, that I guess that just comes
Have
down
we
to a
even
wider.
explained why it's important he forgot his mask in the movie? Have we even?
Well,
explain
I mean, the
that?
mask lets him travel in space without the need to like die,
Mm-hmm.
so
No,
that's
I meant
really
like
important.
in the movie, the reason why he forgot it. Just
The
to
reason
explain
why
the
he
point.
forgot it is so that later there's drama when he's blown out into space and is dying and his face starts inflating.
You know, you could fix
Yeah.
that. You could actually have drunken Peter Quill coming out, put his helmet on, and then try and get in a fist fight with Adam Warlock, and then Adam Warlock punches him so fucking hard the helmet breaks. There you go. Easy problem.
There you go.
Fixed.
We fixed it. We fixed
Done.
it.
Well, maybe not so
Sweet.
hard that the helmet breaks, because I feel like that would probably kill Peter, but maybe like gets shot in the face by Adam Warlock's blaster and it like breaks the helmet or something. I don't know.
Or maybe have a
Something.
thing where it is broken a little bit, and then Peter, because Rocket's kidnapped in our version,
Yeah.
Peter goes, Rocket could have repaired this better than I could, and he does do a repair on it, but it's kind of a shoddy craftsmanship. So there's still that tension when he's in space of will it work or will it not.
Yeah, and then it, like malfunctions, and then he has to like take it off, and then you, I don't know, don't have a bad scene because Adam Warlock would actually be a decent character by this point. So him saving him
Adam
would be
Warlock is
fine.
fucking terrible in this movie.
Yeah, he's fucking. I mean, we've already listed like a few examples of
Yeah.
how he could have been better, so I don't really want to
Did
like
we talk
dredge
about the
that up
scene
again.
where he just kind of rees at Groot and then kind of falls asleep?
No.
No.
He shows up, looks at Groot and goes, ah, and then
And
falls asleep.
this after he gets blown up from the ship.
Yeah, guys, I want to
His
stress Adam Warlock
durability
is
is
defeated by Peter Quill.
His durability is very inconsistent because he can somehow survive a planet blowing up in his face and crawl back to Gamora's ship, but then a ship crashing into a hangar bay knocks him out for a decent
I
while.
feel like if they wanted to do the thing where, and now he's on their side because a High Evolutionary killed his mom,
It's either
then
that or you could.
you should probably have him fight alongside the Guardians for a bit rather than just do nothing.
It's kind of like what we talked about earlier. Like you could have the Guardians fighting High Evolutionary. They're losing because High Evolutionary is just like giga powerful, and then Adam Warlock comes in to like help them out. You could probably have done that.
And that will be his introduction as a Guardian, the fact that he helped defend them
Yeah.
from High Evolutionary. Like,
Yeah.
literally anything else, James. You're usually really good at this. How did you fumble so hard with Adam? How?
Mm.
That's Adam Warlock from the game, by the way.
That man's a Giga Chad.
Yeah.
Granted, he does shave and get a haircut, but he still looks that
Still.
cool.
No, I would probably
Yeah.
show this on screen. Actually, I think I'm going to. Let me just
You go for it. It's from the video game.
open
It's
link.
concept art, like
There
when
we
you
go.
first see him in the game.
Chat.
Yeah, it
That
looks
is
good.
apparently what he looks like in the game. That is
That's
Adam Warlock from the game. The man's a
Looks-
unit.
Yeah,
Oh,
he
by the
beats
way,
the
his
shit out of
actual
everybody.
uniform with the cape and everything looks better than the movie also.
You want to send it?
I do
let
not
me look.
have it.
I got it. Give me a second.
He's got it.
I forget
He is an
everything.
absolute unit of an individual, yes.
I might just do a little like arc where I just stream the game. It sounds like fun.
Go for it. I'll join for that. Oh, you know what? Don't stream the game because this game has a really bad streamer mode.
Oh yeah, because the copy they didn't take into account the copyrighted music.
So there are going to be
Whenever
scenes that are emotional that require that music be on, but streamer mode just turns it off. So
I'm
it's just
not
going to
gonna
be
lie,
background sound.
this is a very, very bad comparison to the like Giga Chat image. Like, is this concept art and this is like versus what he looks like actually in game?
So
that
the first image is what he looks like when you first meet him in the game.
because the
and
second
you have
image
to
looks
actually-
like worse in every way possible.
No.
I'm trying to find. It's better. It's better.
Like, you guys
So you
see
wanna
this,
know-
right? I'm not making this up,
Yeah, I
am
am.
I?
I am.
Yeah.
You wanna know some silly shit about
Trying to
Adam
find
Warlock?
something better
Also,
than
that thing on his forehead. Yeah, that's supposed to be an Infinity Stone.
I mean,
So when he has it in the movie, I'm like, so what is that? Why is that there?
which
Because
Infinity
the
Stone?
other sovereigns don't have it. I can't remember which one. I think it might be the one that Vision has. The one they gave the Vision was the one he was supposed to get. Because
Is
Vision
that
doesn't have
comic
it in the
accurate?
comics.
think with it what you will from it. It's just,
Is that supposed to be comic
I think
accurate?
this looks.
Because I don't really know much about the comics.
I don't think Vision in the original comics even has an Infinity Stone, but I know Adam Warlock does.
Yeah, no, in the comics he's got the solar
Think.
gem, doesn't he?
I think so.
Yeah, it's like this big red energy beam thing.
It goes. Bzz.
Bzz, 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 I speak fly. Bzz, bzz.
Yeah. But I think this version of Adam Warlock looks more interesting than the one we got.
I mean, yeah, he's got that lion's mane going. It kind of reminds me of the Lannisters from Game of Thrones. Like
Oh,
this is what they would kind of like look like if they were in a sci-fi setting.
The entire plot surrounding Adam Warlock in the Guardians of the Galaxy game is so interesting, and you could.
That's why I say it's unfair to compare him to the movie because Adam Warlock in the game is very prevalent. He's very important to the story.
Like I don't
He's
feel like the
hyper
version of
important.
Adam Warlock that we get in the game would have him like just randomly standing around in the background and then like awkwardly hugging a group of people he almost killed at the start of the movie.
No,
Oh God,
absolutely
no,
not.
not this man, not
This
at all.
man. That's beneath him.
It's beneath him.
He'd
No,
probably say you're wasting your time.
The way he insults Peter's taste in music is hilarious too.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
I
fun
mean,
fact.
there's probably like a few other nitty gritty things that we could mention here, but I don't really care too much about that stuff. It's mostly just the disappointment I feel in like the character work and like the stuff that I can see being done that isn't done. And it annoys me
I
because
think
it's like, yeah, we've shat on Adam Warlock. Yeah, we kind of shat on High Evolutionary. Yeah, Gamora's fucking annoying. Doesn't need to be there. Yeah, Rocket is wasted. Yeah, everyone's kind of like a weird, silly, goofball version of how they're supposed to act. And it's like,
Mantis is pretty bad.
Mantis is probably one of the worst.
I'm still disgusted. Oh, there's one scene with Peter that I really did not like. I actually hated. And it was his really shitty justification for why he never went back to Earth to visit his granddad.
Oh yeah, because he thinks like
He-
his granddad would probably have like not wanted him or something.
No, his reason was he yelled at me.
Oh yeah. But I'd say that one of my favorite scenes of this movie, if not my favorite scene, is actually when he meets his granddad again. That was like
That's
the
a
one
good
scene.
scene.
That was
was
like
nice.
that was like the scene that almost got me because I didn't cry or like feel really like that emotional during any of the other Peter ad stuff. But that scene where he like meets his granddad again and then it's like granddad doesn't yell at him or isn't like shocked or anything, he just like wants to hug him. I'm like, oh, that's sweet, that's touching. I like that.
Never heard of it.
Who's back? Oh no,
Never heard of it in my life. What
I
scene are
re-
you talking about?
I really
but
like that
it's heard of
that
you.
scene.
What scene are you talking about? Never heard of it.
The one where he
It's
like
heard
meets
of
his
you.
granddad again.
Shandy, get the joke challenge impossible.
The one where he hugs his granddad again.
It's
The
okay.
one where he
Shandy,
sells
you'll get
squid to a myth.
The one where he sells squid to a man.
there. I don't want you guys to ever stop bringing up that in any future episodes of the Nuthouse podcast. Ever.
We'll just mention it in like the most inappropriate moments during our streams. Like we might be talking about like a really serious scene in an upcoming TV show or movie or something. And then me or Uvu were just like, yeah, this really gives me squid selling meth to cockroaches vibes.
Do be like that.
Do be like that, boss baby
Maybe like
vibes.
that.
But is there anything that you guys want to like mention, character-wise, plot-wise, tism-wise, whatever, like we haven't gone over?
Nah, besides Rockets, it's really only Nebula I also enjoyed. That's about it. But,
Because
I
like
mean,
I'm
we've
just
already
busy
gone over
looking at the
them.
cast of creatures in front of me. Cosmo is a nothing character. Like she's good dog.
Absolutely wasted.
Kraglin, nothing character. He just has like the arc and becomes like the best person ever in the world with his fucking flying arrow instead of just, a not
You
national,
believed in the
natural
heart of the
progression of
cards.
his abilities from the second film where he's like really shit at it, but then he like slowly becomes better and better over years of practice. Mantis, Giga cunt, very stupid. Peter, wasted. I'm really annoyed that like he just is John Sando for the majority of the like first half of the movie, and then the second half of the movie he goes through an arc behind the scenes where he's like, yeah, no, I care more about my family than I do about some random green Gamusi. Um, Gamora shouldn't have been in this movie. She just does
No.
nothing. Drax, he's turned into the meme character everyone thought he was, but actually wasn't. James Gunn just decided, you know what? This character's been given crap since 2014 for just being the stupid guy. So instead of like having a final movie where he actually like grows as a character and shows a skill set that most people don't have, I'm just gonna turn him into a retard. Which
But you see, wop 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 whoop wop wop
what
whoop wop whoop whoop wop
monkey
whoop
noises.
wop.
Nebula had one good scene in the movie. Well, actually, she had two. The one where she correctly criticizes Drax for being an idiot, and the other one where she like starts almost breaking down in tears because Rocket's alive. I really like that part. And then Groot's just there. He doesn't do anything wrong. The only thing that's wrong
Except he's
about him
swollen
is
on drugs.
He
he's
does
not.
do something wrong.
What does he do?
He waits for like 5 minutes of them being in danger in the facility to be like, "Oh shit, I should stop taking a shit and go and help them."
I should probably do
Doesn't he?
Like
No,
legit, like it just cuts
does
to him and he's off. He's like not even at the ship's controls. He's like, "That was a good shit." Oh fuck!
Look, Uvu, he's busy, okay?
Busy with
Do you think
what?
someone do you think someone else is gonna buy those drugs off the squid? Huh?
It's funny you mentioned that because there is actually a scene in this movie where someone is taking a shit and then has to like stop taking a shit because like
It's true, I know.
it's
Did she
Gamora.
not wipe?
Yeah.
Did she not wipe?
She's
'Cause
just
she kinda
taking a shit, and
stands
then
up
like
and
someone's like
drops the
invading
toilet
a ship, and
paper.
then she's like, "Oh fuck, I was busy." And then she like I don't know, she like shakes her leg or something, and then like pulls a bounce up. It's like, what the fuck is going on? What is this
She's
scene?
like,
Shorty
yeah,
Geordies.
I got one stuck in the old paint leg here. I gotta just wiggle that out.
She
Like,
just
oh.
like whacks it out or something with a stick.
She should have used that against Warpig. Like, take this, and just flicked her leg.
It's just
This
What?
is the wrong
And
time
then
to get pizza. Hate you guys.
wrong time to get
and then
pizza. What?
Warpig's like, he's got pizza.
It's got pizza.
I also got pizza. I have my family just brought me pizza. I got 2 slices left. If I look at it again, I might throw up because I ate too much.
But yeah, I think we've kind of reached that point in the stream where we don't really have much else to talk about, and we're just fucking stalling.
Unfortunately.
Unless you guys have
Unfortunately.
something genuine to add, I think probably just end it while it's good instead of just dragging it out.
Yeah, I do like the rocket stuff. I think I'll have everything to do with rocket.
What do you mean? We've only gone over one arc.
Whose?
Have we?
Yes, we've only gone over one arc in detail, and then we just said a bunch of random shit, and we haven't got back to the fucking movie yet.
We did. We
went
spoke
over-
about it
we
like a
went over,
decent
like,
chunk when.
Peters
Yeah.
and Gamora's a bit. Not
And
much.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
that
you
was
see, the way
this.
that this entire thing is framed is that we spoke about everything in random orders. That's the problem.
Unfortunately.
We didn't have
Then we
anything
can
I
still
like.
go
wish
through
we
the
had stuck to the
minutia. There's a lot of
original-
it.
I wish we had stuck to the original
Like,
format.
okay,
of
so
just going through
Uwe,
the
go
movie
for it.
order.
What do you think you would like to talk about that we haven't like discussed already?
So where were
And
we
this-
up to? We're up to the they've just got the
Cockroaches
orb.
buying meth from the squid, and that's
No,
not
no,
me
that was
memeing
that
it.
was
That's
us
actually
jumping
where we
forward.
are.
Like,
No,
that was
we-
an hour ago.
We were
No,
jumping, we
the
jumped forward to mention that.
The thing
That
is,
wasn't actually where we're up to.
the thing is that we mentioned like stuff in passing like already. So
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But like in terms of actual plot, we're up to the scene where they've
Oh,
got the orb, they open it up, and then Rocket's like, "Oh, Rocket's being dissected on the table," and Nebula's like, "This is worse than what Thanos did to me." That's the scene we're up to.
I
Is it?
really
I feel
don't
like
know
we've.
how I
I
feel
feel
about
like
her
we're
spelling
further.
that out.
I feel like we're
Did we
further.
mention that?
No, we didn't mention that part. But is there anything in there that really needs to be mentioned?
I mean, I kind
The
of think I
part
would
where
prefer if Nebula didn't say that, but you can gauge from her reaction that it either reminded her of what Thanos did to her, or she felt it was worse and couldn't stomach looking at it. But she has to say it out loud, so
I
the
mean,
audience
she
gets
kind of
it.
has to see it because she's the projector.
and then directly after that is the scene where Adam Warlock vaporizes a guy, and there's a fucking thing on him, and Gamora's like, "Oh, here's my exact coordinates."
Yeah,
that
we
was
mentioned
probably
that like
one of the most
twice already.
Have you?
Most
Yeah, we did. That
contrived.
was earlier on in the stream.
I mentioned it
I'm not-
once, but didn't mention really how fucked up that was.
I
didn't
thought we just
mention it
said
at
that it's
all,
like a
so it's okay.
contrivance that that happens. Like it just seems like one of those things where it's like, yeah, it's just stupid fucking luck.
How do we feel about? I don't know if
There's
we
a
talked about it before, but why is Adam Warlock just kind of? I know he's got that pet, but man, he's gonna murder that thing with how fast he's flying around and smashing through things.
Well, you see, the only way that we can make the stupid character fun is if we give him a pet.
I guess. I mean, we didn't give Drax a. Oh, well, I guess he has Mantis.
there's also
Yeah.
Giga Whiplash. We've got like that scene where they're like, "Oh, you need to give up on Gamora," and then it's cut straight to being like, "Oh, Rocket has fluid in his lungs. He's literally dying." And then
I
it
don't
cuts straight
remember
to the
that.
next. It cuts straight to the first Goofy scene of High
Okay, well,
Evolutionary.
yeah, I guess we can mention that the movie mentions the fact that Rocket is dying and he has fluid in his lungs. And then you go back to Counter Earth and
Well, I was
uh
getting to that, Andy. That's part of the fucking
Yes,
plot. What we're going through.
Shandy!
What the hell are you doing?
I don't know.
You said you wanted me to
I
go
got-
through the
I got-
things that we haven't got to yet. I'm
And
trying
then
to.
you reminded me.
I got you, Uvu. I got you, homie.
Because that is exactly what happens next. Is basically he's like,
Picked up.
oh, there's the disintegration part. They land right next to the high evolutionaries thing instead of staying in orbit or whatever, which we've already mentioned. But yeah,
Yep.
and then they go directly into the fucking Bat Lady scene, which has a bunch of random comic relief in between them talking about Rocket being dead or dying.
Okay,
And
no,
then-
that's not what I was going to mention at all. I was
And
going
then
to I was going to mention the fact that he gets picked up by Warpig and then tossed around like a fucking ragdoll while the life support's been taken off of him. And apparently the fluid in his lungs doesn't fucking do anything.
Oh yeah,
He's
yeah,
just
I get that.
fine?
Yeah, yeah,
He's just
like,
fine?
It does lead into a lot of weird stuff. Like he just sort of is alive until the movie says he isn't, and that's exactly when they save him, so he comes back.
Yeah, the fucking machine in his chest doesn't work fast enough until like he wills it into existence through the power of God and anime. And then Gamora's just like, "Oh, I guess it works now somehow, maybe."
I was hoping what they were doing with that was it was working, but Rocket was like he really
Dead?
wanted to be with his dead loved ones, and then they were doing like a spiritual thing where
No,
he comes back, I
I'm
guess.
really thankful that they didn't do that.
But
I'm really thankful that they didn't suggest that Rocket was capable of like slowing down that machine because it's like, how the fuck can you do that? How the fuck
oh
do you have
no,
this
I
ability to
wasn't
do
okay.
that?
I wasn't okay with suddenly the machine works. It's like, oh,
Uh, one thing I think we mentioned, or not really, the
the
idea
coats, they're finally working. Why weren't they working before?
that they have access to this technology that can heal any wound at any time.
DB tried to bring that up like 3 times, and we never focused on it. But it is very much worth mentioning that they all kind of have just little belt that you just wrap around a wound.
So what
and
happens if
press
you
a
take
button
that
it
and you
fixes
put it on top of Tony Stark after he snaps his fingers?
Then he comes back, but his arms are still fucked up, and he starts screaming.
You
Then
put
put
two
the
more on
band
his
on
arm,
the
there you
yeah,
go.
put 2 on his arm, yeah.
Just cover him in it. Absolutely cover him in it until he's like a mummy.
So what happens if you put that on like a person and then shoot him while the thing's on?
The biggest problem is he shouldn't have introduced that technology. Like, do not introduce that technology. Don't. Because
It
the
also makes
moment you do that, you're gonna make it harder for whoever makes the next Guardians movie. Then again, they're probably not gonna give a shit.
not just that, but it also makes characters like Wolverine like kind of meaningless now because it's like, oh,
Pointless.
you're just a guy who can like heal himself from any wound. Well, cool, we've got fucking band-aids which do that.
What's your special thing, Wolverine? I have these claws, and I can heal real good.
Ooh, big fucking deal. You got
And they can
claws.
cut through
ooh.
anything, but they can't. It's like, yeah, we
And
have
then,
like
and you
weapons
just
that
show
do that.
Gamora like making a flaming sword out of her hand, and then it's like, can you do that though? Can you
Can you
like
do
fucking
that?
can you
Huh?
fly?
You
No.
Canadian bitch, can you do that?
I got a lot of back hair. I like I'm
got a
turning
lot
him
of
into
hair.
Nick Cage now.
I can't grow a full beard until I'm old. In
I could
every
grow a
other
lot of
iteration.
facial hair, but only on the side of my face. I
gonna
can't grow any chin hair.
I'm liking this Wolverine voice, where it's just like, oh, God.
Just turn him into Nick
I can't
Cage. That's actually how you make him funnier.
just make him Nick Cage.
Just
This
make him
isn't
Nick
just a
Cage.
new. This isn't just a room. It's a newsroom.
Ugh. I mean, you could always make him gay.
Hi, Mark.
Game over. What? I was about to say, isn't that
There's a
Deadpool?
there's a comic version of him where he's gay and his love is fucking Hercules. And they're introducing Hercules now, so might as well.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, they
I'm
did.
not even kidding. He's like the Prime Minister of Canada or some shit, and Hercules is like his boy lover. Or man lover, I
That's
don't
the
fucking know.
stupidest shit I have ever heard in my
It
life.
is it's funny.
Is that dumber than what Marvel's doing to Spider-Man now?
Oh, where
No.
they turn him into cuck?
Oh God, I hate
What did-
thinking about it.
What did they do?
They turned Spider-Man into a cuck.
No,
Oh,
I
they
mean,
did
like, what
this
did they do?
fucking arc where
Apparently he goes into like
man
some
is
sort of
thrown
like
into a gaping hole, and then she meets this guy and fucks this guy and has kids with said guy. Who knows? Some dude named Paul. No one knows who he is. Just some random asshole named Paul.
he's just Paul.
Paul Armstrong?
Paul Allen.
Oh, his name is just Paul. But now
Maybe
he
it's
has
Paul
kids with Mary
Armstrong from
Jane.
Spider-Man 2.
Who the
He has
fuck?
kids with Mary Jane now, and we're not supposed to give a shit. Or no, like Peter's like, oh, okay. And then all the Spider-Man fans lost their shit as they should, because this is like 20th time they've shit all over Spider-Man and Mary Jane. And then when fans said, okay, fine, can you have him hook up with Black Cat then at the very least? Marvel said, oh, you want that, do you? And then they wrote another issue in which he did go to Black Cat, and she went, no, I'm not interested anymore. Fuck off.
What's this in?
The comics.
The current Spider-Man comic right now.
Yeah, who fucking cares?
Yeah, I was about to say this isn't exactly high literature. It's Marvel comics.
Fair. Neither is DC Comics, thanks to Brian Michael Bendis.
Okay,
Good job,
back
Doc.
to Uvu suggesting things to talk about movie.
Oh, I've kind of given up at this point, honestly.
I know, right? I'm kind of like at that point too. Like I feel like I've
Yeah.
said everything I want to say. I don't have anything else I really want to talk about.
Yes, you gamer, you person watching this. You know who you are. Say one thing from Guardians 3. One. I'm watching.
I got
The fuck are
the
you
part
talking
where I don't know, Gamora's taking a shit and doesn't communicate with anyone using her comms because no one's using comms in this part, and they're not.
Oh no,
asking-
no, she does call what she thinks is a Ravager without even checking. It's like, hey, I don't care who it is online.
Oh yeah,
Come pick
that's
me up here.
way
in
way
Discord."
earlier in the movie.
She doesn't
but
have
yeah.
like a secret grunt code that she has with her Ravagers like she does with Gamora. I mean, not Gamora, Nebula. Also, that's new. Like, why the fuck do they grunt now? That's never been a thing.
The High Evolutionary kind of just destroys Fairyland. He's like, nah, fuck that, I'm out.
Yeah, there's no resources or like anything he can learn from these people. He doesn't want to like go back to the squid and get some meth just before he leaves.
Yeah, it took Peter Quill telling him the salient fact that a myth has been squidding to a squirrel. Like,
You see, Mr. Quill, I've gotten over my furry phase, and I have entered my new one, and I shall make my new world around this phase. And he slowly puts on a Naruto headband.
I knew it. You might have better success, honestly.
Bases an entire planet off of fucking people who Naruto run.
They do?
I don't know.
I thought they just ran off 30 calories a day, which is like a sip of water.
Water has 0 calories, Shandy. Come on.
No, but this is like space calories.
So like
Space-
space, like the energy of the universe. And
Space
Kung Fu
water,
Panda
yeah.
1.
Oh yeah,
Calories.
true. The tea, the JT.
They lied.
They did lie.
They had calories.
Hey,
No 10-mile hike?
no.
No. Ah,
You know, this stream was weird, but I enjoyed it.
I mean, I had fun. We had some memes. It was great. But
There
yeah,
were some moments where we were cohesive incoherent.
The issue
In the
is that we're
middle of that
currently
rough,
the issue is we're currently talking about a movie that's already been talked about now for like the last 2 weeks on like other streams. And the thing with me is I don't really like the idea of repeating talking points that have been mentioned already. And
then why did you
it
do
was more interesting for me to talk about a movie that could have been there that wasn't.
Mm,
And
we did do that.
we did do
I
that.
thought we made progress on that.
Sorry?
Yeah.
I thought we made progress on that.
Yeah, I
think
mean
we did.
like yeah.
Oh, there was that funny arc. We've mentioned it already, but it just pisses me off. The funny arc where they're like calling Drake stupid the whole movie, and then he's like, "Oh, nobody asked me if I could speak Wagga Wagga."
No one asked me if I can speak choo choo. Why do you speak choo choo, Drax? Because I like
You
the
know
train.
not the choo-choo.
I like trains, so I speak choo choo.
Trains. Yeah,
Drax, do you
there's
know what
no
a
real reason for him to speak a language for people that didn't exist until yesterday. That were made by a
No,
dude who's got a thing
no,
for
no.
pandas mowing
Those kids
lawns.
weren't made. They're kidnapped. They're kidnapped kids. They aren't made by him. They're going to be experimented on.
They are?
Yeah.
Oh.
I thought he made them, but it's.
I thought he made them too.
Not really.
Here's the thing. It's not clear because I came out going, "Oh, he kidnapped these kids and he's gonna experiment on them," and you came out with, "Oh, he created these kids." Which one is true? I don't know.
The movie
Movie
doesn't
won't
care.
clarify.
They turned them
All
into
I know
space
is
kids.
that one of those nameless kids is now a guardian of the galaxy.
Before
Because
Nova
she.
gets introduced. Oh, actually,
Oh
that's
my
something that we could
God!
probably talk about. Nova, the Nova
The
Corps
Nova
never gets
Corps is dead.
mentioned.
They're all gone.
That entire planet never gets mentioned.
You wanna know why? Because in Infinity War, it's a throwaway line where Thor says that they were all killed.
Does he not
That
just say that
planet
they
was
were
decimated.
decimated?
Yep.
Yeah, but I mean, you could still have survivors. Especially
It's not like
when it's fucking
Uh,
Thanos. No,
With-
Thanos'
with-
entire
with-
thing is that he leaves 50% of a population alive.
I think he says, I don't know what stone they have, the purple one. I
The
forget what
Power
it's called. The
Stone.
power.
Hour, yeah.
He says Thanos got the Power Stone when he decimated, and then he said the name of the planet. I forgot what it was. And then they cut to Peter, and he goes, oh, and that's it. That's all you get. It's a
That's
throwaway line,
horseshit.
but
That's
yeah.
horseshit.
Yeah. That's all you get is
I
that.
mean,
So
you could have had like survivors from that planet living on Nowhere and like trying to reform their society, or like Peter and the Guardians like trying to help them find another planet. Actually, no, that's another thing that they could maybe have done. You could have had like a little mini montage of them just being Guardians of the Galaxy rather than like John Randoms owning pub in space. Like actually
closest
have
we got to that was in Thor: Love and Thunder, where the Guardians go to defend these people from this monster, and Thor just kind of fucks off because he doesn't want to.
yeah, and then he like destroys their sacred temple that they've like had for thousands of years accidentally, and then like he makes it into a
Peter
massive
Quill
joke. Yeah,
goes,
that movie
"Why are you like
sucks.
this?" That movie
The
sucks.
movie does
Marvel
suck.
sucks.
Yeah, it would have been cool to just
Yeah.
see like how they handle their operations now, and you could have explored the use of the fucking space
Nova Corps?
outfits. No, the outfits, the new Guardians of the Galaxy outfits, and be like, oh, this is just a symbol of their operations now, and people get to recognize them more and more and more as a unit because they have this fucking outfit that everyone recognizes.
They're
Like,
gonna do it in the next one because
yeah,
people
I
are
know
probably
they're
gonna be
gonna
like,
do it in the next one because in the next one they already have the fucking outfits.
yeah. See, they're not gonna explain it when the suits are introduced. They're rather gonna explain it in the movie after they're introduced. Because that's just how writing
It's a
works.
symbol. It's a symbol, all right. It means
rhymes.
something.
Hey, did anyone notice that? So the Guardians of the Galaxy symbol, it's just like it's like a different version of the Ravagers logo, like the Ravagers used to have. And I went, oh, they changed it, so it means something new. But then when you see the Ravagers in Guardians 3, they have the same badge.
I did not
They
notice
do?
that. No, actually, I thought it was an
Yep,
entirely different
yep.
thing.
Nope. It's the same badge, but I think it's like
Tweaked.
barely any different. It's the same shape.
And that only really
wouldn't
means
notice the
anything
difference
because
just-
Peter is an ex-Ravager, and he's like no longer a member of the Guardians because he fucks off back to Earth.
Yeah. Well, they said Star-Lord will return, so great. They need to
Yeah.
stop doing that. I don't care about those
They
anymore.
made
Stop
Adam
doing
Warlock a
that.
Guardian before they introduced Nova. That's insane to me.
Well, there's gonna be no Nova. Sorry.
Why? Don't they own the
Because
rights?
no, yeah, they do, but writing for Nova's hard, so they won't.
How's it hard?
I don't know. They won't do it. There's no, dude. There's not even a Nova comic right now.
Really?
I'm gonna gangbang
Yeah.
you all by myself.
What the fuck?
What the fuck?
Okay, that came out of left field. Okay.
Yeah, no,
What the
that
fuck was
actually
that?
did.
Is
Okay.
he okay?
No.
Even for you, that came out of left field. Jesus Christ.
It's an Oscar Isaac clip. He's just Zoom calling his girlfriend or something, and he says that
What
to
the-
her. It's like, what the fuck? What's wrong with you,
As if
man?
we didn't have any more tangents, but okay.
What'd Star Wars do to you, man?
Wait. Is this a real clip that someone like hacked this thing and leaked it?
I don't know.
I don't
Or,
know
yeah, you
either.
just posted it on.
I just can't wait until
Anyway.
Dune Part 2 comes out and we all crap on that movie for being boring.
Just watch the sci-fi version instead. It's more entertaining.
Why? It might actually be
hey,
fun.
if you want. Oh, I just opened the DM that DB sent me, and I'm at a loss for words. And I'm gonna get back to what I was saying before.
What did he do?
If you want a good interpretation of the Nova Corps and cool shit done with the Nova stuff,
Watch
guess
Green
what?
Lantern?
No, I was gonna say play Guardians of the Galaxy, the video game, because they do cool shit with the Nova
Wow,
Corps
I
in
can't
that
believe
too.
you'd suggest something so controversial as playing the game you've recommended like 14 different times this stream.
Listen, I'm just telling you, you need to do it as
Wait.
fast as possible.
I'm really not trying to overhype it, but it's
Look, if
brutally
it doesn't
good.
have a section where there's a squid selling fucking meth to cockroaches, I don't want it.
No, but
I
there's
mean,
a giant squid. There is a
It's
squid in
squid,
there.
and there
Oh,
are
there is a
cockroaches,
squid? Awesome.
There's a
and I
squid
think
in
there
there,
are
so
bug creatures, bug cockroach creatures.
There's Uvu representation in my Guardians of the Galaxy media.
Yo.
Yo.
There is. Yo.
Yo.
I hope they come back. I hope they survive. That's what I wanted to see at the end of the credits for this movie is the squid meth dealer will return.
Okay, I think we've reached the like fucking climax of this stream. I'm quitting now before we mention any more cringe.
Unlike Squid Man, he never reached his because he was
This
killed.
movie's kind of bad. It's fun. Like I had a fun time watching it, and if I gave it like some time just to like rest a little bit, I'd probably enjoy watching it again. Again, this movie's one of the better looking Marvel movies. I can tell a lot of effort actually went into the production. Music-wise, I like the actual music itself, but the use of the music is what's questionable for me. A lot of the music felt like it fit really naturally in the other movies, especially in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Wish there was more done with High Evolutionary. I like the actor. He was pretty good in Peacemaker or Peacekeeper, whatever the fucking name of that show is. I can't remember. Uh, Rocket. Why? Why'd you do that? Why'd you fucking knock him out for the entirety of the movie? That's lame. But besides that, we've said everything. At least I've said everything I need to say. Do you guys have anything else, or can I wrap
Oh yeah,
up?
I've got
I
like
don't-
44 more hours worth of comments here.
40. Shut the fuck up. Please.
I even as much as we shit on this movie, I still enjoyed it. It's like it's more. I can see why a lot of people have really enjoyed it because the ideas and more the concepts they put forward. That's what most people just see and not really think of afterwards. They just watch it and be like, yeah, that's cool. Like Rocket and just going through his emotional little journey with the evolutionary, and it's just that's all they really see. It's just, and granted, like some of the things in there are good, but when you actually sit down and think about it, it's unfortunately falls apart.
Ratatouille.
Yeah.
Funny
People
rat.
want-
It falls apart, and then you can come up with a better story in your head on the spot. And it's like, okay. And I don't mean like a cringe story where Nova actually becomes a canon part of the story. I meant like just taking what is already there and just tweaking it slightly to make actual movie.
I'm trying to make a point here, and Uvu just randomly goes Ratatouille, funny rat. I was trying to
So
say
much
that
to learn. Hustlers much watch.
people are gonna definitely come out of this movie going, "That was the greatest thing I've ever seen," and you go, "Why?"
People
And
have.
the immediate thing they're gonna go to is the backstory with Rocket, and they're not gonna talk about anything else.
I'm not even gonna lie. I thought you were about to say the backstroke of the West, and I was like, what the fuck does that have to do
Oh,
with
can you
anything?
imagine if
And
people walk out
I thought you were gonna mention the Squid Man and the Cockroach Kids again.
No, I wasn't gonna do it
Can you-
again.
No, can you imagine if they walked out like, I really like that bio base. That was a really cool heist. Yeah, that was great.
That's cool. I like the bio.
I liked
ship.
it in concept and in theory, and I like Nathan Fillion, and I wish he was in more stuff.
I recognize Nathan Fillion. Yay!
Yay.
Fillion.
The
Look,
actual
it's the guy from the hit TV show, and they go, "Oh, you mean the rookie?" And I go, No. I
The
got
actual
canceled.
Nathan Drake that we should have had instead of Tom Holland. Yeah.
Well, we'll always have that short film that Nathan
Yeah, that like
Fillion
20-minute one on YouTube. Yeah, it's pretty good.
made. Listen, I said short.
I'm
Much like the
agreeing
High
with you.
Much like the High Evolutionary was short.
How dare you agree with me?
How dare?
Avenge me!
Okay, Uwe, your turn. Final words. Go.
No.
That's as good as we're gonna get.
He said his piece.
He said his
Next.
piece,
Said
his singular
Ratatouille,
word.
funny rat.
Ratatouille, funny rats.
All right, so chat, that's our recommendation. Go get the Wii game Ratatouille based on the movie by Disney Pixar. There.
And then when you're done with that, go play Guardians of the Galaxy PS5, PS4, Xbox 360. I don't fucking know which console it's on. I have it on PC.
Yeah, PlayStation 2.
Go play Guardians of the Galaxy for the PS2.
Play
prob-
Guardians of the Galaxy Dreamcast.
Probably exists. I don't know.
When
Dreamcast.
Dreamcast?
The console released 20 years ago. People will think it was released like 10 years ago. It's
Oh my
weird
God.
how time works. Anyways, Uvu's channel linked in the description. DB and
Right.
Writer don't have one, but you know you can always
That's
wave
fine,
hi
that's
to
it.
them on Discord. I think DB's still on Mauler's Discord. If you guys are there, they've got their own writing Discord, which they may or may not advertise. I'm not entirely sure.
No, kind of. We just hang around. We try to avoid a lot of
Public
the
stuff.
We may.
yeah.
I
We
don't
like
want
to
to
keep our
hype
own little.
it too much, but I may or may not plan something with DB and Fnatic on Halo Season 2.
Ooh.
Why must you torture me?
Listen, it was Fnatic's idea, okay?
Yo, Nuthouse
Uh,
coverage of Halo Season 2, featuring Fnatic, and only
Fnatic.
Fnatic.
Oh, that sounds fun. That sounds fun.
he could be entertaining when he's just on his own. Just
No, it's just Fnatic. I'm not even there. Like I just
Fnatic.
host him. I just don't say anything, and he just rants.
No. We're all in the call, but we're not
no.
saying anything. We're completely muted, and all our PFPs have been replaced by a screenshot of the squid selling.
Shandy,
cockroach
He
sandwich.
did it.
but
Okay.
I
Okay.
was watching the show Foundation with him. So Fnatic, his actual job as a mathematician, I had to sit next to this man on a call, ranting for 20 minutes about math, because Foundation is just kind of based off that kind of shit. Oh, the things he could rant about, it was entertaining as hell.
Foundation's the funniest shit you could possibly do in regards to Fnatic.
There's probably gonna be someone asking. Actually, no, probably no one's asked yet, so I'm not gonna mention it. Anyways.
Ask it. No, you have to ask it now.
No,
You
no,
have
no, no,
to.
no, 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 no. Everyone's gonna be left in suspense
Fans
now.
demand
I'm
it.
going to leave the stream and present you all with a very severe case of blue balls or blue nuts.
Oh,
yeah.
blue nuts.
Blue nuts. Cocaine rat.
Ratatouille.
Anyways, bye.
No, wait. I've got one more thing.
Oh my
Go away.
fucking god.